One of these days I'm gonna get an overlay going.
Press the K key for accessibility options.
Now. I forgot. Somehow the restream bot doesn't work with Twitch for some reason. So if someone's commenting on Twitch, oh, there we go. What the fuck is this? Okay, some Halloween shit. So if someone's commenting on Twitch, it doesn't get relayed to like D-Live for some reason. I don't know why. It used to work, and there's obviously there's a stream chat on my Discord channel that also is connected to Restream.io. But I don't know if Twitch is working. Let's give it a shot. Test. Okay. Where's my Alex Jones?
Media did a limited hangout. They went with these whistleblowers instead of all the other people. and the fact that the witnesses reported at Epstein Island in the Caribbean, Little St. George, and on the other island too, that boats would pull up in the middle of the night to these shacks with little brown kids, and those are the ones that get disappeared.
Well, who reported this?
It's in major documentaries. It's in Netflix documentaries. It's in all the witnesses we talked to, and they said my witnesses, my people I talked to over 10 years ago said.
Okay, so it restreams to D-Live, but it doesn't.
An island in the Mediterranean.
Doesn't seem to work with
and that they.
Well, he had a ranch in New Mexico, right?
Yeah, that came out later. I wasn't told exactly where.
I mean, the idea that these
With my
kids would
Discord.
disappear potentially isn't crazy.
fuck?
No,
It's not crazy
It's
at
not
all.
crazy at all. To think
Here's an example. I was told by a high-level source that major Hollywood producers, by name, ran a cult where they
Mystery
branded
bot.
women next to their vagina.
The Nixium thing.
But I put it out 2 years before it broke. So I was told this by a high-level source.
I remember you talking to me about it.
And then they even had articles going in Huffington Post. Jones claims Harvey Weinstein's connected to groups that do all this, and I was just going off what people told me, and I said I didn't even say Weinstein. That's what's crazy is they were already trying to cover it in case I said that. They're like, oh, Weinstein's not involved in branding women. Well, it never even came out he was. It was the other guy.
Right.
So it's just.
But what you said did turn out to be true.
Yeah.
As fantastic as it sounded, as outrageous, as ridiculous, it turned out to be true.
First time-
now it's in the news.
First time I ever heard of
Fucking
Ted
doesn't
Gunderson.
work.
Let me pull him up. Ted Gunderson.
Bitch.
It's on Wikipedia, up to be FBI director. He was the head of L.A. Imagine what he learned there. And he's telling me, he goes, man, I've been in the FBI 20 years. I got to be the head of L.A. He goes, like, this devil worshiping everywhere. Blew me away. Pedophilia, you name it. He knew about the Manson thing, being a satanic
let's
ritual.
try.
And there's a senator from Nebraska named John DeCamp, who I know
Who he was friends with.
Who he was friends with. And John DeCamp was a guy who he blew the whole thing wide open. Like
He was CIA.
He blew the whole thing wide open.
Did
was
you-
DeCamp CIA? You think? But he was one
He
of the
told me. I was friends
He
with
was
him.
one of the good ones. Like
He was involved in Operation Phoenix.
And
but
then
yeah.
they killed. Well, that was his mentor. So DeCamp's mentor was a guy who was a high-level CIA guy. Who Jamie can pull that up. He was in a Phoenix operation, and he was killed. And I forget
in the canoe.
in the canoe. And,
Yep.
and it, the dinner was still on the
Wait a
table.
minute, he was killed in a canoe?
Yeah, this was
Kayak.
a high-level CIA guy. John DeCamp was a Nebraska senator who broke open this human trafficking operation.
By the way, I'm having.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, it was a
Hey,
pedophile
Todd.
who was trafficking kids across America, and it was centered out of the Omaha Federal Credit Union. It was being run by a guy named Larry King, who was this rising star in the Republican Party. He's probably still alive. He has pictures of Maureen Reagan, all that stuff. These kids were being trafficked to D.C., to L.A., to New York, wherever. DeCamp stumbled upon this, stumbled upon the occult, weird ritual shit going on too, in addition to the pedophilia and all that. And then he went to this guy, his mentor, who he knew from Vietnam, from the military, who was a CIA guy, whose name is escaping me.
William Colby.
William Colby. He went to William
People
Colby. And
are
William Colby basically said
so
to DeCamp,
mad
listen,
about
you're
this
going up
podcast.
You're going up against forces that
So
are way too
crazy.
powerful. You don't even know what you're knocking
Tim
on
Pool
here.
was saying
And
he
then
wants
William
Joe
Colby had to change
Rogan
his mind
on
and
his-
said, fuck it, you know what? We should stop doing
on his
let's,
show,
if we're gonna
and
fight this, let's fight it.
after
And then a
that
little while
shit
later,
show
William
with
Colby,
Vaush,
who's in great health,
fucking do it.
has an accident in his canoe, is found dead. In a river right by his house with his dinner still on the table. So it's like nobody gets up in the middle of the dinner to go canoeing. So this has been a common theme forever, whereas if you go against these people, you find you're dead.
He was 76 when he drowned, though.
Yeah, but in a canoe while his dinner was still on the table.
Sometimes people have heart attacks when they're 76.
I understand.
I understand.
I understand that.
Okay, we're connecting dots here. That maybe
I need to find a chat that's...
Okay.
Okay.
William Colby, Director of Central Intelligence,
Let's
chose to disclose some of the
try
nation's darkest secrets to save the spy service he loved, drowned on April 27th in a tributary
I've
of
talked to folks. They killed him.
They
He
killed
was
him.
76.
How about this guy Gary Caradori, who was a private investigator,
Okay,
hired to get to the
that
bottom
works
of the
too.
Barry Seal, man. They're getting rid of the people.
They just get rid of him.
Does
All
that
right,
work
so,
for...
We've done Bohemian Grove. We've done Bohemian Grove. Let me tell you.
Discord? It fucking
Senator
doesn't.
DeCamp was on
What a
record running
bitch.
major level Operation Phoenix, which was a high-level CIA torture operation and execution operation. So Apocalypse Now is kind of based on some of the things they did. But he's on record highly decorated.
I don't want to go too far away from the Epstein thing, so I still have a whole lot more.
Let's go back to Epstein.
The island itself. Like, first of all, Epstein had this crazy place in New York City.
7-story palace.
That the guy who owned Victoria's Secrets, he gave it to him?
Yeah, because of probably blackmail.
Right. And then there was other billionaires who it turned out had, and this is like had been glossed over. And no
Including
one
Bill Gates. Bill Gates stays there and tried to deny it, but Bill Gates denies staying with Epstein, but confirmed he stayed there.
There's
and
no
in his
map
Paris
for
home.
this?
And this was also, he met with him
just gonna
post his first
shoot.
arrest, correct?
Yes.
Because he was arrested.
Yeah, a lot of people did. Chelsea Handler had dinner with him, I believe, after the arrest, too. I mean, a lot of people looked past that, apparently.
Yeah, that British Royal.
Okay, Bill Gates met with Jeffrey Epstein many times despite his past. And
I got to say, Jamie's really fast.
he's the best.
He's the best.
So let's go back to this.
He's married to Dylan.
Where's
Epstein had a huge interest in tech. He loved tech.
Yes.
Yes, and he wanted to. He brought scientists and big tech people over his house in New York City.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
They were doing, I said this over 10 years ago, that they were involved in secret breeding programs for cloning.
Okay, before we get to that, scientists. How were they getting these?
Come
Where
on.
are they getting all the money? First of all, where's he getting the money to get this island? Where's he getting the money to buy this giant house? Get this?
We now know that he was a nexus point from the dirty sides of the CIA, MI6, and Mossad at least.
Yeah.
And so they were compromising people, and then as he would compromise people, most of them knew they were being compromised. They wanted to be compromised to be let in to then run operations and be given even more money.
He was also the money manager for a guy named Les Wexner, who's a billionaire who owns Victoria's Secret, The Limited, among other things. So
That's the guy.
he was gifting Epstein a property. He gave him a $7
Well, that's where he got some of the first money.
Well, Eric Weinstein, who was a legit financial guy, looked at him and said, "This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about."
Of course
He
not.
said he's playing a role.
And then
he met with
scientists
him.
were like that too. When they went to his house, they go, "Oh, Epstein is like playing a role.
Yes.
He has no, so whatever he's doing, he's working for somebody."
Well, let me tell you, they want to corrupt the scientific elite to go along with their agenda on climate change, to go along with their agenda on viruses, to go along with their agenda because they know scientists are respected. So you want to have them compromised so they go along with whatever it is you want.
So whatever it is you want. So if you want to do something and manipulate reality to make your agenda go through, you compromise the scientists, and then these elite experts who you have on film having sex with 16-year-olds, then you
Yeah, so maybe man-made global warming is real and really bad. Doesn't matter. The solution they have is a global tax. You pay them, so it's a scam. But as big as Epstein was, he was small compared to these other finders groups and other organizations. They even came out in the news at the time in the late 80s, early 90s.
What
And
the
then
fuck?
communist
He's using
Chinese,
assisted
they're running
shooting
the
on
black
a
things with Hunter Biden and the Democratic Party and Dianne Feinstein
on an
and all these
interceptor?
people at levels way, way, way above anything anybody else has seen.
Jesus
At the
Christ.
same time, my loader just
I always
fucked
got a
for
bad
a
feeling
dogfight.
from Dianne Feinstein.
I never had anything.
Turned out her
Completely fucked.
main assistant was a Chinese actual agent.
Yeah, I mean that's
Ghislaine Maxwell Powell pleads for release, says jailed heiress starving in humiliating clothes.
and that's unfair for her. And I think, I mean, it's
What an
humiliating
elitist
clothes
statement.
release.
You should
Wait,
get her,
oh, my mouse
she
got-
should be on record. This one was involved in all these horrible things, and now, oh my God, she said humiliating clothes.
Why do you
I
think
pressed
Trump said, like,
a
when he
toggle
asked her about her, "Well, wish her
sensitivity
well"?
up.
He's always smart ass, like
For,
because Epstein was killed in prison. So he's like, I wish her well because they want to get data.
He's also like a rich guy. He knew her, right? I mean,
Well, he
so
later
that's the whole
clarified
thing.
it. I've done what he said.
Do you think Trump's cleaning
Did I shoot
everything in this? I mean,
Oh, you want to get the MO on Trump?
well, I would like to because I know that you're.
I'll give you. No, no.
There he goes.
Here we go.
My only superpower is that I really try to give you the accurate thing. Doesn't mean I'm always right about 95% of the time. That's why earlier we went down that rabbit trail when I'm saying, listen, Trump doesn't like lobbyists. He fired them all. He's trying to make the best decisions for everybody in a pragmatic free market, not have one-sided trade deals. But his blind side was by him not letting lobbyists in, everyone around him became unofficial lobbyists. That became a 20-minute rabbit hole, so I'm not bitching about that. But let me tell you about Trump. Trump's dad was a super right-wing, pro-America dude who was actually a huge funder of the John Birch Society. He introduced him to the head of the House Un-American Activities group that worked for Nixon and Eisenhower that actually ran the Red Scare. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. Roy Cohen. And so his personal lawyer for 25 years was Roy Cohen, who was like
Joe McCarthy's best friend, right?
Joe McCarthy's chief of staff.
Chief of staff. Yeah.
I mean, he ran it.
He ran it. Yeah.
He ran House and Senate. He was the big enchilada. And so Trump was actually heavily influenced by his father that was anti-communist.
How
Acted nice
is
and liberal
he-
in New York, but like knew all this. John Birch Society, like, you know, we're talking the whole 9 yards.
Well, wasn't Roy Cohn also involved in some blackmail stuff?
Oh, he was huge.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it was a whole gay mafia stuff.
Right,
too, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, you guys are deep. You're deep in this.
I
Tim.
know that. Yeah, I know that. I
it's all
fell
facts.
asleep listening every night. I would fall asleep. I'd listen to about a half hour, and then I would trail off. He'd be like, and I would fall asleep. And now I can't do that anymore. Thank you, YouTube.
You can, Infowars.com.
I know.
You know, we're halfway into this, I should say. People ask, where... People come up to me and say, I used to love you. I'm sorry you're off air now. We have record traffic at Infowars.com and band.video. Band.video.
Yeah.
We have videos. I've had videos this week with 3 million views, 2 million views, 1 million views.
Yeah.
It's all there.
My producer, Ben
Now-
Avery, watches Infowars.com like during holidays. His family would be having Christmas, so he'll be in a room watching Infowars.
So speaking of censorship, YouTube and Facebook have now banned all the QAnon stuff, right?
Which is crazy.
Well, this is what's crazy. Like, what's next? You're going to ban JFK conspiracy
Well, if I make a
theories?
joke about QAnon, am I going to get banned? That's the other problem for
But it's like you
comedians.
said, the Young Turks show. Well, let's just first talk about the Young Turks.
What is the show?
The Jacobins.
Because
tell you.
Tim Dillon had put the
Okay.
show. He'd put it. I'm gonna send it to you, Jamie, so you can see what it is. I'm gonna send you the video that Tim Dillon or excuse
Tim
me,
Pool.
Tim Pool has sent me. I'm gonna send it to you right now, Jamie.
So let me explain this. The Young Turds are anti-free speech for everybody, including me. And then she goes, but I'm not anti-free speech. I just want Alex Jones banned. But then they have this new show called The Jacobins. Well, let's talk about evil. The Young Turks were
Oh
the
my
group that ran the
God.
Armenian genocide. They ran the Armenian genocide on record, killed over 1.5 million Christians. They named themselves the Young Turks. They go, oh, we don't know what that means. Now they're called the Jacobins. The Jacobins ran the French Revolution and were the Illuminati. I told you about it
Totally
earlier.
wrong.
So it's like every name they've got is like the Hitler Youth, basically. I mean, the Young Turks, and
That
now
is a very unfortunate name. The Young
Well, they
Turks.
also people run around with the people that watch a lot of those shows walk around with either the Che Guevara shirts or they're unironically calling themselves Maoists. These are like suburban white kids walking around going, "I'm a Maoist."
I
It's
understand.
not funny.
$800 smartphones.
Right?
Yeah, that is a problem too.
absurd.
I think they're trying to do good, and I think they are doing good. I really
Right.
do. I think when they thought that, hey, I'm not anti-free speech, but ban Alex Jones, they just don't understand what that means. There's a reason why you can't just go around censoring people. And again, the answer to bad speech is better speech.
Right.
That has always been the answer.
But here's the big problem.
Oh my
Once
God.
they silence you, they can then make up whatever they want. 'Cause people all the
But
time
here's
go,
what's worse, Alex, and this is you personally, but the problem is when they silence someone, when they censor someone, and then that person's not that's not the target anymore, they look for another target and they invariably go left. They invariably.
Exactly. They get on a
everybody
power
they can.
trip. They
But-
get
I'm
but hold
second
on a
with those stats.
Left
We're
is not left
fucking
enough.
done
So
here.
if you're a centrist, they'll call you alt-right.
Yeah.
Because you need to be compliant completely with the ideology. If
Yeah.
you're not compliant, they keep moving what's acceptable and what constitutes racism, sexism, classism,
Right.
homophobia, transphobia.
It's a power
They keep-
grab.
But they keep changing it. And
They move the
Orwell,
line all the time.
Orwell talked
Yeah.
about this in
Good,
1984.
good.
He was like, if you ban all the words, if all you will literally you will change thoughts because you can't have all the, I forget Orwell's words on hate
reducing
speech.
language. He said what they want to reduce the language where no one's even able to communicate, and that's the goal. So we think of it as a leftist thing that's out of control. No,
Yeah,
this is
I
a
fucked up.
science.
I paraphrased it and I fucked it up. But the point is, what they didn't see, they didn't use hindsight. They didn't. They didn't
It's
use.
called ingsoc.
It's so hard to talk with you. What they didn't do is they didn't look
Joe,
to
you
where
need
this
alcohol.
goes. I
Don't-
do. They didn't look to where this goes. They didn't understand. They didn't extrapolate. They didn't say.
Or maybe some of
"It's
them
not-"
did, and some of them
But you
wanted
can't.
to go
If
where
you
it's
start, if you start censoring, there's a real. And I know people are saying no. You should censor people that say terrible things because they influence our children, and you can't.
But Joe, it's a power grab. They get off. Once they've got one scalp, they're going to scalp everybody,
I
including
understand
themselves.
that's the motivation of the people that are doing it. That's not what I'm concerned with. What I'm concerned with is the problem itself, because you keep finding a new target. You keep finding a new person who's doing something that's incorrect.
That's what I'm saying. They don't want to give up. They want more.
But it's not that they're trying to grab power. It's that you're always trying. Look, you've started a game.
Yeah,
you
but
started
hold
a game.
They're
Hold on.
losers and want to control reality because they're projecting their own hatred of themselves on us.
You don't think part of it is that they want power to control the discussion?
There's most certainly a part of that.
Yeah.
That's a part. That's human nature.
But Joe,
It's
you
human
just
nature.
said I'm hard to deal with.
Well, because you talk over people when they're talking. You don't let them get the full.
You've been talking a lot.
You don't let people get a full thought out. And Tim does it like when he's having
do it
his
too.
thoughts.
How the
No,
censors
yeah.
are good?
What I'm saying is he's talking and you jump in, and the problem is I know you have some things to say, but then you fuck with the thing that's coming out of the other person's
Okay,
mouth.
explain to me how the censors are loving people. That's what you're trying to do.
I'm not saying they love people. I'm saying they're not looking at it correctly, because the way they're looking at it, they think they're doing a good thing and they're going to usher forth some utopian world of communication where people are only saying the things they agree with. The problem with that is you don't find out who's right unless you get everybody talking.
But
It's the
I
only-
agree.
It's the only
but
way you do
Joe,
it.
it's worse than that.
You can't have an echo chamber. It's dangerous. Echo chambers are dangerous. And what tech has done is
not
created these
that
left-wing
horrible. It's
ideological
bad,
echo
but
chambers.
it's not
I
that
totally agree.
horrible.
And they're also forcing people into self-censorship, because if you don't comply with the rules that they've set forth, then you get banned. So you comply, and you find people.
a cult.
It is a cult. Ideologically.
Talk like this.
Listen, it is a cult.
Joe.
I think there's a lot of these cults.
Joe, what I'm trying to say to you is you've never been not smoking weed with me on air. You need
I know, it's a
weed.
bummer. We should have had you come in a week.
You're angry. You're upset. I'll
But
be
I
here during the
wanted
election.
you to
Oh
be
my
on
God.
before
I
the
agree
election
with
and
you,
the shit.
Joe.
Who do you think's going to win, by the way?
Donald Trump is going to win.
You think so?
Then the Democrats are going to contest it. We're going to have the 79 days of
But
hell.
why are all the polls showing that Joe Biden is in the lead? Do you think it's all bullshit?
I need to set up my
Yeah, but these are the
loadouts for.
post election polls.
Joe, what I want to do is talk to you right now.
Why are you talking like that?
He's a conspiracy phone sex operator.
Talk about what a sexy man you are right now. I am
He's the only one here drunk. This is a real
I am
problem.
channeling Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon's
That's not
looking-
how Tim Dillon talks.
Tim Dillon's looking at you right now.
Do you really think that Trump is going to win? Because it's close.
No, he's going to win big.
Interesting.
Really?
This
But
is
I don't think
good.
that.
But they're going. Listen, I was not trying to interrupt you earlier.
Wind up
Well,
time.
this is how you talk. It's okay. You're
Hey, how
explosive
you
guy.
talk?
You got a lot of
It's
energy.
got
Joe,
passion.
Joe,
Stop
you've
passion.
talked,
Passion.
you've
This
talked
is
twice as much
great.
in our last 4-hour podcast. I love it. This is the sober Joe Rogan. Let's get back to this.
Trump.
What were we arguing about political correctness?
I don't know, but you were saying
This
we
is
weren't arguing.
pretty
He was saying that the
shit.
censors,
agreeing with
the
you.
censors, some of the censors are trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
And that you were saying, listen, it's deeper than that, and then that's where we left off.
Yeah, it's all been scientifically set up where they always say, oh, we're for outliers now and dog whistles. It's all about normalizing centralized control. Big tech knows it's psychological algorithms. It's totally destructive.
Oh, okay.
China,
I
that has
guess we can
people
do
in
this.
Muslims in death camps, Christians in death camps, Buddhists in death camps, is trying to totally normalize censorship here domestically when the whole left is involved with communist China through big tech. It doesn't say a word about them. They have no moral high ground to stand on, Joe.
Well, we have a real problem in this society when it comes to tech, first of all, because all the people that are on the moral high ground who are buying iPhones
That's pretty
know where this is
good.
being made. Like we all know.
Everybody knows.
And I admit it. I admit it.
I admit it as well. There's no iPhones that are being made in Ohio with highly skilled workers that are paid an excellent wage and they have great healthcare benefits. That's not what's happening. I don't know why, but that's not what's happening.
Sure.
They've decided that it's better to make them cheaper or better to have a higher profit margin and make them in other countries, or at least they decided that initially, and now they're stuck.
Let me ask you this. Who do you think is going to win? In fact, I will be very subdued now since I'm back.
Joe Jorgensen.
Yeah, I think Joe Jorgensen has a great shot.
Joe Jordan.
She's a shoo-in.
I mean,
And then Kanye West.
I think Joe Jorgensen, Kanye West. I think it's a nail bite.
The
It's
entire-
neck and
You know what
neck.
drives me crazy?
reason
neck and
staff
neck,
is
right?
Jennifer
voting for
Aniston
Joe
was-
Jorgensen
she made a
or
tweet
Joe
that
Biden.
said,
What drives me
it's
crazy
not-
is you're
it's not
hating me
fun.
right now
Libertarians
because
are
you're not
going-
drinking.
Hold on a second.
Left.
There was a fucking hilarious response by Kanye West. She said, Jennifer Aniston put on Twitter, hey, it's not funny to vote in for Kanye. Don't do it. And he goes, Friends wasn't funny either.
Hilarious. He's right. He's right. That's great.
Friends was not funny.
But it's, you see the two of them together. Friends was a funny show.
Joe, you were great on Friends.
I wasn't on Friends.
That's a joke.
Who do you think? You think?
I don't know.
If you were a Friends character, who would you be?
I'd probably be Matt LeBlanc.
Joe,
right?
Joey, Matt
I
LeBlanc.
don't think so. Who's Matt LeBlanc? His name is Joe.
Jennifer's the most
Yeah, I'd be
successful.
Joe.
She's
I'd
the
be
most
I
successful.
identify as Jennifer Aniston.
He was dumb. I'm dumb. Perfect.
Wouldn't you like to have a dentist like Jennifer Aniston in Horrible Bosses?
She was a dentist? What did she do? Molest her patients when they were
Yes.
under? Okay. Well, you could be molested by worse people.
Well, they're not
But
kids.
I just think it's funny that they,
Yeah.
someone who's an actor would say
let me-
that. Like
let me
this
see.
thing that
Do
they
I
feel
have
like they
this
have this
guy set
influence,
up
they're going to change the way
for-
people vote.
stupid.
Looking for a
This
type
80 days of hell you
Torpedoes.
speak of. What does that entail? Just so I can mentally prepare myself.
79 days. of
79 days of
No.
hell.
What are we
talking about?
79 days without
What's
Joe
gonna happen?
Rogan.
What's
gonna
gonna
I don't know,
happen?
79 days of us locked up in here with cases of whiskey and huge piles of marijuana.
He's lit. He's lit.
No. That's,
You're a little lit, buddy.
I don't
Look,
actually-
I could see that bottle, and it was a fresh bottle when you sat
No,
down.
that's
this is gonna be
that's fake. That's
second
Hollywood.
loadout.
That's not Hollywood. We're in Texas.
Wait a minute.
I gave up Hollywood years ago. I haven't worked in Hollywood in a long
Let's
time.
talk about this. What were you just asking?
I don't know.
79 days of hell. If
What
the
is it?
Democrats contest the election.
Problem. 79. See, this is not fair. 79 days of hell. That's how many days there are after November 3rd to the inauguration. And John Podesta in the New York Times, they had a big war game. The New York Times sat in on a Democrat high-level war game with Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and all of them. And they said, we're going to contest. We think we're going to win. But if we lose, we're still going to contest. And we're going to contest, and we're going to call for the UN to come in and occupy the U.S.
The UN is going to occupy the.
And then the New York Times came out and said, we need the UN to intervene in the U.S. election. And now the Four Horsemen just called for that yesterday.
Jesus.
And so they are planning to have
Who's the Four Horsemen?
AOC and the rest of the crew.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And so,
I thought that's the tribe.
anyways, and so they're planning to have Western states secede And they're saying they're going to hold the election up. You already saw this. They already denied the last election.
They can take Portland.
Yeah, take it all. Take
This
a lot
is
of
the
the West.
79 days of hell. Let me ask you this.
Who cares?
When did you decide to try to escape California?
Well, I told you, the looting. When the looting hit,
Well, you
I
told me
had
off air, I know,
Yeah, I had zero faith in their ability to maintain law and order. Because if you're going to pay all that money in taxes, I feel like you should at least feel like they're protecting things. And when they were just letting them smash windows and cops
Take
were told to stand
additional
down,
damage.
particularly in Santa Monica, there was like direct orders, and the sheriff was, being widely criticized for this. They were told to stand down while these people were smashing and looting things. When they were doing that, I was like, well, you can't live in a place where that's being tolerated. Because this goes from stores to, they'll move to nightclubs, they'll move to restaurants, they'll decide what they're going to smash. It had nothing to do with George Floyd. It had nothing to do with him.
I agree.
Those restaurants, those stores had nothing to do with George Floyd.
And now, like in Minnesota, Minneapolis, the crime rate's like
but then
triple. The police won't even show up. They're like, people are like, why are you even paying you?
Yeah.
So what do you think, both of you, Mr. Dillon, what is the end game of this?
I'm going to finish my answer
Okay,
because
go
I'm
ahead.
not done yet. It was also that there was restrictions that were put in place that didn't make any sense to me.
Shields.
There's restrictions for restaurants, restrictions for comedy clubs, restrictions for gyms. Like, why can't you just wear a mask?
Why are churches closed,
Yes.
but Walmart's open?
Well, why are churches closed, but why is it okay to protest?
It's not alcohol.
Why is everybody letting people protest?
Right.
Why aren't they saying, listen, I understand your want and desire to protest, but understand that you're most likely contributing to the spread of this virus? Because that's a fact.
Right.
Even if you support the protests.
The
I
end,
agree.
Yeah, the end game seems to be if you let society get bad enough, people will then accept all these more draconian security measures and censorship across the board. With
Do you think
tax.
that's what's going on with California? Like, why do you think they've kept California locked down this much?
They want to kill the U.S. economy. China's been open for 6 months. They admit it's leaked out that they're doing this to kill the U.S. economy. Remember?
It's leaked out how?
Let's come out. Democratic Party reports. It's been stated. You heard Democrats all over the news say we wanted depression to make Trump look bad.
Who said this?
Bill Maher.
Yeah, but Bill Maher is not a part of the Democratic Party. He's a comic.
I know, but I used
Bill
a public.
Maher, but he jokes around about that. Like, look, if we can crash the economy.
Okay,
and get
well,
rid of Trump.
regardless, when Jews try to, or Baptists in New York try to have an event, the police show up and arrest them. But then when Antifa or BLM was around, burn stuff down, the mayor says it's great. And the mayor said, de Blasio said, this is legitimate. Antifa's legitimate. Your church isn't. Your synagogue isn't. So it's power. It's selective enforcement. It's martial law. I have articles right here. 'Cause everything I brought today, I have the proof.
Joe.
ABC News is reporting in blue cities in Texas that they're going to come to your house and demand a COVID test, and if you don't, they're going to arrest you. Well, the federal and state courts have ruled they can't do that.
Where's that being said?
El Paso, Texas, and other
But I
areas.
want to bring you back to what you're saying about crashing the economy. You use Bill Maher as an example, and I just don't think that's a credible example because he's a comic.
Well, he said that.
Yeah, but he's a comic, and
Oh,
he's
but they
not
always
a politician.
say
He's not a
comics have bigger
politician.
coverage than news people now. That's why Colbert and all them pose as news people.
But Alex, you can't use him
this is
as an
pretty
example
good.
of someone who's
Really?
a politician
Paul?
who is calling
I think
for the economy to crash.
strategically, if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't want things to open up again until Trump was out. Right?
Agreed.
I mean, that's strategic.
Agreed. If you want
China wants us shut down. China admits they're using the virus to keep us shut down.
I think it's a bioweapon.
Well, I could give you an hour-long treatise on COVID-19.
Okay, we'll get to that momentarily.
Okay, I don't want to anger you, though.
Before we
No, I love being here. I'll sit here and tell fart jokes if you want. I'd rather get drunk and just have a good time.
Before we get to
gonna
that,
sit in Tim's lap,
but you
okay?
said something that I want you to back up. You said that the Democrats are I'm not denying the possibility that this is the case, but this seems like if that was the case, it would be a grand conspiracy that would at least you'd have to have some evidence of this to make that statement that they're trying or they want to crash the economy because they want to maintain power and to change censorship and to change the way
There are
the laws
countless
that
things.
people
Okay, we've had Governor Newsom, we've had Governor Whitmer, Cuomo, exactly, all say the economy isn't going to be open because Trump's done a bad job.
If I can get to like a
We're not gonna open it till
50-50
he's
with
gone.
dark
And then Whitmer's even
points, I
come out.
can
But
go
it's
to
rank.
Newsom has
ranked
openly said that.
fleet battles.
You sure?
I think.
Yeah, type it in. I mean,
But what do you think he said? Listen,
gonna
I'm a
play a
critic,
couple more
I'm a critic of
dogfights.
Newsom because of his he's become an autocrat. He's
keeps
become
his
this,
wineries open.
But there's a lot of issues, right? There's a lot of issues. So they close so many things.
Joe. Globalism was about selling America off and bankrupting us under Cloward and Piven
That's
strategies.
fine, but don't change the subject.
I'm not.
You specifically what Newsom said.
They can pull it up just like I told you about the AT&T.
But what did he say that you think? And again, I'm not a fan of him. I'm a critic. Listen, I think you got to give people, grown adults, the choice. If they just look, we don't have overrun hospitals. We don't have people dying in record numbers.
We don't have 5% death rates. We don't have 1%.
They keep saying the cases and the deaths are increasing. That is true. But as long as there's a disease, they're going to increase. The question is, at what rate? And the people that are
Joe,
dying,
it's never
how
about
many of them have comorbidity factors?
It's never about the death rate. It's always about increased infection because the death rate's way down. Now,
The death rate is way down.
As soon as the winter hits, they're going to
hold
say
on.
it's flu, and
Alex,
it's the colds. They're going to
Alex,
count as that.
You get me again. When you say the deaths increase, that is going to happen. The question is, by what rate and how many? Right? Well,
You take the normal flu and pneumonia morbidity, like they did this year, and you add that to the number. They've already run the same scam, and so whatever, they don't count flu as a death or pneumonia anymore. They all count it COVID because they get money on the chart.
Right.
They get
But
$50,000+ when they call it COVID death plus. When they say that, they get 13,000 to say it's a COVID patient, and they get 29,000 or whatever extra when they intubate somebody. And so now, since when is like Congress saying how to do medicine?
That's how you know.
Well, isn't the
Alex
idea
is
that they're doing
libertarian
this to
because
give money to these hospitals
cooperation
to
with
help them in the middle of
authority.
a pandemic?
Yeah,
So
Even
the,
if you
but
don't
the
agree,
hospitals reason to
code
do this.
everything as COVID to get the money. That's come out. They killed most people
It's
that died
not-
in nursing homes or died
it's
from
not something
intubation
he's,
when it's an autoimmune event and you don't want intubation. It's
partial
intubation
to.
that's killing people.
But they initially thought you did.
But that's why the
numbers because it was respiratory.
And thank
disease.
God the
No,
numbers
no,
went
in
down
his-
because they stopped
in his
intubating.
position.
Yes, that's
So
the big
now
thing.
it's
The
all about
authorities have
everyone's
not
being.
been nice,
Before,
kind
there was
to
high death
him.
rate because they were intubating and they were counting on, and they were killing old people.
Right.
As soon as they stopped
But
shipping folks to old
just
homes
wear-
that
wear-
weren't getting
wear
vitamin
the
D, 'cause no
masks.
sun, it went like this.
It's not a-
So
not a big deal.
infections like this, you pull the graphs.
Yes.
You know, you're like, what's your science? Pull it
It's
up.
like
And, you know,
this side of
infections
the
like this,
internet
deaths like
had
this.
Right, where you going up and down, right?
was
Death down.
screaming
Now,
about COVID
what did
first,
Gavin
and then
Newsom say,
screaming
though?
about
that when
it
you said
being
that he said it's not going to get
overblown
better until Trump's
also
out of office.
first. It's like
Well,
we
it's
overblew
Whitmer
it.
that said that specifically, and he
I
said
had-
Cuomo, because I remember that too.
I had
But
a
he was just basically
stockpile
like,
of
well, I
food
want to be friends with
and
Trump. It's been a
masks.
bad response. We've got to keep the lockdown going, and until Trump does this wrong, until we have a change, it's going to continue on.
But it
And then
seems
it's
we're
always
gonna
about the
be
power
fine
grab. Like,
now.
oh, it's 2 years
And
you have to do it. Now
that's
it's
the-
first it's 15 days to keep the hospitals empty, and then
The
it's
fucking diseases.
then it's
not a big
6
deal.
months, and now it's 2 years. And then Gates said like a week ago it's 10 years, and now they've got the people, Fauci and others, saying no, it never ends. You never shake hands.
Yeah.
And under the UN rules, they say don't look at someone and turn your head. So in Europe, you can type this in. Citizens in the UK told, do not look at other people and turn your head. It's cult programming, man.
I think it's a pretty common talking point, and some people agree with it. Like a lot of Democrats would say, yeah, it's not going to get better until Trump is out because Trump has made a mess of it. I don't think Trump's done the best
Yeah,
job.
that's what he
clearly.
said.
But that's a common
What
talking
could he have
point.
done better?
What,
done better. He shut
Oh
down
my
folks from
God.
China in February when Pelosi's running around in Chinatown saying, "Damn."
Yeah, I think it's a pretty common belief that they're saying, listen, so I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think like you have to find a source. I think it's like they believe if he wasn't in, that it won't get better until he's gone. So I don't think they actively are trying to make it better until he's gone.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
Exactly. They want to keep the crisis going.
I do see what you're saying. I just
Yeah.
want to know if there's evidence. I want to know if there's an actual statement where he said, when Trump leaves, then we'll open back up.
That's
again.
that's actually what Whitmer said specifically, but he said similar things.
All
But
right, well, let's find where
I'm going
Whitmer's
from memory here. I mean,
why
I
am I
understand,
the-
but that's
Jamie,
why I'm challenging
I
you
agree.
on it.
Jamie's on a ventilator.
But I'm challenging you on
I
this
just-
because
it's
people
not-
online
That's gonna be
are going to want to challenge
It's not
you
like
on
a
this.
vanilla-
So I want.
well, that's what they loved about our last
Vanilla
interview over a year and a
fighter,
half ago, which they loved, was that people could go and actually check the stuff I was saying, no matter
Yes,
how crazy
and a
they
lot
found.
of it is true. So I want to find
Yeah.
that quote now. See if Whitmer said
One
that
rocket
it
and
won't
a-
get better until Trump's out of office. In terms of the lockdown,
Yeah,
restrictions.
Whitmer, lockdown won't end until Trump's out.
Didn't she lose some court case recently?
Yes. Her Supreme Court and also federal courts have ruled across the country that you can't order churches to wear masks. You can't order social distancing. It's all just getting us to comply.
Don't you think it's a good idea to encourage people to wear masks if they're going into large gatherings?
A lot of
indoors?
studies show that it doesn't even protect you. Listen. Trump told the truth a few days ago when he came out and he said, "We're never going to control this. We have to learn herd immunity, or if you're really scared of it, take a vaccine." And the head epidemiologist at Rockefeller Hospital came out and said that and got banned on YouTube.
I mean, listen, Italy did social distancing. Italy did masks. Italy did everything you were supposed to do. And they're getting clobbered again. So that makes me think that maybe it's not a bad idea to do these things, but they don't seem to prevent a second wave.
Sweden didn't do any of it, and it's the lowest death rate in Europe.
Right, but it's also a country of small villages. They have a whole different way of life over there.
Well, I mean, Italy is a bunch of 3 generations living in one house.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And they're the oldest people in Europe.
Yeah. That's the
So yeah, and they need
smoke.
sunlight. They smoke.
They're all
good
smoking.
food.
Try finding a gym over there.
Well,
Jesus
they
Christ.
smoke on the treadmill.
It's so far. Every time I fucking go there, it's hard to find a gym.
Listen, exactly. They
Go
don't.
to a restaurant. Enjoy your life. Have a restaurant.
Joe, I came out 8 months ago, and I was selling the stuff, but I said, get it at the store. Vitamin D, vitamin C,
Zinc.
and zinc. If you have that on the NIH website, it can't.
Oh, come on.
According to the NIH website, cannot replicate inside the mitochondria.
do you mean
When
turn
the virus
around?
plugs into the cell, it makes it replicate. Okay. And so I mean, like Jones claims he's got a cure. No, it's not a cure. If you've got sunlight and zinc and vitamin C,
Okay,
only
you
thing
can't
you need,
get
it's very
behind this
hard
rock
to get
for
these
some
things. That's why it's old
bullshit.
people in nursing homes that haven't been outside in years. They're dying so easily. Now, Fauci finally 2 months ago came out and said, you need vitamin D, you need vitamin C, you need
Well,
zinc.
that is true. And young Jamie takes vitamin D, and he kicked it in a day.
Change Starfighter.
Young Jamie was
want
feeling
to
bad
play
for
this.
a day.
But I don't want to argue, Joe. I want to just say, I love Bill Gates.
Okay. I use Windows.
I'm looking for
Tell
the
me
quote. I can't find
Whitmer's quote.
a specific quote that says that. There's lots of quotes about them going back and forth, obviously, because they've had a public battle.
I just think anybody like that, whether it's Bill Gates or Bezos or anybody who's a billionaire, if they say, here's a suggested course of action, they have to expect that they're going to be criticized. And a lot of these guys don't like taking any criticism. They're issuing edicts. These are billionaires that are saying, this is how we're going to live.
Yeah, that's the next big
This
question.
amount of
Isn't it
vaccinations.
strange, though, that Bill Gates, who is not a health expert, is all of a sudden
Oh
one of the
my
leading
God.
voices?
Yeah, it's strange.
But
it's,
that's my
curious.
that's my next question.
Yeah.
Why is Bill Gates, who's not a doctor, suddenly on TV telling me how my life's going to go and what I'm going to do? This is the most important part.
Why
right
is this a big project for him?
Well, he's also a guy that wanted to shoot a missile of dust into the atmosphere to help climate change. I mean, very few people in history have had the resources to even think of doing something like
That's
that.
right. He wants to have jet spray chemicals to block the sun.
Right. And the scientists went,
never heard of it before, Joe?
no good. They went, not a good idea. So, and then if you call him on that, he goes, the lies and the conspiracy theories. It's like, no, we're just asking you why you want to
Here's an
shoot
example. Here's
missiles
an
into
example.
space.
He went on CBS News and they go, 80% of those taking your vaccine trial are getting very sick. Some are dying. He's like, well, that's just how it is. You need to pull his clips up. What?
He said that's just how it is.
Yeah, he said, well, the
Kind
FDA
of
is gonna
stupid when I
approve it.
tell two of my guys and they run away from me
like
and they don't give me
He's
support
deep red. Look at
when
you.
I'm giving
You're
them
blending in with
support.
the walls.
It's kind
But
of
yeah, it's a
fucking
problem.
bad.
That's hilarious. That's a problem. It's a problem.
You know, I'm kind of retarded.
This is listen.
Yeah,
this is the
that meme
remember.
is hilarious.
For 2 years, they said Trump worked for. I've heard of political mudslinging my whole life. For 2 years, they said Trump was an agent of Russia. He was an asset of Russia. The president. Then they did a whole report, and then it came out that he wasn't. There was no proof of it. It was the CIA, the NSA, everybody. And then they went like this. They went, well, we might have been wrong about that. I mean,
You know what
it's
was
mind.
one of the
Also,
most
they're-
disturbing things to me was when Ted Cruz was cross-examining Comey when he was asking him questions about what they did with evidence and how they doctored evidence. What do you got, Jamie? Oh,
I just can't believe that Brian Redband is here.
he saved us. Brian flew in when Jamie tested positive for cooties, and we
Have I
had to
known him
have
like
a
16
direct
years?
protocol. Yeah, forever. So we had to have the protocol was you have to be 10 days and you have to test negative 3 days
Should
in a row
Brian move here?
before you. Yeah, Brian's gonna move here. He's looking at houses right now.
You are too.
Tim's gonna move
I
here.
might.
You're moving here, bitch.
I might.
Come on, son.
I don't
Brian.
know. I gotta save LA first from the
Listen,
Satanists.
it's not coming back. That I know.
Hey, let's talk about
Clubs are
that.
Not coming back.
Please, a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight you.
We're not fighting.
And I'm not. I mean, this much apple
It's a
juice.
little
I'm
bit-
having trouble
it's
thinking.
okay. It's okay. I love you.
No, you
We're
did
fine.
this. Just have some.
No, I can't. I made a promise.
But on election night, I can pop in.
Yes,
We're gonna have
that's November 3rd. That's November.
But I will be able to
have
pop in.
6 more.
I
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
pro-
yeah.
we're very
Put that
excited.
down. I have 6 more days of sobriety.
That's gonna be a fun.
But I gotta be
Oh my
honest,
God.
a little high from the cigar.
Hey, you couldn't have a bigger promo for your election night. I'm glad you actually announced it here.
Well, Kyle Kalinski's been asking when he can announce it, so now you know, Kyle. There you go. It's official.
Kyle Kalinski.
I'm excited to get everybody in the room
All right,
and watch
listen,
the
I
demise
wanna
of
cover
West
some of
Virginia.
How
those
mad
things
is
out there.
Destiny
real time.
about
Can I tell you
this?
some stuff?
Yeah, what do you
How
got?
mad is Destiny about
Do we ever find a quote for Whitmer?
Kyle Kalinski and Joe Rogan and Vaush and
Do you want me to find it?
Paul?
Can you? Just Google on your phone. And Tim and I will talk amongst ourselves.
Okay,
and
go
then
ahead.
we'll pull up whatever that is.
Gretchen Whitmer, they almost kidnapped her, by the
Here
way.
it is.
No, I don't have it. I'm just saying.
Oh, Whitmer when Trump leaves office quote.
She was almost
Somebody find it.
there was a kidnapping plot against her,
No, it's
Yes.
Whitmer.
which 52% of the
Lockdowns won't end until Trump gone. That's just come on.
right.
Lockdowns won't end until Trump gone. Try that.
Whatever. I know it's true.
Try
I
that.
don't find it.
Whitmer, lockdowns won't end until Trump gone. He'll find it. Yeah, the plot to assassinate her. What the fuck
It was a
that all
plot to
about?
like kidnap her. That was weird. But
And
I'm
I
sure it's a
predicted
murder,
up
right?
front that it was going to be FBI provocateurs, and it turned out the 2 leaders were FBI informants.
What? What's even crazier is 52% of the citizens in Michigan agreed with the plot. That's a joke.
Good one.
They're gonna edit that part. Where you say that's a joke.
Joe Rogan's guest calls for kidnapping.
This is outrageous.
This
Deplatform.
is central control.
When I went on Alex's show, Alex goes, Snopes always goes and finds like jokes he makes, and they go, correction, Hillary Clinton is not an Oompa Loompa.
Did you guys see that Brett Weinstein's Unity 2020 account was also banned from
My
Twitter?
producer just told me that. Yeah.
His Unity 2020 account which was calling for a third party, was calling for unity between people on the right and the left to get together and have conversations and perhaps even have an alternative candidate.
That's outrageous.
Well, he's a fucking scholar, and he's a guy who became famous because he was a professor at Evergreen University, and the leftists took over the college.
When they said we're going to shut it down and whites can't come one day a month,
Yeah.
they had,
and then they banned him.
yes. Well, they didn't
Frozen.
just ban him. They went looking for him in the parking lot
They
with a
chased
baseball
around with
bat.
baseball bats, yeah.
It was terrifying
So-
shit.
so let me ask
and
this.
then the principal was going along with everything. Literally, they yelled at the principal, "Don't gesture with your hands." because you're threatening us. But he was talking like this, like,
Oh,
put
did
your
you
hands
hear?
up.
started
And they started
laughing at him.
British universities like Oxford, I think is the one. Look it up. Oxford or Cambridge, one of the big ones. You can't clap. It's a microaggression, Joe.
Oh, that's so crazy. But this is what we were talking about for years, and people were saying, why are you concerned with what happens in the universities? It's the same thing we were saying about censorship. Because it fucking, it keeps going. It
never
doesn't
stops,
stop.
yeah.
When you allow that kind of nonsense in universities, those kids graduate, and they want to carry these goofy fucking practices into all of these
So let
corporations.
me ask you
And
about
you're
this
seeing
question.
that now. You're seeing that now.
It's one of the things I wrote down. I wanted to ask you, Joe and Tim Dillon. What happens? Where do they stop? Because they're going to keep running until they hit opposition, which is starting to happen. How far does it go?
I was hoping there was going to be some sort of a federal regulation. I was hoping that Trump was going to step in and they were going to amend the First Amendment to include social media. Because I think what you're seeing now, the argument that these are just private corporations, I don't think that argument is valid anymore because the impact that they have, the significance of being able to speak or not being able to speak, has massive implications on our election. We see this with the New York Post being
Election
censored.
meddling.
We see it with the New York Post being censored with this Hunter Biden story. Whether you agree with the story being leaked or not, the fact that the New York fucking Post, which is a legitimate newspaper, as outrageous as they are, and the fact that the fucking White House press secretary gets banned from Twitter for tweeting that link.
That's very dangerous.
This is crazy.
I mean, I think sadly it leads to violence, because if you take everybody's ability to communicate away, there's nothing left to do but commit acts of violence.
And by the way, that's a Kennedy quote. Those that make peaceful revolution.
Jamie found something.
This is as close as I could get to one.
Okay.
Come on,
The
where's my
Trump virus
rockets?
response is the worst in the globe, she said. If you're tired of lockdowns, or you're tired of wearing masks, or you wish you were in church this morning, or watching college football, or your kids were getting in-person instruction, it's time for a change in this country, and that's why we've got to elect Joe Biden.
I mean, that's pretty.
That's what I mean.
You can make that.
You can say whatever you want almost.
Yeah.
But that's the common sentiment, right? This is
Right, but
pretty much
the problem is, if you just take it from, if you're tired of lockdowns,
And then
you get one
Yeah.
interpretation of it. But if you back it up to the Trump virus response is the worst in the globe, she said, if you're tired of lockdowns. So what she's saying
I think we're
is
splitting
that
hairs.
I mean, you're not necessarily, because what she's
Okay, well, I
saying
saw a
is
clip
Trump,
of her in a speech
hopefully,
saying that.
because that's the problem with taking something out of context. What she's saying
listen,
is
we
He's a
gotta-
wonderful person.
Trump's done, no, I'm not saying that. What she's saying is that Trump has done such a shitty job. That's the reason why we're locked down. You can't go
No,
to
I
church.
get it. I get it. The headline
I
was.
don't know if that's true, though. I think when you got a contagious disease, you got people flying in from Europe and China and all these other countries that are expressing, you're going to have spread. It's a fucking insanely contagious disease.
Listen,
Joe,
we
one of my
have to- we
favorite
have to
parts of your
kidnap
show is when you ask Jamie for something and the light turns on when you're looking at it.
You're in a How hammered are you right now? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Not at all.
We're into numerology. This is when it gets good.
You better. Okay. Let's talk. Just be nice to me, Joe.
I am being nice to you.
You got me here. I know you are. Let's get serious. Everybody wants to hear what I actually have to say. Okay.
Numerology?
What was the question? You had me on 9/11,
Yes.
1255 now, 1555.
Yeah, don't connect the dots. It's just, I'm in town. It's random.
Well, you
It's a
told
normal-
me you
it's a good
picked
time.
9/11 on purpose.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just fun. But this,
There's nothing bad.
do you understand how this quote, you could interpret that in a different way? Like, I think
The
what she's
entire
saying
Democratic Party strategy
I understand.
is to say Trump is to blame for COVID,
What she's
and to say the
saying-
economy shut down so you get them elected.
I don't think
And that
that's
they'll-
what she's saying.
They're all saying.
I understand you
Joe
can
Biden's
interpret
like,
that.
we're going to end this COVID by endless lockdowns once Trump's out. If you want to go back to normal, do this. And their own. Listen, this is an end of civilization event. The Rockefellers and others put out Operation Lockstep. They're never going to stop this. They're going to have COVID tracking. They're going to have checkpoints. They're going to have apps on your
So
phone.
how do we stop this?
What Trump came out and did and said, we cannot defeat this with vaccines
Oh my god.
and with COVID tracking, with shutdowns. It's going to have to be with herd immunity, which is what the scientists actually brought articles
Why
said.
can't we beat it with what he beat it with? He's 74 and he eats French fries every day. This motherfucker kicked it in 4 days.
That's what I'm
That's
telling
supposed to be
you.
a death sentence.
Joe,
for old
if you've
people.
got vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc, it's very hard to get.
Okay, but clearly he's got more than vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc. He's got a bunch of medical treatments, right?
Well, he was given Regeneron. He was given things that are expensive and probably not widely available.
But wait a minute, Jamie tested positive. He's right over there a day later.
Jamie's young and viral.
But I'm saying, since when does something come
It's a weird
along
word. I never
and
seen
we
it.
go,
He's also viral.
civilization is over. Civilization is over
Viral.
because of this thing that came out of China. You're not even supposed to come. You want to ask where COVID came from? Ask what it is.
Jamie,
What
do
is
you
it?
feel better about the disease now that you kicked it so quickly?
I mean,
How old are
not
you?
at first.
How old are you?
37.
37?
At first I was a little worried. The first day. I was like,
You're like, oh shit,
there you go. What's on? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Ventilator time.
months,
Right,
right?
right.
Because you've talked to people on the show that have been fucked up by it. Yeah,
How lucky am I going to be today? Is also
right.
a thing.
And
But still
you were also
statistically-
taking all the vitamins.
I mean, I got all that. We had NAD and all that stuff too in my system.
Yeah.
So like, maybe that helped.
I'm sure.
Sure did, of course. Statistically, they said 5% of us will be dead. It's not even
Well, they thought
0.1%. Okay,
this is what they thought.
But they're the all-powerful gods. It's like the UN says, you will not question us, Big Tech says. You will not question anything the UN says. The UN's like, oh, we shouldn't do a lockdown. It's killing millions of people, starvation. But still, it's like, we're keeping the lockdown going, the United Nations said.
Well, what do you think should be done?
I mean, I think we should look at something that isn't much worse than the flu and say we all need natural vitamins and nutraceuticals and sunlight and health, and people should just know they got to deal with it the way it is, because we always get diseases, we always get viruses, we always live with it. The idea we got to lock society down and go into our houses, and this is a post-industrial move that they're using to roll out these systems to keep us locked down in our homes.
Right, and if you want to be cynical, this is where you step in and say the reason why they want us to be upset and they want the economy to be fucked is because they hate the president and they want him out of office and they want to regain power.
Oh,
they want
fuck
the Democrats
off.
to remake
Remake the American economy in the image of what they want. They want to remake a lot of these systems that they feel are, for whatever reason,
Unjust.
Really,
unjust
I have
or
a
unjust
guy
or whatever.
who's
They
on
want
my
to use this
tail
opportunity
for
to kind of
so long,
redraw the
nothing
lines.
touched
Exactly.
Did that after 9/11.
Exactly. This is the new 9/11. The UN and the Davos group all say this is the post-industrial world, the Great Reset. I got a copy of it for it right here. And they say in these documents, we are going to reorganize society. COVID is good to shut down the carbon. Carbon is bad. We're going to end success. We're going to end prosperity. We're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
track everybody. We're going to control their
what's it
lives.
called?
All
The
in the
Great
name of COVID.
Reset.
They said
I
all
wish-
that. They said we're going to end success, we're going to end prosperity.
Yeah, in the lockstep the Rockefeller document 2010, they say we'll have a viral release or a simulated one that creates total fear. We'll bring in a police state, martial
Is
law.
this available for someone to read?
Absolutely.
Alex, wasn't there
Okay.
something called Agenda
Try to
21 or
find that.
something where they were saying we want people living in cities, we don't want home ownership, we don't want...
Compact cities, yeah.
Yeah,
and,
this is-
and
yeah.
you were saying it earlier. They go, oh, it's for the greater good that we don't have cars anymore. It's for the greater good we have done
No,
a
that's not what I
single.
was saying. What I was doing was playing devil's
No,
advocate.
you were quoting them.
Yeah, what I was saying, there's
I'm not saying you said that, Joe. You believe in that.
I was
Believe in
saying that
homes.
autonomous. I do believe in cars too. Autonomous vehicles are in the future, at least, likely to be safer than people just driving and texting.
Well, it's not safe giving control of these corporations and robots and making ourselves obsolete. We need to build a pro-human future.
Oh, I'm pro-human. But
No, I know you are.
wanna
I'm not
know
saying you're
the
not, Joe.
Rockefeller thing from 2010. That was a weird
So
segue.
I've
I'm
already,
pro-human.
I started, and
Press the
I was
K
already
key
looking this
for
up as you mentioned it, because I
accessibility
was going
options.
down my own little rabbit hole. It says, when I first started to find it, my first search just says there's a large conspiracy has been built out of a small grain of truth from this document from 2010.
Where's
Okay.
my
That's what it
fucking
starts to say.
stickers?
So I haven't
Oh, is that
gotten-
Snopes?
Small
There's
grain
just-
of truth.
Yeah.
So Snopes is
let's-
like God. It's like
I don't think. Is it Snopes that you Googled?
Let's
this?
focus on the grain of
no,
truth.
no. Who says it's a grain of truth?
Trying to figure hold on, I got a lot.
No. It's
But then-
Operation Lockstep, and it says a global police state will be brought in from a pandemic, and there'll be worldwide martial law. It actually says it in the document.
Okay.
It's like they always go like, oh, there's no Hunter emails to admit the emails are real.
Right.
I love that clock.
It is weird that they're
beautiful
saying GGT Studios, but it is weird.
Here's a document.
Okay.
Where-
The Rockefeller Foundation Annual Report 2010.
I'll control F. What would you like me to look up?
Look up police state. Look up.
Yeah, just look at police state.
I forget the exact words. I mean, just go read it for yourself.
Control F police state. This is just one paper. That's it.
Where's my?
So when you control F
Yeah, it would
police
come
state, nothing. Okay. What else?
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I've read it
joined the
before. It
game,
says
but
that.
it's
So
just
anybody
ended.
can go read it right now.
So you think they edited it?
No. I mean, I can't remember the
Oh
exact
my
words.
God,
Okay,
is
well
this
let's
a
look up
loss?
pandemic. Look up
Or
pandemic.
what? Yeah, it's a loss.
Pandemic just means widely distributed. Epidemic means you're actually sick.
4 mentions of
Press
the word
the
pandemic.
key key twice for options.
All right. With no network to transfer critical infectious disease information without
Does
open
it
lines of
count?
communication, thousands more fall sick. The new, in quotes,
Oh my
disease
God, this
becomes an
game
unchecked
counts?
pandemic. By the time the right expertise
Come
is
on,
brought to
don't
bear on the
put me in
problem,
the
it's
queue
too
with
late.
people.
The disease has spread around the globe. In a
What
world
is
of global
this
trade and travel,
shit?
what's traded faster and travels
This counts
furthest
to my-
are the
towards
microbes in
my
every handshake.
career
Southeast Asia.
average?
So what is this in reference to?
Press the E
Okay, it
key
says a
twice
few
for
miles
options.
east. Young boy and his men. Yeah, no, hold on, don't please go back to that. Yeah, it's just a scenario that they're painting. So make that a little larger. No, go back to it. Just go back to where it was. All right.
Press the K key
The
for
potential pandemic of the past few
accessibility
decades have
options.
severely tested the world's ability to work across human borders. Detection remains weak in many parts of the world. The public health response has frequently been slow and fragmented. The looming threat of infectious disease presents humanity with a new challenge to communicate and collaborate swifter and with greater efficiency than ever before. That doesn't sound like they're trying to end the world.
Okay, well, you're just reading one of these documents. I can pull the articles. I
I
can show it to yourself.
understand, but this
It's
is
world government controlled. They talk about a
Right.
worldwide police state. You search the term pandemic. I'm telling you what's in these things.
okay. Emerging pandemics, the new century, SARS, avian flu, and swine flu. If we don't move quickly,
Investigated systems to bring in
But
global
it
government.
seems like they're trying to prevent pandemics. If
They
we
love
don't
us.
move quickly, viruses will. By continuing our drive to invest in systems that coordinate efforts and share information, the Rockefeller Foundation is working to
Yeah,
ensure
which is the global
that we
government
have the
controlling
ability
all of this.
to meet the health challenges of an interconnected world.
Isn't the perfect
I like
analogy
the whole-
terrorism? Because it's like terrorism exists. People want to prevent terrorism, but it's like, how many rights do you give up in order to do that? And then, all these proactive measures that we take to prevent terrorism, a lot of them create more terrorists. So I think it's like a balance of like remaining a free society and dealing with a lot of these
Man,
problems.
listen, I sit here, we sit here and we talk about something, and whether Jamie can find it or not becomes the arbiter whether it's real. So they found something about an AT&T lobbying. They didn't find a thing about this. I've got the Operation Lockstep documents where they say we're going to bring in this global authoritarian police
but
state.
you have to show us those.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here in studio talking to you about this.
But I understand. I
That's all-
understand.
that's
I
all
understand what you're
internet.
saying. But we want to try to.
But
read it.
everybody else watching this is going to look it up.
Well, I hope they do.
They're going to go crazy.
I hope we.
No, that's
I
good.
wish we could have found it right then if it's real.
No, you want to show it.
But
Wait
it
a
might
minute.
be an
There's a statement
interpretation of what they're saying, like the Whitmer
No,
quote.
it says specifically.
The Whitmer quote is just a
Biden's
criticism of Trump. She's blaming
September
all this
29.
No,
lockdown.
Whitmer
on
was
Trump.
found by the Supreme Court of Michigan and by a
What
federal
the
court to have seized
actual
all three branches of government and
fuck?
basically set up martial law. They even use those terms. And she
When-
was overturned.
When you say in that quote, I want to, when you say if you are sick of lockdowns
Yes.
and you're sick of not being able to go to church, Joe Biden should be elected.
Agreed.
That is not a huge jump from what he said.
No, it's not a huge
Yeah,
jump.
yeah.
But the problem is the way it's being said. She was talking about how bad Trump handled the rate of infection first.
Of course, and that's
All right, well, let's expand on that. I remember interviewing Lou Dobbs 15 years ago, back when he was still on CNN. And we were looking at documents where it said we're going to bring in global government, the North American Union, using the threat
You're
of
writing
viruses,
today with a great
migration flows,
concern
and
that
economic
is
collapse. And they said like a deadly flu or a deadly SARS.
you
I'm
continue
sitting
to
here
book
watching
Rudy
this power
Giuliani
grab,
on your
watching
air
the UN and
to
big
spread
tech saying,
false,
well, you can't say
debunked conspiracy
that the
theories on
UN's wrong
behalf
'cause
of
the
Donald
UN's in charge.
Trump.
Since when is the news, WHO, and all these doctors, all these medical doctors that come out and say other things other than like how
While
steroids
you
cured it,
often
or,
fact-check his
hydroxychloroquine
statements in
helped
real
it,
time
how are they
during
being
your
banned?
discussion,
Even if
that
they were
is no
wrong,
longer enough.
They should have their license removed.
What?
That's what that's
By
about. It's
giving
not
him your
Google
airtime,
decides
you are
that if
allowing
something
him
isn't
to
the UN, it's
produce
taken down. That's all I'm
increasingly
saying.
Well, it is a
unfounded
problem
and
that they're
desperate
deciding
lies
which doctors to listen
into
to,
the
which
national
doctors not to,
conversation.
when there is some
Introduce,
real controversy as to how to
increasingly
handle the
relevant.
virus
We
with
write
treatment,
to
right? What
demand
treatment
that
is effective
in
and what isn't.
service to
Now,
the
it turns
facts
out there's
you
a lot
no
of doctors that
longer
think
book Rudy
hydroxychloroquine isn't
Giuliani,
effective.
a surrogate to
There's a
Donald
lot of-
Trump,
there's some
who
doctors
has
that thought it was,
demonstrated
and they
that
think
he
that
will
the
knowingly
combination
and
of zinc
willingly
and
lie in
but
order to
the
advance his
the
own
problem is the
narrative.
people that are deciding what gets
Oh,
taken down or not get
That's a
gets
huge
man.
taken
problem.
down.
And the problem is that the
God.
doctors who go, well, we think, that, it's like we've minimized the voices of the people that are saying one thing,
Right.
and we've elevated the voices of the people that are saying another thing, and it's like that becomes the real issue. Whether people like Trump, there's stuff to criticize about Trump. We all know that.
And in their defense,
Yeah.
they're doing it because they think that people are going to do something foolish and they're going to go out and spread the virus further. Because
Well, it's not the media's job, though. This is the problem. I think the media has taken on this really activist role where they are now.
worse. It's not the media.
Worse. Yeah.
Social media. Social media
media too,
companies.
yeah.
Not even necessarily the media. Where you have like legitimate journalists that are taking
Will
on this
Trump
role.
do you think he would do something in his second term about social media?
I think he certainly is going to do something. He has
Why
to,
hasn't he done
because-
something already?
Because it's so complex, because they'll claim it's election meddling, even though they're doing that at the same time. What we have is multinational corporations acting in tandem. They're already making the nation state obsolete. They're creating a information warfare monopoly, and they're censoring people and using that power they have. And we just sit here denying it's going on until it's too late. I mean, it's a really serious situation.
And it is a crazy situation.
40
where all of
seconds.
these
Let's
tech
read
companies
more.
all lean left. All of them.
Oops.
They lean left and they support.
Not
Like
all
there's
we
no
wanna read.
tech companies are out there supporting Donald Trump. There's no tech
Well,
companies.
what's
out
very
there
interesting
supporting
is tech companies are very wealthy people, right?
Right.
They're insanely wealthy.
But David Pakman had a really good point about
Yeah.
that. That they like when it comes to the
tried
financial
to
dealings,
resurrect
they're
the
very
argument that
conservative.
Very
Vice President
libertarian
Oh,
Biden's
they don't pay taxes.
anti-corruption work in
Right. I mean,
Ukraine
Google pays
was
almost taxes.
intended to
What I'm telling you.
benefit his
Does Apple
son
complain
when
about China's
every
slave factories in
single
China?
independent
No,
outlet
it's
has
what I'm telling you
reported
is,
that
it's all
Vice
BS. And when you
President
study
Biden was
what they're
advancing the
doing,
foreign
sit on my phone
policy
and pull it
goals
up.
of the
They
United
talk about
States
lockstep,
government, the European
bringing in a
Union.
global authoritarian
Bullshit.
system. They talk
Bullshit.
about riots.
This is
They
all
talk
bullshit.
about war.
If you can find that article,
There are-
send it to
listen,
Jamie.
I
Jamie got something.
I found something, but I'm trying to understand what it's saying because it's speaking about years in the future as though they've already happened.
Well, we're not too far
Let's
away
see
from.
it. Let's see it
Yeah,
because
this
like
is the
they're
archive.
painting another scenario, just like they painted
This is on-
with that infection scenario.
Archive.org I found. Like, I
Okay.
went to the second page of this link, but this is like scenario narratives. It says lockstep.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about pandemics from 2012 and the SARS and all sorts of H1N1. So I skipped into the next page while you guys are talking. And this is the part that's a little strange, which is getting into what I think he is now talking
Where's that?
about.
Can you highlight it?
It started here because it says something about Kenya in 2025 and people being weary of top-down.
Okay, by 2025, people seem to be growing weary of so much top-down control and letting leaders and authorities make choices for them. Wherever national interest clashed with individual interest, there was conflict. Sporadic pushback becomes increasingly organized and coordinated as disaffected youth and people who have seen their status and opportunities slip away, largely in developing countries, incited civil unrest. By 2026, protesters in Nigeria brought down the government. Fed up with the entrenched cronyism and corruption, even those who liked the greater stability and predictability of this world began to grow uncomfortable and constrained by so many tight rules and by the strictness of national boundaries. The feeling lingered that sooner or later something would inevitably upset the neat order that the world's governments had worked so hard to establish.
Okay, I never read that, but that's the other stuff. It's in there. It's thousands of pages.
Okay.
It talks about global police state and worldwide riots. And
I mean, we're not that
arrested.
far away. There's
Weird
Oh my
ways of
God,
writing
what
that.
the
They're
fuck?
writing
Where
it
did he
almost
come
like-
from?
I've never seen that part.
It's like, but
I'm just saying it
Yeah,
says
he
stuff
just
like
came
that.
from the top.
Listen, look at
That
the ideas like the EU, right? It's a supranational financial architecture. People are saying that borders are racist. People are saying that the idea of America is racist. The country is, the idea of a country or a nation state is racist. There is this growing idea or ideology that global governance is a good thing, or that nation states are, exclusionary.
That's the thing.
Are bigger and operate
People are
more powerfully than governments.
thinking
And so they want control, and they say they want control, and they're going to use racial differences between two countries to play them off against each other, and they're going to use
world government is inevitable.
Control. And that's what they say in these
Second,
white papers is the corporations are using this for global control, and there will be rebellions against it. That's what I read.
And then people have more loyalty to multinational corporations and more loyalty. They have more in common with people that live in London or Davos or Switzerland than they do to their American citizens, and that becomes the problem.
But you've got Google and Facebook executives on jumbo jets and mansions telling us we've got to lower our carbon footprint and be poor. They're hypocrites. It doesn't hold water.
Yeah. How do we get out of
There it is. Authoritarian capitalism. I mean, I remember, I don't have it in front of me, but I was reading the lockstep Rockefeller documents, and they predicted worldwide police state, authoritarianism, civil war. I mean,
They're predicting in 2018. It says, will Africa's embrace of authoritarian capitalism a la China continue? And then Vietnam require a solar panel in every home in 2022. And then in 2025...
That's not the same documents I saw, but that's the question is...
It's weird the way they're writing this. They're writing this as if they're predicting...
Already happened.
Yeah. They're talking about it like they're seeing the future and like almost like it's fiction.
But
they're
Joe,
talking about it like it's
here's Trump
inevitability.
saying, we're not going to control the pandemic. You don't. You get used to it. You get over it. You fight it with nutraceuticals. You fight it with, with therapeutics. It's the idea that when Bill Gates came out 2 weeks ago and he goes, we'll be shut down for 10 years.
Is that what he said?
He said, yeah. He said, this goes on for 10 years until there's not one corona case. Well, they picked the perfect problem they can never defeat.
But isn't that crazy? Like you see a guy like Jamie who literally kicked it in a day. And they're saying we're going to close down the world for 10 days.
Well, it's also like the war on terror is still going on. I mean,
yeah, they want They want a problem that never goes away.
Yeah, it's never going to. I mean, the Cold War went on forever. I mean, this is just, they like these things.
So, but we've entered into 3 hours in here, 2.5 hours in here. We've entered into this weird spot. We're like, okay, what could be done?
You're going to drink whiskey.
Yeah.
All right, I've already been invited election night. I'm here.
What could be done? What can be done?
Man, all I know is I try to tell the truth. I make mistakes, but I'm sitting here with these notes where I read what globalists say. I gave you that Wall Street Journal article. They go, we're impure. We can get sick. It's time to get rid of all humans and merge with machines. It's so beautiful. I think, well, that's just one
My
group.
God.
It's all these people. And really, they're trying to convince the public to all roll over and die.
But wait a minute, isn't that a provocative article by a journalist who's trying to paint a rosy picture of our symbiotic relationship with
Oh, I had
technology?
two
And
on my
someone
head.
saying, like, I mean,
Fucking
literally
great.
saying, looking forward to the end of humanity. It's a provocative article. It's like,
But that's the nihilistic attitude these people actually pick up. I mean,
yes, it is, but it's also sort of this inevitable if you extrapolate from where we are now with technology to where we're going to be in 20, 30 years. And when you look at things like Neuralink, and you look at a lot of this technology that they're coming up with.
but we're talking about big tech censoring us. I don't want it plugged into my goddamn brain.
Yeah, it's probably a bad
problem.
idea. It seems like a bad idea to have them invade your body.
Well, when you're talking about centralized power like that, it is a bad idea.
It's not a good idea.
It's a bad idea to give them
All
power
I'm saying
over
is,
speech.
Joe, and
It's
I'm
a
glad
bad
you're
idea.
here. I'm glad you're here. I'm very excited to be here tonight. I really appreciate you. We have to get people to debate the fact that there's people, engineers and technocrats, choosing their course, and that the public is not involved in deciding that course.
Well, I hope people are starting to understand when you see the White House press secretary get banned from Twitter, when you see the New York Post links get banned from Twitter, I hope people are starting to understand that giving people power, giving large groups power over whether it's national discourse, whether it's health policy, any of these things, it's bad. It's a bad idea. It's a
bad idea.
It's a bad
Exactly.
idea.
You don't want to give
Founding
Alex Jones
fathers-
power over that.
The founding fathers, although they didn't predict technology, they didn't predict the internet, they did predict what happens when you give human beings ultimate power.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
so Joe, you just said it. So let me ask this question. See, you got a huge audience. We can really change the world. You've done a good.
No one's listening.
No, they're listening.
There's no one
If you
listening.
want to change the world, you go on to listen to Milano's show.
That's the show.
Yeah.
Dude,
No,
I only get 3 times as many listeners. So.
people that are zombies don't matter. I'm sorry, what they mean.
Oh my God! Come the fuck
I'm sure she won't
on!
take zombie
Let
offense.
me tell you
I
the
don't
big-
think zombies
Did
are
you
very
guys hear
nice.
what I said?
You say what I said.
Yeah.
Listen, you can look at Tony Podesta or John Podesta and laugh at them. They run the Democratic Party. He came out 2 months ago in the New York Times bragging. They were in the meeting and they were wargaming on thousands of people listening on a telephone call. They go, we're not going to concede and we're going to have the country break up and we're going to have secession and we're going to call for the UN to invade America.
How fucked up would it be if you all this stuff actually comes true the
If
way
this
you're describing
happens,
it?
this will be fucking insane. I have to
And
use
then,
it. Can I use the bathroom?
go ahead. But when people are talking about, be careful with that camera. Don't bump that camera.
But I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying they're saying it. Because if it doesn't happen, I'll be glad. They're like, oh, Jones is saying this is happening.
No, I know you will be glad.
They're literally
but
saying
if this
this.
does happen, this podcast can be heavily criticized, right? We're all aware. But when we knew that coming in. But when this goes down, if this goes down the way
Where's my
how eerie would this
fucking
be?
Rocket.
rocket?
It would be very eerie, very scary. Because I mean, I'll tell you, like, this is what they're saying they're going to do. Now, I hope they don't do it. But they are saying that they're going to contest the election when they lose. And if Trump tries to declare it, big tech is implementing this AI system that's going to block hundreds of millions of Americans from being able to say
Got stuck in chat.
Trump won election night.
Yeah. And
So that's why election night is so spectacular.
And some people can say, well, there's never been voter fraud before, or voter fraud has been so minuscule in the past. That is true. But however, the ability to vote by mail
I'm
in
getting
advance
fucked in the
never
ass,
existed like it
and-
exists now.
Exactly.
And the
80 million
mass-
ballots put out there. 80 million ballots put out there as a total wild card.
So who is counting all these ballots?
It's the locales. It's whoever grabs them. It's whoever puts in the false
They're
names.
taking
There's a
us
bunch of
one
people
by
arrested
one.
for-
Right, but if you're, say, if you're in a democratically
this guy's
controlled
gonna be dead.
state,
Bam,
and
dead.
So who is
Okay.
controlling and counting those ballots?
There's another one trickling in.
Ryan Redman.
He's a good guy. He'll tell us the truth.
Ryan, get over here real quick. He's here for 2 minutes.
Okay.
We need Ryan.
Okay, and
No,
I'm dead
I mean, seriously,
also.
I don't know what's going to happen, Joe. I know the Democrat chief strategist says we're going to contest the election, we're going to break the country up like Civil War 1862, and we're going to do all this, and we're going to say that. Go ahead.
They found water on the moon.
Oh, awesome.
They did find water on the moon. You know, 6 months before they said that, Buzz Aldrin called me up,
He said there's water on the
and
moon.
he goes, "They're going to crash an Indian probe in there, something like 2007 or something. They're going to crash an Indian probe on the moon. I want you to know we already crashed one. They're going to find the water." I was like, "Thank you, Buzz Aldrin."
So he called you up?
Yep.
Does Buzz call you often?
No, he's called me like 3 times.
Are you ever shocked? Are you like, he's like, it's Alex is Buzz
Well,
Aldrin.
it actually got like 20 million views for it on YouTube. He was on the show one time. He goes, "My secretary really likes you." Oh, he goes, "You see how hot you're lucky I'm doing this." I'm like, "Well, yes, sir." And he goes, "There is the moon of Mars. That is where the real obelisk is, 2001. The aliens created the pyramids. And I just wanted to tell you, Alex, you got it."
What? He said the aliens created the pyramids?
Yeah, and there was an
Buzz,
obelisk
Buzz,
on Mars.
I
Was
heard
you
that
listening?
part.
Yeah.
That's not as shocking. The Buzz Aldrin said the aliens created the pyramids?
I'm telling you, I was contacted by Buzz Aldrin's secretary. And
Okay.
I'm not making this up. This is real.
I don't believe you are.
And it was like, whatever this was, like 12 years ago, whatever, 10 years ago, whatever it was. Okay, Buzz Aldrin wants to come on. So we checked this. Buzz Aldrin, he wants to talk about his new book. But once he gets on, he goes, "It is the soul moon, Toron."
this thing was so
fucking bad. Memory, if I get this stuff wrong, of Mars. He goes, "That is where the true obelisk is, and that will give us the data tapes to go to the next level." And I just wanted you to know that because you're
I
a good
think it was
person.
even
that
worse
the
than the
pyramids were
one
created by
we
aliens,
lost
and we're doing
by
important work.
16.
Here he is. Buzz Aldrin admits aliens built the
By
pyramids
14
and
points.
Phobos monument. Oh,
Yeah, he said that after he talked to me on C-SPAN, yeah. And
So he said,
This felt so
yeah,
he said
bad.
aliens
Yeah,
built the pyramids?
I swear to God.
This guy really went off the reservation. Like, you think NASA's like doing a better vetting process now? Because this guy really.
Well, it's, he's had tough times.
Well, he just endorsed
Just
Trump.
today, for example, he tried to
Why did he endorse
resurrect
Trump?
the argument.
All the
that
military endorsed Trump. All the
was
police-
intended
But
to
listen,
visit his
I'm
son.
not bragging. I don't know why. I thought he
That
had all about a
argument
book
is
he
still
wrote.
going.
He starts telling me about aliens, the
World Bank
pyramids, and the
and-
freaking...
Let me ask you this. What did you think about the Pentagon saying recently that they've recovered crafts that are not of this world?
I think it's probably true.
The World
I think it's probably
Bank
true as well.
I
and
think we're like the ditch, like a movie
Those-
theater. Or
When I
like,
talked to
there's stuff in the ditch.
I need.
when I talked to Commander
I need
Fravor,
the official one.
who is the guy who saw that the Tic Tac UFO off the coast of San Diego, the way he describes it and the video footage that they got of this thing, and his take on it is fucking chilling.
Yeah.
That thing went from 60,000
The
feet
Tic Tac?
above Tic Tac.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a Tic Tac. Like a
That's
little
Joe's new code name. Is Tic Tac.
I thought it was the TikTok UFO.
No,
Like,
no.
What?
Yeah, you
It's a huge problem.
No, it's this little
fucking
Tic Tac thing there for
12-year-old
chasing.
TikTok in the house.
And what did he say about it?
Yeah.
He said that this thing went from 60,000 feet above sea level to 1 inside of a second.
Wow.
He said it defied propulsion. by any understanding that we have of physics, the way it moved was insane. It was actively blocking tracking systems, which is an act of war.
That's nothing to do. They block all the radar.
You could listen to him on my podcast, but I would actually recommend you listen to him on Lex Friedman's podcast. It's available on YouTube, and Lex does an amazing job of talking to him and breaking down.
Let's do that, Joe.
technical
What do you
aspects.
think the universe is? What do you think? Let's talk real. What's the secret of
Here
the
it is.
universe?
Totally legit report says Buzz Aldrin saw aliens when he was up in space.
That's sarcasm.
Oh. Well, that's not
Joe, is that
totally
you in the
legit.
photo?
They said that
Oh,
he
I don't look like that. How
somebody
dare you?
reached out to his people and they said that it's bogus and we don't know where it came from.
It's bogus. We don't know where it
Well,
came
he
from.
came on my show and said that.
The pyramid thing?
on Hunter
The pyramid
Biden's
quote
ties
is
to
bogus?
Ukrainian
Well,
firm
maybe they
Burisma
pulled him
Regan.
aside.
Joe,
Buzz.
let's have fun here.
Shut
Everybody's watching. It's an
up.
epic podcast. Part 3, Joe Rogan. I want to know. So, what do you think runs the universe? What do you think the secret is? Who are the DMTLs? When's the last time you took DMT?
It's been a couple of years. I don't think that there is any doubt that there's other life out there. It's a matter of if it contacts us regularly, whether or not it's contacted us, or why it comes and why it visits. Or Jacques Vallée, I believe,
Break
I think
silence.
his perception is not that they're from another planet, but that would be probably the least spectacular answer, and that they could be interdimensional travelers. Some people believe that they're time travel. And Jacques Vallée is the guy who Steven Spielberg,
Biden.
he modeled that French scientist in Close Encounters of the Third Kind after him. He's a really,
Come
really interesting guy.
back.
That's what I
Talked
about
personally
this
believe.
forever.
Is it's interdimensional.
It could be that. It could be that our understanding
Giuliani.
of reality itself is very limited. It's like, you know, if you wave your hand above
wait a minute.
certain insects, they have no idea you're even there,
Oh,
right?
this
They
is-
lack the ability
oh,
to detect
this is
it. So
2009.
we have senses that we assume are the only senses
What
that are
the
available.
fuck?
And
I thought
it
we were
is
oh
entirely
my God.
likely that there are many dimensions that we don't have access to.
Okay,
right?
okay,
And this
okay,
is
okay,
the
okay.
quantum physicists and all those guys that write the shit
Flashback.
on yellow legal pads. We
Biden
don't
campaign
understand.
demanded
They all
major
believe
news
there's
to retract.
many, many dimensions
Okay.
Well,
outside
there's no
of
doubt
the
to that.
that's
That's where
different.
I agree with you. I agree
In
with
the
you.
original.
I think the
it's
universe
gonna
is
be
insanely huge, and they're finding life-compatible
letter
planets
with
on
no
a daily
emphasis
basis. There's
added.
hundreds of them now.
So I agree with you. Let me ask this
Okay,
question.
this
What
is
do we
it. This
do
is the
about this
original,
corrupt
and then I
political elite
click.
trying to make us look at them and follow them?
my
How do we break free of them?
Well, that's a different thing of the universe. But my question is, like, why are they telling us now that they've acquired these ships, or that they have access to these things, or that they know these things are real? You know, Bob Lazar has basically been describing exactly that, and exactly the same way since 1989, when he was first hiding. When he was on George Knapp's television show in Vegas, and they had him out only as a silhouette. And then he eventually came out and said that he was a propulsion expert that was brought to Area S4, and they've tried to discredit him, and they've tried to talk. But one of the things that he said was he talked about Element 115, and that this was something that they used to
fuck
propel these
you.
crafts, and it was something that it could change gravity, can bend gravity, and propel itself in a way that is not like any propulsion system that we use
See,
now, which
someone
essentially
posted this
you have
as
to push
though
something
this
out the back
happened
to make
now.
it go forward, whether it's flames or, you know, a rocket or anything else, like even an airplane, right? It propels things forward. And what he was saying is that what this Element 115 is allowing them to do is to somehow or another bend space and time, somehow or another bend gravity. They
Hold
don't,
space.
but they don't know how it works.
my
They
God,
don't know
they're talking
what
about
it's doing.
UFOs.
Well, let's
They
talk
know
about
it
this.
operates on this element.
Let's talk about this.
Hold on. They know it operates on this element that was only theoretical until I think it was 2013 or 2015. They used a particle collider and they detected it in an actual Element 115 that it was actually real.
And that's what the superconducting supercolliders are for.
Well, I mean, they're for detecting many things, right?
Cyclotrons.
Well,
Thanks.
these particle colliders are for detecting many different things that are theoretical, and they find these things to be true, and then it becomes, you know, scientific record. What I think is that we are apes. We are these weird talking apes that are in an adolescent stage of technological evolution. And what we might be looking at when we see these tic-tac UFOs and other things, we might be looking at something from the future. We might be looking at time travel. We might be looking at something that comes back and
Joe, I
visits
think
us.
that's a good approximation, but we're a little bit beyond just apes. Clearly, we're from outside the planet, and there's something bigger going on. Like this life form's happened before. This is a major test, and so we can sit there and just say, "Oh, we're just apes."
No, I don't mean that. What I mean by we're just apes is that in comparison to what we could be eventually through evolution.
You're saying we're in a
scientific
metamorphosis
ability-
little-
Yeah, we're on a look. We're a lot smarter than apes, right? Than regular apes that are in
Most of us.
in the zoo or in.
Well,
in
some of the public's
jungle.
dumber than apes.
Yeah.
Right, I was about to say, let's
Some of them
not
are dumber.
paint with a broad brush.
But we're nowhere near where our potential lies,
Right.
right? Our potential lies far, far, far in advance of what we are currently. And I think some of this has to do with some of these symbiotic technologies that we're talking about, like Neuralink and a lot of these things that are being proposed that are eventually
And-
going to find their way into the human body and
I
accelerate,
agree, but are they going to
accelerate
censor
our ability.
Are they going to censor our ability?
Well,
See, because we're already growing, and all I see from big tech is censorship. So is the Neuralink going to censor what I do?
Well, you
it'll
know-
plug in and make me feel great and hit my pleasure center.
Well, when you're talking about human emotions and greed and power and all these different things, these are all biological issues that we have that the idea is will be transcended if you could somehow
If you
eliminate
believe the
a
big
lot of
tech
these-
lords aren't like us, they're us though. So they're in charge of the same thing that we already are. So to say, oh, big tech lords are going to take us away from our human problems,
Right, but do you understand-
transcend sin, they're going to make it worse.
Okay, but you understand that they didn't understand what technology was going to create when he created the internet. The ability
No,
to
I
distribute
totally agree the
information,
establishment doesn't know what they're
the
doing.
ability to distribute information that existed pre-1990, whatever, when the internet became mainstream, it was very, very, very different than it is today, and it's very hard to get away with the things you could get away with in the early 1980s. What they can do now in terms of a regular person and their
Oh my
ability
God.
to transmit information, to access information, it's
All I'm saying is the
multitudes and
controllers,
giant leaps.
I get it.
more
The
powerful.
technology's there. I'm not against the technology. It's those that introduce it to us and they control how it's deployed.
Understand.
That's the
understand.
big issue.
But
Everything
the
is
thing
about
is,
that.
what I was trying to get to is the way information has gotten out of their hands, and you can distribute it in a way that they never anticipated. If they did anticipate it, I guarantee
Why
they would
is
never
he
let the
No, I
internet.
agree.
flying?
I used to
I
complain.
think that same thing is going to happen with all other technologies. And if that's the case, technology may be our only hope. Technology may be
said
the
it.
only thing that saves us from all these human emotions, the need for power and greed and control. The one thing that might save us from that is this symbiotic relationship with technology, where we connect to things that will alleviate a lot of the problems of
Joe,
evolution.
if that
I'm
technology...
not saying this is good or
I'm
bad.
not saying you're wrong. Can I say something? You're doing really good. This is great rants. Best Joe Rogan I've ever seen. I'm not being patronizing. This is good stuff.
It's okay, you're drunk.
No, I'm saying this is power. Be nice. Be nice. What I'm saying is there's outside groups trying to program that. So you can't project your own goodness onto this.
I'm not saying even goodness. I'm saying
No, what I'm saying is you've been ranting for 5 minutes, and let me just say, I get what you're saying. It's just that you're sitting there saying this will free us from our problems, but it's still humans that program the nexus points of it, so it could actually amplify the problems. I'm saying we should be wary of all of it.
oh, it certainly could. Look, it could go sideways. It could all go bad. But it also could go to a point where people don't feel the need to do that anymore. And that we recognize that a lot of what we have is we are escaping the shackles of our monkey bodies.
Oh, if we're our monkey bodies.
Yeah.
So if we're silicon and don't need resources anymore, we can just be spiritual, and then we'll be able to free ourselves and not hurt the earth anymore.
Hop in that Tic Tac and fly to Alpha Centauri in the blink of an eye.
So we need to. No, I already see the transmission.
If you could have a spaceship that would allow you to go anywhere in the galaxy, would you be willing to give up any of your emotions for that?
No, I know the digital deal. Give up your body for the silicon gods. Become a god.
This is all fun and games, but like
No,
legit.
We're not even, I mean, in California, we're not even allowed to go to Applebee's. So let's stop with the spaceship. Let's just try to get, I'm not allowed to leave my
I
fucking
want to
house.
go to the Comedy Store.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get a spaceship eventually.
Yeah.
Let's get a few rights
I already got
back
your thing.
first.
I'm coming here election night. You're
You
drinking
know?
with me. Election night.
Election
top
night, baby.
ratings. 25 million
Stop.
viewers.
Listen, you invited yourself to this. I think you should settle down.
Alien. You told me I'm coming.
No, you invited yourself. We already
He's
had
gotta-
it
he's
planned.
gotta come.
No, I said you could come in for a little bit, but you're making it the Alex Jones show.
No, I'm
That's
not.
It's a bit of an issue.
This
Alex
is like
Jones election
It's a bit of an
special.
issue.
Apple
Bit of an
juice.
issue. Settle down.
It's a bit of an issue.
It's going to be a fun experience.
It'll be a lot of fun.
So
But
quit being so mean. You literally.
am I being mean? No, no, no.
I think Joe wants to beat my ass right now.
No, I don't. Listen, Alex, I love you. But what I'm saying, and I'm not even disagreeing with you, I'm saying that I think when we're talking about aliens and we're talking about life forms from outer space and space travel and shit,
The big
when you
issue
see
is
them,
with the election.
you see those fucking things, like the
talking about
iconic
Easter bunnies?
aliens. They all have big
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah, the
and this
Greys. The
little
Greys.
tiny muscleless bodies.
Shaved
Right.
heads.
Yeah.
Shaved heads.
Yeah.
They've
They're
all
cheetahs.
Like you.
escaped. They've
You're-
escaped all of the
You're actually an
things
alien.
that make
Yeah.
us. They look like what we're gonna be.
Yeah, but who wants to be that?
I don't want to be that right
I
now.
mean, that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm with you. I like being a person.
Right. I think we should be humans for as long as we can.
What do you think aliens are?
There are all sorts of interdimensional forces in the universe in multi-dimensions. So there's like bad aliens that are trying to manipulate our development.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Because a high level, exactly, a high level would not try to manipulate our development.
Right.
Okay, so Joe is like imprinting on these demons. He loves them. He's a bad person. No, seriously. So all I'm saying is we need to build towards the next level.
What do you think of the? What do you think of the
And I did
theory?
invite myself onto the election show.
Please, it's gonna be great.
I got on my
We're gonna have
knees in
fun.
front of Joe.
great.
I'll do it again right now.
But what do you
I'll get
think?
on my knees right now.
Stop making it about you.
No,
Can't,
it is
I
about me.
can't get
I'm
into the
front of
fight.
the dash.
You're drunk.
I want to come on.
We're
Yes.
gonna ban you from alcohol. What do you,
You're going to smoke weed with me.
What do you think about?
We're gonna have
I
a
will
party.
definitely do that on
I'll be
November
here 2
1st.
minutes.
What do you think
The
about
highest
the
rating you ever
theory?
did.
What do you think about the theory that human beings are the product of accelerated evolution? That they came
Too
down
dead.
here and they genetically manipulated lower hominids and they created human beings.
Listen, I already have the genetic memory. I already told you all this.
Press the
I mean,
key
I already.
key twice.
You have a genetic.
Two dead.
Yes, it's epigenetics.
3
so I have
versus
a genetic-
5,
you have
like
genetic-
constantly.
I have a genetic memory, and I have a genetic memory that we're.
And I have this guy on my
Hey, go watch
fucking
Star
tail
Wars, like I
all
know
the
Star
time.
Wars, totally
No
normal.
help.
we're in the universe. We're in the planets. We're here. Our life form's been all over the place, like little seeds that jump from planet to planet, like blowing to the space. So yeah, we've already been here before.
Because this is one of the things that Lazar brought up that they discussed with him at Area S4. They said that they believe that human beings are the product of accelerated evolution. It's like, and he wasn't sure if they were fucking with him. Like when he was reading all that stuff, he's like, "Is this like disinformation?"
No, they weren't fucking with him.
Yeah.
I mean, look, God doesn't know where God came from. And we said that last time.
That's heavy.
And we don't know where we came from.
Right.
But we have the archetypal memories that go so far.
That's
and
heavy.
Our big fear is having
That's
evolutionary
heavy.
death
God,
of the
isn't it?
species. It's like a line of, flowers or plants or, whatever they are. And it's a whole genetic experience. We're conscious individuals, but then we have a genetic experience that goes on forever, as long as the line of the genetic experience doesn't die. So we're always looking for eternal life. As long as we keep having kids, they have kids, we live forever. That's us. We just get better.
Well, as long as the Earth doesn't experience a massive extinction event.
But that's what I'm saying. Well, if we go interplanetary.
That's,
The main mission
November
is that.
3rd. Well,
gonna go
79 days.
interplanetary.
79 days of chaos. And
I am
eventually-
endorsing Joe Biden right now. Your Honor.
I'm voting for Kanye.
By the way, that might be a good strategy if you endorse Joe Biden right now.
I'm going to go with my history of
Yeah.
voting for people that have been on the podcast, so I'm going to vote for Kanye.
I'm going with Joe Jorgensen because I like to back a winner.
Am I sitting in the same seat as Kanye?
Yes, you are.
All right, I'm fulfilled.
Yeah, it's the best. All right, but before this goes any further off the rails, I think we're good.
We've done it.
Oh, you want to end this transmission?
Do you?
I never got to all my notes.
You got more shit? What else would you like to talk
I got more shit than you can fucking imagine.
You gotta come back November 3rd. You gotta have guys wheel in documents. Just wheel in
No, Joe said it.
documents.
Joe said, he's like, you're the one inviting yourself.
Oh, you're coming.
You certainly did.
I waited like
You invited yourself.
19 months or something, which is fine.
Alex, if I showed you the list of people that are trying to get on this fucking show, it would make your head spin.
I know, but I live down the street.
I understand.
I don't care. You don't want me
No, listen.
30 minutes on election night?
We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. But I'm just
I don't
saying,
know how to survive without it. I'm
it's
fine.
very difficult for me to manage a fucking small fraction of the number of people that are trying to get on.
Well, this is an epic podcast.
Yeah.
We got to go another hour.
It is.
Oh,
it is.
God,
like
that
last
would be
time.
dead.
I'm
This-
okay with going another
This
hour.
is going to be bigger than the Elon Musk. That's the. I'm a
It
second.
doesn't have to be, man.
I'm the
Stop thinking
second
like
biggest
that.
podcast.
You can't be competitive.
Every listener has to spread this link right now, or I'm going to die.
Well, YouTube.
No, I wrote notes for you. Let me read these notes to you.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay.
Okay. What's important?
Major goals to accomplish.
How the president could invoke martial law. You handed this to me. I don't even know he did. It's like a magic trick. All of a sudden, this is in
How
front
the
of my hands. I don't
president
even
could
remember it
invoke
getting here.
martial
I don't remember it being happy.
Well, these are big, important topics.
highlighted.
Jesus fuck. This
Do you drive around with this just in the car?
No, he's actually done research to prepare for the show.
No, I know.
did a lot of-
Don't research shame
And then I
him.
was like, I'm not going to drink. I'm going to be good. We're already here. How
We're
many,
talking about heavy
I
shit.
just wish this was 6 days from now so I could be
how many
drunk
hours
with
are we
you.
into this?
We're 3 hours in.
We're 3 in.
Yeah.
If we don't break the last record, we're going down.
What's the last record?
No, we don't have to break records.
No, Tim Dillon, you rant while I get ready. Give us your latest comedy. I love Joe, like it's true. I was like, literally, he's like, Joe, can I please come under and lecture?
Listen, we're
He
gonna be
goes,
fine.
he
Let's
said
not
yes,
talk about
and
that.
he like slapped me. He
We're
goes,
good. We're good.
He literally punched me in the nose. He goes,
I didn't do that.
And I
didn't
groveled
do
on the
that.
ground.
None of that happened. But tell me, go over your notes, and Tim and I will talk. Is this everything that you hoped it would be?
This is my version of a Make-A-Wish kid going to Disney World. This is the greatest thing I've ever done is to sit here. I've watched Alex since I'm 13 years old, pre-9/11 when he was ranting about the WTO, and I followed him through 9/11, through Bohemian Grove, all the big events of my childhood, and just it's big to be here.
Can I say I'm very impressed with your knowledge? Like you know
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff.
Well, I didn't go to college, so you have a lot of time. You have a lot of time if you don't go to college. You can I'm self-educated.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of information that you
Yeah,
have
the
at your
important stuff.
disposal.
Yeah.
You got some notes?
I liked how your new studio is like a colon.
Listen, this new studio came together in just
It's
a
a
few weeks.
colon?
We really didn't know what to
I'm
do.
not putting
I
it
had
down.
this room. We banged it out real quick.
But this is going to be known as the colon.
Some
red
people
pill.
call it the red pill. Yeah, that's Radio Raheem.
Oh my God, this is the red pill.
He called it the red pill.
So this is a very rare studio. You're getting a new one ready, I know.
Yeah, we're having problems finding a good location, but yeah, we'll have.
How
a
about my house? I got a huge area.
Ah! We're gonna find a good spot.
It's amazing.
We're looking right now. We're in the process.
All right, let's get serious.
Okay.
Oh, I covered a lot of this.
Alex, we're good, man. We're good.
No,
We're
we
3
have to
hours
go for
in.
another 2 hours.
But we're gonna see you again in a week.
Oh,
You
so
endorse
I
Biden?
am on the nightly news.
Relax.
Yeah.
we're here.
I have to beg. How about I just beg a little bit?
You don't have. Come on, man.
I'm
Is
not
there anything
below
else? Is there anything else you really want to discuss?
No, I mean, I'm glad that Jamie is better than I am at searching the internet. I'm not kissing his ass, but I'm really good at it. He's better than I am, which is almost no one is. The problem is I remember all this stuff. Now, most of the time it's accurate. Sometimes it's not. But I mean, if I'm saying something, I believe I saw it or I did it.
One
found
thing
something?
that was inaccurate, I didn't want to correct earlier, but the year you were talking about something, you kept saying 1963, and then they went to like 82 or whatever. That happened in 73. That group wasn't even around yet. The something to Rome.
Bubba room.
Yeah, that wasn't even created until 68. So just for clarification purposes.
Okay, cool.
I think they had a subgroup earlier than that. But I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
But JV's, he has George Soros COVID. This is a compromised individual.
Google might have compromised the records.
Oh, that's another thing I want to say. Can I say this?
Yeah.
This is the most important thing you said tonight. You said a lot of important things. But both of you are not drinking.
Yes.
So you don't know. Right. This is it right now. mRNA vaccines.
Yeah.
So when you think about a regular vaccine, goes in, it's a broken bacteria, a broken virus, it's defeated, your body learns how to kick its ass. It's like a dummy. It's like having an attack dog trying to dummy. The T lymphocyte, white blood cell, it's like a big badass Mike Tyson, it learns how to defeat it. mRNA vaccines go into your cells as a virus. They're viruses. So it's a virus they inject you with that reprograms your cell to then have a certain response to things and release proteins, which is what cancer does. And so they admit on the news that 100% of people that take these are getting sick, 20% are going to the hospital. And so they also have vaccines that are called behavior modification vaccines. You can type it in.
Okay, but let me pause right there. mRNA vaccines, you said 100% of them get sick and 20% of them go to the hospital.
They had two studies. In one study, 100% got sick, 20% with the hospital. Another study, 80% got sick, and of those, 20% with the hospital. That's CBS News. You type in.
Jamie, do find that right now.
You type in Bill Gates grilled over vaccine dangers on CBS News report. The point is, they admit a bunch of vaccine deaths have happened from a test. But what was I getting to before that?
So you were just talking about mRNA
Oh,
vaccines.
Behavioral modification.
Yeah, so type in vaccine to cure heroin addiction.
We're going to get to that, but before we get to that, we got to Google the stats on mRNA vaccines because this is going to be highly contested. So we have to find out.
Well, no, you can type. I'm not going to show you the clip. Bill Gates.
But we just Google the stats on mRNA patients.
That's
How do you know it?
Bill Gates was on CBS News.
And he said 80% of the people get sick,
Yeah.
and 20% of them go to the hospital.
No, it was two vaccines. They said one vaccine, 100% got sick,
Twice for options.
and a certain percent went to the hospital. The other 80% got sick, and 20% of those went
And
to the
sometimes
hospital.
that does happen even with the flu vaccine, right? Like sometimes people get
I swear
get
to
a little
God,
sick.
you type in Bill Gates grilled by CBS. I'll bring it up.
Right.
Certain vaccines do get people a little
Well,
bit
we had
sick,
the conversation about the whole thing in India. You know, he introduced a lot of vaccines in India. There was some negative reactions to them. I mean, that's what happens. It's just, a lot of people.
Joe, I sent you the article.
That mRNA vaccines.
I sent you the article about AP, about the majority of new polio cases are the Bill Gates vaccine.
We'll get to that too. Let me see if Jamie can find this mRNA thing.
You don't have a Morton's next door here.
mRNA.
What are you going to steak or are you going to go barbecue? Barbecue. No more.
Yeah, he's making a point about vaccines, and now we're at stake.
I am not hammered at all. I've been drinking orange juice.
You polished off a half a bottle of orange juice.
Joe, I'm just letting you have fun.
I'm happy you're here. Legitimately. So, if you can't find that,
Oh my God.
Behavioral
Google-
modification vaccine.
What is it you want to find?
Bill Gates polio vaccine causes of polio.
AP.
AP.
AP.com. The headline, the exact headline is,
Why does everybody hate Bill Gates? What is going on?
because he's so sexy.
I don't think people hate him.
No, it was like, it was like AP.
Bill Gates did not say 700,000 people have negative side effects.
He did say that. My God, he said it on NBC News.
Bill Gates did not say 700,000 people have negative side effects from the coronavirus vaccine.
I have the video of that.
Okay, but pull up AP Bill Gates polio vaccine, but that's a coronavirus. He said polio vaccine.
All right,
Okay.
now I'm pissed. I'm going to tell you the headline. It was, what was the
See
exact-
if there's a polio.
Hold on, what was the headline?
Article.
It was UN. UN vaccine causes polio.
UN vaccine causes polio. Okay. UN vaccine causes polio. Google
You
is
know,
not
this
gonna
sober
show you
October,
shit.
Google is compromised. Can you
Look
use
at this.
Ask
Look at
Jeeves,
this.
please?
UN says new polio outbreak in Sudan was caused by oral vaccine.
Yeah. It's not good.
New polio outbreak
Fuck
in Sudan
off.
is caused by oral vaccine. And this, look at that kid's face. Oh my God, is that a terrifying image? The image of them distributing that. Look at that poor kid's face. Imagine that kid getting polio from that vaccine. He looks so terrified. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
Oh,
a bunch of them died.
Jesus
We're
Christ.
losing, right?
Hold on. Back up. What does it say up there? It said World Health Organization says a new polio outbreak in Sudan is linked to an ongoing vaccine-sparked epidemic in Chad. A week after the UN
Vaccine-sparked epidemic.
Health Agency declared the African continent free of the wild polio vaccine. World Health Organization said it found 11 additional vaccine-derived polio cases in Sudan and that the virus had been identified in environmental samples. there are typically many more unreported cases for every confirmed polio patient.
Whitewash, yeah.
The highly infectious disease can spread quickly in contaminated water and most often strikes children under 5. Fuck.
Jesus Christ.
In rare instances, the live polio virus in the oral vaccine can mutate in a form capable of sparking new outbreaks.
So let me tell you a story. My grandmother died 3 years ago at 92. Incredible woman.
That's fucking terrifying.
She was told by her doctor in 1954 when she got the second polio shot. They said, sorry, it was live. It paralyzed her. She was on crutches the rest of her life. They told her it did to her.
Jesus Christ.
So see, I just told you that.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's a whitewash what AP's doing.
I would imagine.
So I'm telling you, I make mistakes because I can't remember all this stuff.
I understand. You remember a lot.
But I'm not trying to lie. I was, the last thing I want to say is this. I'd like to retire the next year. I'd like to finish up my work, clean up mistakes I made, talk about other stuff. Because I'm in a dying of a heart attack or going crazy. I do this 18 hours a day.
I'd like to get you in shape.
I'm totally stressed out, Joe. I'm dying.
I know you are. I know you are.
I literally do this stuff constantly. I read
I
thousands
know
of
you
articles
do.
a day.
I know you do. If I text you at 3 o'clock in the morning, you respond right back.
Please help me.
I'm not a victim. I'm just telling you, I'm dying.
I understand.
So I can't do this much longer. And I want everybody to know I love my crew. I told them I can't keep running this operation. I just want to tell the truth. And I want to get out in the next year. Doesn't mean I won't go on your show once a year and do like write a book or something. But
I
I'm
want
done.
you to get healthy.
I need to get healthy. I try to get healthy.
Why don't you hire a trainer and hire a dietitian?
I try.
Because I know you got off the booze for quite a while, and we were talking. You said you felt great.
I did feel great. I lost like 40 pounds.
How long did you get off the booze for?
4 months no alcohol, about 8 months, barely any, and the last 3 or 4 hours right back.
But you were talking to me about Adderall.
You know the
too.
problem- you know
I
the
want you to
problem-
talk about that because that's a good thing for people to hear. The problems that you had with Adderall. Because that shit scares the fuck out of me.
Well, I'm not going to get into any of that type of stuff. The point is that the things that doctors push, the things that go on, the whole country's drugged up with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And
Oh, come on.
I do caffeine and alcohol and that stuff. And
I flew by 2 of my
and,
guys.
you know, it gets to the
and
point where like you're
nobody
exhausted
helped me.
unless you drink. It's not a good thing. That's why I'm glad you're sober in October. Last October I was sober.
Yeah. Do you think you could just kick it totally? I mean, you kicked it for 4 months. Do you think it would be
If
good
I
to kick
wasn't
it totally?
doing a show every day and having to read, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I read 50 articles. I probably scan 500. I mean, I look at so much stuff that it's enslaving me. Like I just want to. I don't want to be around it anymore. It's not like I'm scared of it. I want to be something else.
It's negative. It has negative consequences on your health.
Yeah. So for me, I just want to get away from home. And
What do you want to do?
I'd love to go hunting and fishing and hiking and oil painting and doing sculpture. I love metal sculpture. I love it. That's a beautiful chimpanzee skull you got right there. I mean, I've done this 26, 27 years, and when you've done it that long, you want to stand the fight. At the same time, you want to not do it anymore. And that's the thing about people, the Democrats suing me and attacking me. Before Trump even got elected, I was already telling them, I'm going to shut this company down. I can't fund all of it. I can't do this anymore. Them attacking me made me keep fighting.
But do you think that if you were healthier, if you maybe just did less, you could be all right with it?
I didn't do that as a stunt. I mean, quite honest with you. I'm smart. I think I'm going to die of a heart attack at like 50-something. I'm 47 now. And I just have to, like, there's no way to do this full time. Either you do it or you turn loose. And I'd like to just for a few years just disappear.
So you think that the amount of shit that's out there, and this is a problem with conspiracies, right? Because you keep finding more and more and more that are provable, and you start going crazy because you start really
exactly,
can't
and then you lose who exactly. Like,
yeah.
I don't like the globalists. I'm not giving into them. I'm giving into like my own body.
I understand.
It's not their attacks keep me fighting. Like they keep thinking like, oh, let's mess with him more. He'll give up. That makes me like attack more. I'm not trying to like get him to stop attacking me. It's not some Machiavellian thing I'm saying. I just want to like, I don't want to look at the news.
Maybe you just took some time off and like just got healthy. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you just need an extended vacation. I mean, you're your own boss, right? You could do that.
You ever think you maybe shrink the operation down a little bit, and then you could kind of do what you want, how you want, you know, instead of just being a 24-hour day operation, you could just take it down.
Well, here's my problem. Let me get personal. I mean, I had perfect teeth till like 2 years ago. I have to wear a mouth brace because I literally brush my teeth when I'm sleeping. Like I broke one just the other day. I got implants going in right here, and I'm just like literally in my sleep clenching my teeth so hard that I've got like giant muscles. Like I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but my jaws are.
Right.
Like they're like a chipmunk. And it's because psychologically I'm trying to defeat all this. And it's just like it's like a certain point, but I can't do it.
Right.
So I don't feel sorry for myself.
You've earned it. You've earned some time off.
Yeah, why don't you just take some months off? Just like mark an extended hiatus, you know, whenever you feel like you can get away, and just decide you're gonna take 3 months off. Put the fucking cell phone down, eat healthy, exercise. You can hire a trainer, you know. Not a bad idea.
Nothing I would do more than that.
Because you know what, when I'm doing the Sober October thing, when I've done it in the past, one of the things that we've done is these fitness challenges. You don't even realize what you can do until you're forced to do something. If you force yourself, like say, hey, for the month of January, I'm not going to drink, and I'm going to exercise every day, and I'm going to put it up on, you know, my website and let everybody know what I'm doing, and just force yourself to try to get healthy. Only eat healthy food. You maybe get a dietitian, maybe get a trainer. Not even maybe. Get a dietitian, get a trainer, get someone who makes you like meal preps for you, gives you healthy food to eat, and this is all you're going to eat. Is this stuff? No processed bullshit, just healthy food. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Just take a whole month and do nothing but that. Just leave the fucking news alone. Let this crazy world sort itself out.
No, I agree, because now I look at news, and it's just like, used to, I'm like, oh, I've got them right here. I was down or something.
Yeah, because you're probably overrun. You know, you're probably taxed out. Your body's probably like barely hanging in there. I mean, if you're boozing a lot and you're not getting sleep and you're grinding your teeth, none of these are good signs.
I'll be honest about it with listeners, but you know, at the end of the day, this is fundamental. This is an anti-human movement. It's a globalist movement, and I get people that are doing it for sociopaths that have created cosmology to explain why they're doing all these evil things. I feel like it's such an important mission that it should be exposed. And Joe, I'm just glad you moved to Austin. Glad that Tim's here. Glad that all
Tim's
this stuff-
moving. He just told me.
I gotta save LA first, and then I want to go work with Bill and
You
Melinda
can't-
Gates
you
for a
can't save
while,
LA.
and then I will come to Austin.
You can't save LA.
I know. We'll see. November 3rd.
So, Joe, what is your
Fuck
prediction?
you.
Who wins? Who
Fuck
wins?
you.
I'm not smart enough to make the prediction, but I
Trump's
think
gonna win.
I think it's going to be chaos either way.
It's gonna be chaos.
I think if Trump, I've never, ever in my life felt this country more divided. It feels more divided now than I've ever felt before, where the possibility of a civil war doesn't seem outside the
So,
realm of
I've played
possibilities. It
6
doesn't
games.
seem like something
I've
ridiculous.
won
Doesn't
2,
like people used
I've
to say, if
lost
they said it in
4.
the past,
It's
someone said all this
fucking
country's on the brink of a
horrible.
civil war 10 years ago, I'd be like, listen to this crazy fuck.
Right.
But you say it now, and I go, like, I could see it.
Yeah, Tim, why are you not moving to Texas?
Well, I
He's
might
moving to
eventually.
Texas.
I might eventually. I don't know. We're gonna see.
I got
don't know.
to open a comedy
Joe
club
convinced me
here.
that Joe told me to move to LA a year ago, and then I moved and it destroyed.
Well,
So
the
Joe told me to move
pandemic.
here. I might move here. It'll be a problem.
We're going to start a comedy club out here.
Yeah.
We're going to set this place up right.
Well, thank you for having me
My
again.
pleasure.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here. It was
No, of
everything
course.
I hoped
Yeah,
it would be.
good.
This was a great one, Alex.
This
I
is
think
really
people
good.
got to see a side of you that they maybe even didn't see in the other 2 podcasts. You know, I think you did a great account of yourself, and I think
Really, you think so?
Yeah. A lot of the shit that you brought up today was, I mean, you were pulling shit off the top of your head. And a lot of it was accurate. A good, solid
How
percentage.
about
of it.
trying to bullshit?
No, you're not trying to bullshit. No, I know you're not. And this is what I've always told people
Press
about you.
the K
And
key
and
for
again,
accessibility
I think
options.
that we're at a critical time where we've got to rethink all these people that are calling for people to be censored and calling for people to be deplatformed. And I think you got to rethink this. I think everybody has to rethink this, because you might be looking back on this 10 years from now and going, oh my God, what the fuck did I support?
But I agree with you, but we should, you're being nice to the censors. They're tyrants.
I
We
think-
should hear everybody's views.
I think there's a lot of people in this machine, and a lot of these people, they're not tyrants. They think they're doing good. They really do. I think there's a lot of people that are out there calling for people to be deplatformed, calling for people to be censored, because maybe they have children and they see their children being indoctrinated into QAnon and all this kind of ridiculous thinking, and maybe they think that the way to fight some of this shit is to just take that stuff offline so the kids have no access to
that
it.
only makes their children want it more.
Well, and not only that, it makes the people that believe that there's a conspiracy to silence the truth, it makes them even more fervent in their beliefs. They start believing it even more rabidly, and not only that, it creates echo chambers. And then
But let's
again,
end this positive. You are happy you moved to Texas.
I fucking love it here. I love the people. I love the town. I love everything about it. I do.
But that's the good news.
Yeah.
And Tim Dillon,
Yeah.
you come here, lower taxes, good people.
Yeah.
We want all the people from other parts of the
Great
country.
food.
Good
Food
food.
here is amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff
And the
here.
kids here are into QAnon, which I think that's good. I think
All
the
of them.
children should be into
Well, they get
QAnon.
tattooed when they're in the
Texas.
5th grade. Listen, I love you, Alex Jones. Thanks for being here. I love you, Tim Dillon.
Thank you for having me.
being here.
Thank you.
Oh
guys.
my
We
God,
did it.
I'm
We did
joining
it.
a fucking
We did it.
lost game
All right.
too.
What, we do 3.5 hours?
Something like that. Yes.
Infowars.com.
To infinity and beyond.
Band.video. Don't visit it. Band.video.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
What do we have? Okay. This guy, I've watched this guy already.
What we tend to see, like in Chicago, for
Dimple.
instance, is you get a wound. This is the way to describe it. You get a wound in your society where you have people who are suffering or struggling. We put Band-Aids on. We say we're gonna provide funding in this area to try and solve the problem. A few years go by and it's going, I don't know, throw more money into it. And they put another Band-Aid on top of the Band-Aid. Eventually, you just have a festering wound. It's never been solved.
With a lot of Band-Aids.
What do you mean?
Because you have a lot of because they keep trying this. I don't disagree, by the way. Throwing money at schools doesn't work. I think we've seen this time and time and time
But not
again.
just schools, everything.
Right. Well, there are some, like for example, like the more you give like the EPA money, they can like more reliable testing or whatever. But generally speaking, yeah, I think like schools in particular. And the reason for that is because schools aren't a product of the money that goes into them. Schools are a product of the minds that are inside of them, from administration to teachers to the students. And the issue is minds born under broken circumstances are just more fragile. That's just how it is. Money on its own is not the solution. What I'd like to see, pipe dreaming here, is a proper public works program instituted in certain districts in this country. A lot of the issue that we have here is that the reason these kids don't care about school is because they know nothing's going to happen. A lot of the people in their neighborhoods end up burnt out druggies anyway with absolutely nothing to do with their lives because there's just no opportunity. Public works programs, you have to invest in the community not by paying private contractors to do it, but by paying the inhabitants of that community fair, healthy salaries. You need to have works up there. You can have, for example, revitalization of the rails and the roads and the public transportation. People become less reliant on cars. I mean, they have to pay less car payments. There are so many things that you can do with these neighborhoods. And this is class-based. I don't want this to be like a black or a white thing. There are white communities in this country that are struggling. And I think that if with these steps, we can, I don't know, man, just the idea of an America where it's like, here's a quarter of the country, we just don't go there.
You can invest in new kinds of roads made out of bitumen, which will last for like decades, but they like planned obsolescence. They want to build things that will break so that they can spend more money on it again.
Corporations do.
Yeah, and that's where the money's coming from.
Politicians want to be under budget.
And they want to be friends of the corporation. So
I mean, look, there's a lot of problems.
I want to say, can I say one thing quickly about socialism? I don't mean to interrupt, I apologize.
It's great.
So let me just talk about that for 5. What I'm in favor of is something called a workers' state. This is called by some people a dictatorship of the proletariat, which is a horrible term because it was termed before the term dictatorship meant what it currently means. But it essentially means, I just want to state where the workers have power. That doesn't mean you have the guillotines or anything. It just means that when I think of like, what is a good country? Like, what does a good democracy, a good republic look like to me? I imagine one where the people inside of it have a lot of control over what goes on in a way that's responsibly channeled. It's not just like crazy, will of the masses stuff. And one of the big issues to me is that, as you just pointed out, corporations have a lot of power in this country, and we defer to them quite a bit of government power as well, much in the way that the old monarchies did with mercantilism, You want to do an East India Trading Company spice run, you get the King's Guard to help you. You get that fleet because the state is invested in the corporation succeeding. The corporation gets a lot of money off that mutual partnership. But if these corporations or these construction companies or even these schools, frankly, are being run by people from the community who have a lot of internal democratic control within it, I think that could go a long way towards fixing this problem we see, where we just put money into these problems and it just burns through, it falls through a hole.
I think one of the problems we have with all government spending is that we don't know how they have failed them. Whereas with businesses, they mostly just fail. It's a big problem I see with the way things are going right now. For one, I think a lot of the critiques of capitalism are more about the massive corporate structure and the imbalance of power. That once you reach a certain threshold of capital wealth,
oh, come on.
You'll never be poor, you will never fail again. Your kids will never fail. I mean, that's not necessarily true. There's generational wealth fades.
Right.
Small businesses fail all the time. But if you're an ultra wealthy person, you can keep pumping money until you figure it out.
Or lobby to get subsidies, or tax breaks, and then you just forever.
So these are the two issues I see. And it's interesting because this argument is actually more of a classical, I guess, left and right argument of the days of yesteryear, 10 years ago when it was like government versus corporations. I remember, during like Occupy, you had a lot of people on the left saying the government can help us with these programs, and the right was like, we need the free market, we need the corporate solutions. And I'm like, both are problems in different ways. Massive multinational corporations.
You're both wrong.
Right. You're both just so awful. Government and massive corporations. We want small government and small business. So I like a mixed economy. I think we need to figure out how we do government programs in a way that if they fail, they fail. And we need to make sure we don't have massive multinational corporations with no interest in helping people, but selling them out because they can get better laws to violate human rights in other countries where they can just hire people from the border, and then have them do potentially slave labor, and then sell garbage to the American people at a marked up price, and then become.
But this is the final. This is the final stage, right? And one problem I have. A lot of people say this is globalism. I critique this strongly. This would happen exactly the same if we locked off all borders for corporations, because one of the most unequal periods of American history was the Gilded Age at the beginning of the 20th century, and we were highly protectionist, highly isolationist at that point. Hey, listen, I'm not besmirching those necessarily, but at the time, the problem isn't the internationalism.
Oh, I had one on my fucking tail.
Able to work together on an international scale. The issue is they're not doing it for us. They have a completely separate set. Marxists call this class interest between the bourgeois and the proletariat. What does your average prole, an average worker want? They want clean roads. They want
class interest,
crime, good schooling, good job, all that. They
but
want
you weren't
water
saying
to their house.
class.
None of these systems benefit
Classes
none of these
should
systems
be
benefit the ultra wealthy.
grouping
They don't go
together.
to public schools. They don't drive on roads. They don't drink tap water. They don't need to invest in these programs because they aren't a part of them.
How would you define? We'll start with that. How do you define
Socialism is an economic system where the workers control the means of production, so you have democratic worker control of the businesses, and you've decommodified at least a significant portion of society. So, like, you no longer produce a given commodity or service for people to sell it. It's provided at free of cost, essentially.
How would you define capitalism?
I would say that capitalism is a laissez-faire capitalism is a free market system whereby private ownership of capital is afforded to essentially every citizen, and that
Is it an exam?
the civic structuring of society is done in
He
such
has
a way
to
as
give.
maximize
He's
the economic
trying
benefit
really hard
of
to
the
give an answer
corporation.
that doesn't betray that he's actually a Marxist, but
well, actually, so how would you define left and right?
but it's betrayed in the fact that you're
Like
talking
economically
about
or socially or.
So, I guess economically.
To be honest, I've thought about this more.
Beginning.
I don't know if there is an economic left and right. I think most people who care about economics want the same basic thing, which is good life for as many people as possible. And I feel like we just have different ways on how to achieve that. And maybe that, the implementation, is the left-right element. But I don't think the left is like more government, the right is less government. I think that generally speaking, left-leaning people want as much power in the hands of as many people as possible, and right-leaning people believe certain
seems that there's no
individuals
point in
are
playing
deserving of higher
two
levels
ships
of power
that I
they used to
picked to
adjudicate.
The reason I bring this up
Discord
is because
and
you mentioning far right early on. I don't think anybody knows what far
and
left or right actually
Bomber
means.
don't do shit in dogfights.
They're definitely
because
really arbitrary terms. I
they
should
just
say I was lazy to
can't
use them. I try not to
handle
use
it
them
on
very
their own
often because they are necessarily definitions which require sort
against
of like
multiple ships. and
immediate codification, and
uh,
it changes depending on the context of the
maneuverable
conversation.
ones
I
can.
think defining far left is actually
Kind of
easy
sucks.
because you tend to have tendency, not absolute. You have leftists who are adamant in socialism, communism, and alongside that typically falls some kind of social progressivism. Typically, not always. You have the dirtbag left, which are not woke, and you have the woke left. So there is a
The
divergence there.
dirtbag
When you
left.
come to the right,
Dirtbag
doesn't
left
make sense
is
at all.
Vaush.
I think
Like,
that
what defines the right?
Individualist.
He-
I mean, you're looking at collectivism.
Invented it.
because the way we just like white nationalists are collectivists. They're not
Press the
individualists at all,
K
and,
key
and
for
many of them are
accessibility
authoritarian
options.
collectivists. So it's like we call them far right, but what does that really mean? Then we say that these ANCAP extremists are far right, but they absolutely in no way align with white nationalists.
Maybe it's just time to do away with those ideas left and
I-
right.
we should eliminate all conservatism. I
Yes,
agree.
ban it
yeah.
from the school.
I think this could be my
No,
partisanship
the left
showing.
and the right is what I meant. Get rid of
No,
it.
I got you. I
Let's
got
try,
you. This could be my partisanship showing, possibly. But I think one of the reasons for this is because the right is a lot more idiosyncratic than the left is in a lot of ways. Most left-leaning values were hammered into books 150 years ago. You know, like if you talk to like your average socialist or communist online, you're probably going to find that a lot of them have like an investment in some type of theory or literature that is very specific and very laid out, and you can agree or disagree, but it was written there. You know, and a lot of right-leaning ideas I feel are more of, again, I understand this is a product of my partisanship, but sort of an emotive response to a given set of material conditions. So
The same
national.
argument goes the other way, man.
I know, and it really depends on perspective. Like nationalism, for example, very few people subscribe to the intellectual tradition of nationalism. Yet, we have a lot of nationalists in this country.
What do you mean by the intellectual tradition?
Well, the intellectual
Guaranteed
tradition of
to
nationalism
satisfy.
came along with the codification of the nation state, and the idea was that the individual will should be subservient to that of the nation, because the nation was with the sort of amalgamation of the people's will. If the individual dies, the nation lives. Really weird Orwellian stuff, you know? Trump supporters.
That's like authoritarian nationalism.
Evolution of monarchy.
So you have a libertarian argument over borders, and some people are like, no, true libertarian supports borders. No, you can't be libertarian without borders. It's how you protect your ideas. Like, I see it from left, right, up, down. Everybody says, the left this, the right that. I think in terms of trying to actually identify the right and the left, you've got right and left in terms of social values, tradition versus progressivism, traditionalism, and then you have economics, right, laissez-faire capitalist versus left socialist. The problem is people use them interchangeably, and they essentially end up meaning nothing.
This is one of the things that I really respected about Bernie Sanders. I think, as people disagree with me on this, I think there are a lot of people in this country who are just, let's be real, just don't like black people very much, and that informs a lot of their political opinions, and I don't think there's anything I can do about that with policy or with my channel or anything like that. But there is something the vast, vast, vast majority of the people in this country want and care about, and that is a good life for their children. I think virtually everyone. You'll have some anti-natalists now and again, but almost everyone wants that. And Bernie Sanders was good at tapping into that. Bernie Sanders did not align himself with any like nouveau woke tendencies with regards to progressivism. He would support, but his main messaging was very consistent all the time.
Until he got on the debate stage and said, when you're white, you don't know what it's like to be poor.
I agree. Wait. I remember that. That was bad. That was a slip up. I know if I talked to him and he was like, yeah, of course they're
But
white
he
people.
gave in.
Well-
he gave in.
well, what do you mean
And
gave
now
in?
Now he endorsed Hillary Clinton. Now he
I voted for Hillary Clinton. I'm farther to the
why?
because she wasn't Trump. Because
she's worse than Trump. I understand Biden at least.
No, wait.
And I think Biden's bad.
I think that Hillary Clinton is an odious person, but when it comes to basic policy issues like climate change or like what economically you're going to do for the country, I think the Democrats just generally have a better plan for this country than the
But we
Republicans.
had the best economy in generations.
It's a continuation of Obama era policies. What
But
policy did he
Obama said-
implement?
So We had tariffs. We had
But
strict border controls.
So wait, what?
Bailed out Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and pumped trillions of dollars into the economy, so it looked great.
One at a time.
Terrible economy.
One at a time. The tariffs were maligned by virtually every economist in the country, and he has had to spend an enormous amount of money with subsidies used. Right, exactly. So I don't think that had anything to do with the economy. That could be considered a detriment. When it comes to closing down the border, I've seen no evidence that that's improved the economy. All of the unemployment rate, the GDP, this was a straight line continuation of Obama policies.
Said you wouldn't reach these numbers, and then he did.
I don't think that changed anything
Factories
I said,
came back to Michigan.
That he
massive multi-billion-dollar investment.
massively overstated the extent to which the manufacturing industry came back. He said it was like tens of that. It was like a couple thousand, and even then, having like that's your goal, like a couple thousand.
Whenever we get a presidential change, I remember this since I was little. It's like, oh, actually, the success of this president is from the past president because everybody always does this.
We look at look at policies though. Obama did inherit a mess from George W. Bush. This isn't just like, oh, it was because he came after Bush. It was a objective thing that had happened under Bush's presidency, and Obama's policies allowed the economy to get back on track in a straight line trend that continued into Trump's years. I haven't seen any evidence that Trump's policies meaningfully affected that trend, with the exception of his handling of the coronavirus pandemic, which did end up spiking everything back into the touchdown zone. And of course, that spike down would have happened under any president. It's a pandemic. But recovery has been in large part hampered by a non-existent federal response. And the tone deafness of, again, like, we have conquered coronavirus the day after the worst record number of cases since it all started. This type of leadership, even if we're to leave aside populism and whatever, I think populism flourishes when people are happy and healthy because it gives them time to think and it gives them room to breathe. And for that reason, I think we need 4 years of competent, milquetoast, neoliberal, centrist governance under Biden.
He's not competent.
But he's not
moderately
he's not competent, and he's
How's he? He's
deluded.
He's like a regular.
He's an angry
It's gonna be
racist
Kamala
man.
Harris.
He's like, sure.
Plastic as she comes.
She's but I don't.
She locked up people and held them past their parole.
Yeah,
dates
she's terrible.
For cheap labor.
But they're
But
all.
neither of them are competent. That's the problem.
Well, they're certainly more competent than Trump. Wait. I just want to say again, I'm not defending the moral character of any of these politicians. But if we want to go back to back, policy by policy, promise by promise, absolutely, I'll rep.
It's an abusive relationship. You keep going back to, man.
You're going back to Trump.
No. I'm not going back to Trump. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I'm saying right now, I'm sitting back with my feet up watching a bulldog trash around the ivory tower.
Okay, but
making me laugh.
people are dying while you laugh.
No, you brought this up earlier. It was a really great point. We have no metric of success for COVID. I look at what Fauci said in March when Trump was taking action. He said no one could do better. Why would I now change my opinion on this?
Because he said that once, and because he's in a political position where he has to say things that are positive.
What on earth?
Oh, Betsy, I think she's
The cat's rubbing her
scratching her face.
We had several governors praise Trump for his response in, I think it was May. Look.
A quarter of the deaths from COVID worldwide in a country with 4%.
Nursing homes where the governors of Democrat-controlled states put sick people.
That's not. Wait. That's not good. I feel like we're engaging in whataboutism right now. The fact of the matter remains that this country has more federal power and more wealth than literally any other country in the history of this planet.
No. These other countries don't have the state structure we do, where the president is inhibited from taking actions.
How is he? He absolutely had the ability to do a national plan. I'm sorry, I can't engage in this apologism. You say you dislike both apologism. You say that you don't like either candidate, but the 10th Amendment doesn't prevent a national response to the COVID crisis.
Trump would have to invoke serious powers.
Yes, people were encouraging him to evoke the war powers because this is a time more people have died during this than they've died over the past 50 years.
You're making a political statement about whether the Republicans who wanted it or who didn't want it, the Democrats who did, one side was right or wrong.
Yeah,
I'm saying is you made the point earlier. We have no bar of success on what this would have looked like because
that doesn't.
That
doesn't. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the apologism. Just because we don't have a bar where we can objectively determine how well Hillary would have done doesn't mean we can't criticize.
No,
it's not. We know that this country has done terribly. We know this administration lies about it. We know we have 4% of the world population.
4 hours
of the total number of deaths from COVID.
Hold on.
We know. Wait. I have to.
Before you take that number, you got to take out the nursing
4 fucking
And what
hours.
about the
of
9% that were 2.6 comorbidities?
Jesus.
No, that's not.
Wait.
Trump is the flu deaths.
Trump is the president.
No,
COVID
that's
deaths.
not the issue.
How
A
is that not
couple
an
of
issue?
thousand an
Trump
hour.
is the president of the whole country, Democrats included. The Democratic governors and everything they do is all part of Trump's overall.
Good for him.
Trump can't control the governors. He can control our national response, which has been non-existent. He's lied frequently about the nature of the coronavirus, the extent to which it will harm this country. We know he would.
For good reason.
No, not for good reason.
Do you think a panic would have been better?
I think being honest would have been
Let's try not
preferable.
to
Wait, you
suck.
earlier on Twitter, you were criticizing Fauci for saying that masks weren't effective, and
Low
we know now
speed,
that they are. But you'll defend the
auto
president of the
shields.
United States of America
repeating
lying
them?
to the population?
For repeating?
No, Fauci never said that COVID would be no big deal. Trump was
He did.
informed.
He actually did. He actually did. You need to watch the videos because he did.
No,
And
wait.
the
Why
video
are
was
they
put out
splitting?
with all of Fauci's statements. And Fauci, I've criticized Fauci over and over again. Early on, I was very
And not
much-
Trump.
And because Trump's repeating what Fauci says.
Trump does not just wait; they fight constantly.
No, early on they didn't. Early on, Trump made the mistake of just parroting Fauci, and I got to the point.
He did not exclusively parrot Fauci early on. Wait, I know. I can watch the clips. Wait, I understand. There was a lot of complexity here when it comes to the information that was disseminated and who did it. But that doesn't change the fact we know Trump was given information and then lied about it.
And that's your opinion is.
That's not an opinion.
Yeah, no. I'm saying, and your opinion is he shouldn't have, and mine is I don't know. Maybe there would have been
right.
maybe there would.
Like in Canada,
Trump made a call, and you're criticizing him, and we don't know what the result.
You've criticized Fauci for what he said about the masks. How can you say Trump, well, maybe it would have caused a panic, but then not say the same thing about Fauci when he said that masks weren't effective sometime
wait.
after March.
We should have worn masks the entire time.
Are you sure?
We don't know.
Are they like made of cloth and dirty?
We don't know if a panic would have destroyed everything and killed 10 times the people.
How would that, being honest about the extent, first of all, hundreds of thousands are dead, and they're dying in large part because we don't have a consistent national policy about social distancing and about mask wearing. That is...
And obesity.
No, dude,
I don't know.
Sickness in
Trump
general.
can't issue Trump does not have the constitutional authority to issue a mask mandate.
He has, first of all, he has war powers. He absolutely can. He uses executive actions all the time. This is not something that he would do. This would not be legally challenged. He was being called for to do this, even by the Democrats. He was being called to do this. He disbanded the pandemic response team. He removed people.
And consolidated it.
He withdrew the
3
vote.
dead.
Who did he consolidate?
4.
What?
Did you,
They have
can you
5
put-
players
no,
up, 4 players up.
Trump consolidated the roles of
And the 2 guys are...
I've been through this like a million times.
Uh,
So Trump did disband
Please get out of there.
Where did they go?
And then allocated those functions into a group of people.
Wait, was that Pence's task force?
No, this was the existing CDC.
The existing
Get out of
CDC that
there.
he defunded by like a massive
there was-
percentage?
So factcheck.org, the way they put it was Trump was trying to streamline the process early on. And that it's been weaponized by partisans to make it seem like he just straight up got rid of it.
So he got rid of it, then took its functions and put it into the CDC, and he's cut the CDC's
we
budget.
gotta pull up. No, it's factcheck.org. It's Trump disband.
I'm familiar with
Got
the
it.
site factcheck.org.
I know. I was just trying
But I mean, do we want to look at like CDC cuts or what he did with the people in
no,
Wuhan
I'm
that he
saying
pulled out?
that if we want to pull up the source and talk about Trump consolidating the roles of
What I'm trying to talk about is the totality of evidence that he's mishandled this pandemic, and it's interesting to me that you were extremely unwilling to criticize him for that.
Because what's the alternative?
The alternative.
What would have happened in any other circumstance where we have no control group? What am I supposed to say?
So,
Well,
wait,
Trump
how many would have
act like
how
he
many
saved a life.
how many would have had to have died before you would criticize him?
I don't know.
Give me a number.
Oh
Wait, so
my
you put 1
God.
million?
So what you're telling me is
Incredible. I'm looking at one guy for
We don't.
fucking
That's you're
a
making
minute,
a chronological statement. That's
and
ridiculous. We don't ever know what would happen if.
Nothing
what am I supposed
happened.
to say?
Nothing.
When Fauci early on praised him, when governors early on praised him, now they're critical of him in an election.
Not, oh wait, wait. First of all, the praise of governors is irrelevant. Are governors health experts? Second of all, Fauci praised him.
I
a couple
should
of
just
times.
change
He's also
it
under a lot
like,
of political pressure to do what Trump says, or otherwise there's a very decent chance of him getting canned. Fauci has made plenty of statements which Trump has later contradicted. Trump has been back and forth on the mask issue, going so far as to make fun of people for wearing
I do
masks.
not
Trump
have
didn't wear a mask in
expertise.
public for months. Wait. But again,
nor the clairvoyance to say if only Trump did X, Y would have happened.
then wait. But then you can't criticize anything. What if we didn't go into the Afghanistanian war? What if some terrible thing would have happened if we hadn't done that? What if we hadn't gone into Iraq?
No. I think we can objectively say, wow, that war was bad. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I can say this is objectively very bad.
And
We
I
should
can,
be doing
and I can
something.
say Trump should have done these things, but I can't get overly angry about making assumptions on what I think would or wouldn't have
So
happened.
you are of the opinion that you should not be able to criticize a sitting precedent as long as you don't have.
You're using semantic arguments.
This is not semantic at all.
Because I actually said you made a good point, and we don't have a measure of success what Trump should have done.
Yeah, that's
So-
to indicate we
so
can't
what's-
know for sure. We should
yeah.
make reasonable
You're
arguments.
using
Who
hindsight
said
to make it
who
seem
said
like
we
you
didn't
could
have
done a better job.
No, we know
measures?
he lied at the time. Oh, wait, I'm not the president. I'm not saying I could have done a better job. I'm saying that he messed up. And if you actually are anti-establishment, wait. If you actually are anti-establishment as you claim to be, you are shockingly unwilling to criticize Trump on some of the most objectively. Wait, you listed the tariffs that he did, even though it destroyed American farming for essentially no benefit, as a positive
policy he did,
to the economy,
and that-
as a
and that
positive.
really ended up with a good economy.
As the no, we had the good
27
economy.
trillion in debt right now.
As we had the good economy. You mentioned that's a positive, even though all that did was hurt American workers. You are willing to
How did that
defend him.
hurt American
The subsidies that we needed to provide farmers because they were being destroyed, the manufacturing that was being hurt from our inability to import.
So Trump
Wait, that's not tariff.
Put tariffs on their vehicles manufactured overseas, and then they brought their
We
factories.
brought back a shockingly low number of jobs that don't cover the. No.
we're pushing back a
The
little
point.
bit.
I don't
No,
know what
no,
would have
no,
happened
no.
if Trump caused a panic by coming out
Oh
and
my
saying,
God.
you know, America, there's a dangerous pandemic.
Why not constantly downplaying it? Like he did. This is going to be over any second. We're rounding the curve now. The heat's going to get rid of it. Constant statement
Why
after
did George
statement.
W. Bush come out and say, keep shopping, keep shopping?
I don't like George W. Bush.
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying there are presidents, and there's a decision to make, and sometimes they're hard. and we don't know what would have happened.
The issue, this is the
And so
fundamental issue that I
You're
have.
coming out and saying Trump should have told everyone. Maybe he should have. I don't know.
If you actually consistently held to this, then you would never be able to criticize anything the president does because you don't know what would have happened if they hadn't done it. No, what I'm saying, wait, hold on, I would like to. What I'm saying is your standard for assessing the validity of this behavior is nonsensical.
Is a panic bad?
You don't know that would have caused a panic.
Trump said
Also,
to avoid a panic.
why not lie about it? Why not say, hey, why not say we need to buckle down as a nation and we need to recognize that we need to be wearing masks and social distancing?
Yeah, he could have done that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Wait, why isn't it okay for Fauci to have been wrong about the mask because he didn't want to incite a panic?
That's not incorrect. That's right.
So you're in favor of Fauci saying that you didn't need to wear masks?
No, I think it's like you're purposefully misunderstanding.
No,
make an argument.
No, the argument that I'm making, fundamentally.
You can't criticize Trump over masks and then act like Fauci was a saint the entire time.
I have never done that.
I'm not saying it's the rhetorical.
You're talking with me.
People. If people are going to look at Trump and say Trump said all these things, and then I can go back and see that Fauci was the one who said them to Trump, and Trump repeated them, then my issue is maybe we could have done better, maybe we could have done worse. Trump banned travel early on. He formed a task force. He brought Fauci on in the first place, and the New York Times is estimating if the infection rate reaches a certain level, it could even be as high as 6 million.
First of all,
I don't know what would have happened in any other circumstance.
Nobody ever knows that we don't have vision into alternate futures. We have to make reasonable assessments based on the fact that we are doing terribly.
Blasio contributed to all of this the same as Trump.
This is exactly what I mean, and this is the issue that I have. You claim to have like this a disaffected sort of like anti-establishment view of all of this, but your channel is hyper partisan against the left, and then when anyone criticizes Trump, you'll either defend him harshly or you'll back up and say, well, they're all bad. You are taking the choice to defend Trump. You are the partisan here. You're not a distanced anti-authoritarian. You are standing with him, and you are saying, yes, I am anti-authoritarian, I am anti-establishment, but also, we don't know if him lying to the American people was bad. It could have caused a panic.
So wait. Should I make a video right now where I just scream about Nancy Pelosi causing all the problems? I haven't done that.
I don't know what that has to
just
do
talk
with
about
what I just
lying.
said.
So if Nancy Pelosi went up to China and said everyone come party, if Bill de Blasio went out...
This is whataboutism in the extreme. You can't do it. You can't accept criticisms of Trump.
Tell me that I'm whatabouting by...
You can criticize those people. You can criticize those people. Wait,
what about Trump? What about Trump?
This is whataboutism. You can criticize those people. I criticize those people.
I love the paradox of you whatabouting me on Trump and then claiming I'm whatabouting when I...
Is that good or bad?
Well, that's my point.
Going to a shit show in the last...
It might have been good that he
Do you
lied.
want me to make a video where I go over how all of the Democrats screwed everything up? I haven't made a video about
last hour, they're tired.
Pelosi in Chinatown. I haven't made a video
Tim
about
is
Blasio.
What does this have to do with what I'm saying? You can if you want to.
You want to say that I say they're all bad. They are all bad.
Yeah, okay.
And I didn't make a video critiquing Pelosi the same as I did about de Blasio. I've mentioned all of it and Trump in a sort of, we don't know what would have happened. But I'll tell you what, if you want to say Trump was bad for the things he did, so were they. And I haven't dedicated
This is you are describing whataboutism right now. Listen, it's this simple, okay? If you actually, wait, I would really like it if you would. If you actually think they're all bad, you wouldn't be this uncomfortable with a conversation about how Trump messed up.
Wait,
hold on. So
what I'm comfortable with is when I answer you, you change the subject and then you
I'm
arguments.
trying to very specifically talk about
I've
Trump's
already
failure.
given you my answer on panic, and you haven't let it go.
Your answer is that you don't think it's acceptable to criticize Trump because we don't have vision into an alternate universe.
No, that's not true at all.
No.
I think Trump is an arrogant blackguard.
In this specific
And
respect.
I think you are partisan biased pro-Biden. You don't even know about half the things that have happened that you're criticizing Trump for.
I'm talking about Trump's handling of the coronavirus.
Right.
So
So don't come to me
Oh
and
shit,
say
I'm
you're
fucking lost.
hyper-partisan
I don't
because you're
even
saying I
know
don't know
what
about
the
Trump. When I also said I
fuck
didn't
is
know about
going
Nancy
on
Pelosi.
Wait,
right
first of
now.
all, wait, hold on. Again, I don't know why you keep moving on. We're talking about Trump and coronavirus. I acknowledge my partisanship. By the way, I'm totally fine with that.
made a whataboutism statement about me saying you
How have I
criticize
moved?
Democrats, but what about Trump?
Yes, because I was trying to explain to you my broader issue.
So don't use whataboutism
That's not
against me.
that's not what whataboutism is.
When I said,
Whataboutism is when you say, "Oh, you want to talk about this? Well, what about this?" What I was trying to
didn't
do
do that.
was you immediately jumped into how you hadn't made a video on Pelosi or
because
Cuomo or what
you
have you.
claimed I was only defending Trump when I pointed out I also did not make a video about Pelosi.
But we're talking about Trump.
The point is,
You brought up Pelosi. You brought up Blasio.
you can't accuse me of whataboutism. And then when I say, actually, I haven't criticized either of them, you say, that's whataboutism.
Can we?
No,
Is it
I'm not
possible?
defending either.
Yeah, I got a question. What do you guys think about Trump lying about the masks in general? Do you think he did a good
He didn't lie
thing?
about masks. He lied about the severity to avoid a panic.
to avoid a run on masks, so that
To keep the stock market from plummeting.
Right,
yeah.
and that's possible too.
That's an opinion. All he said was to avoid a panic.
Dude, he fearmongers all the time. He talks about how Antifa is going to burn down suburbs. He doesn't care about a
did he do
panic.
it
And then when Antifa went to the suburbs,
No.
The CIA lies. This is its job.
Dude,
The president
Ian.
has to lie. It's his job. That's one of his
You were
job duties is to lie when you need to lie.
Right, and we can criticize them when they do that. Trump fearmongers constantly. Every rally of his is a treatise on how America is about to be destroyed by far-left lunatics. I don't think he has a problem with panic. I think he had a problem with panic being tied to his name. Whether that be a product of the stock market dipping, which ended up happening anyway, that was pretty much inevitable given the consequences.
Jesus,
of the
he's
action.
such a fucking
or whether that just be a matter of
spurg.
his personal image, which is also something presidents have to be concerned about. I think this is worthy of criticism. But it's weird to me.
I agree with you.
By the
But to be
metrics
fair,
of this country's performance
Tim
relative
is
to other
losing it
countries,
too.
we have done
And I would
shockingly
be
poorly. And at the
so
end of
tricks on nursing homes.
I think that's bad too.
So
you can't just talk about Trump. You have to bring up other things.
Because
The guy-
How many deaths were caused by the nursing homes, by the way? Out of the 200
Does a whataboutism, then accuses you of
deaths in America?
It's just
Yeah, I can look
Adam
You
would
mean-
love
I
it.
thought you were just referring to
I
the
think
New
it was
York.
like 7,000 in New York.
Okay,
many
so
thousands,
so if you want to ignore that, we're
No,
looking
in
at
New
what
York, I-
218,000. Look, even again,
If
like
we're going to compare the numbers, there is so much nuance in this discussion, and I
he's
think
the president.
what you are misunderstanding is, I think Trump has very serious problems. I think he lies often. I think he's a blackguard. He boasts. He won't shut up. And I think most people know he's got a mouth that he couldn't stop blabbing to save his own campaign. I think he caused a lot of his own problems. And there is an actual really great argument that he should have been honest with the American people. This stemmed from me saying, I don't know. And then you turned it into, why won't you criticize the president? Because I don't know what would have happened.
Well, first of all, the statement "I don't know" and the statement "I think there's an excellent argument for your point" are not the same statements, even remotely.
You said there was no standard by which we could.
But
there's no control
as
group
I
for
have
what could have been
clarified,
done.
there's no control group for anything like this. But we still have to be able to criticize. So when I say stuff like he lied and he has downplayed relentlessly, even though
I'm
he had
fucking getting
information which
pizza.
suggested
I
that would
can't.
not be the
I
case,
can't.
and he is constantly scapegoated to some
I've been
China
going
in a pathetic
keto
attempt to
and
avoid any
I've been losing
responsibility or
weight, but
culpability for his
after
actions
this
as
fucking
administration,
retardation,
or
I
the fact
have
that
to treat
he has
myself.
done
I'm
absolutely nothing to
fucking
invoke war
losing
powers, and
brain
one of the
cells.
few instances where even I, a left-leaning person, a socialist, would say is perfectly acceptable. These are worthy criticisms, I think. It seemed to me like you were being rather defensive about them.
What kind of
Do
what
you
would he do
think
with
he
war
should have
powers?
invoked the Insurrection Act against the riots when they were at their peak?
What? This is what
And
it
I'm
is.
fucking
We're talking
getting
about
pineapple on
What
it
would he do
too.
with war powers
Fuck
with
it.
coronavirus?
Wait, have 225,000 people died to riots? Can we pull up the numbers on
God, I
that?
hope
I'm
not.
sure they haven't. I
But
would
the
like.
question is, at what point are you okay with authoritarianism?
At whatever. First of all, I don't think invoking war powers is the same kind of authoritarianism.
You said an executive order was.
Yeah, an executive order to ban a type of speech
No,
for partisan
to ban
reasons.
trainings, and then you inflated
He
it to
didn't.
be
He didn't just ban the trainings. He banned
No,
critical
no,
race
I'm
theory.
not
You actually know that.
Can you
I'm doing so
look at
well.
the
I
language of the executive
dropped
order because I guarantee you it doesn't specifically say these trainings.
We both agree the trainings would be bad, but you brought it to a
Below
speech
the weight I
argument and then went
want.
off on First Amendment rights and everything.
Because
the point
the
is,
language of the executive
Don't
order
do
was
it,
not
dude.
specifically targeting those training seminars.
you
Was
said
tra-
earlier that Trump's use of executive orders was him expanding federal authority.
That
But
is.
now you're also arguing he should have overridden
Yeah,
Constitution,
and as I
Constitution using war powers.
wait, first of all, that's not overriding the Constitution. That's a power delegated to the president in times of great need. Second of all, I would say that's legitimate use of it. I'm a pragmatist.
it's
I'm a
opinion.
utilitarian. What? No.
I don't-
Wait,
I don't-
wait.
I don't disagree
All
with
of it
I'm
is
a
opinion.
utilitarian.
I think it's okay.
think-
Wait, I think it's okay to use federal power to keep hundreds of thousands from dying due to a pandemic. I think it's not okay when you're attacking an entire subset of academic critique because of some federal training programs. I'm okay with X and Y. I don't think it's okay to use the police to arrest a child for dropping a lollipop stick in the ground. I think it's okay for them to go after rapists and murderers. There are contextual uses for state power that I think can be justified in different ways.
So the issue is, my opinion was, I don't know. Should we criticize Trump for not telling the American people? I don't know. I don't know what would happen if a panic started.
But all the other stuff I mentioned too, it wasn't just that. It was also the constant downplaying. It was also, even after people
Well,
knew
that
how
was
severe it was.
literally it. That was him trying to avoid a
But-
panic.
but then
that's
he
what
kept doing
He
it.
said, I downplayed it because I didn't
Yeah,
want to start a panic.
he kept not wanting to start a panic.
Yeah, but
Like,
he-
every week he'd start over
Now-
and be like, and
Yeah.
we're gonna get it next week.
Oh,
In 2 weeks it'll be done.
I agree with you when he comes out and he puts out these videos where he's like, Antifa is coming. Because clearly, I don't think
Fucking
Antifa is an
guy.
issue. I think it's fair to criticize him on that broad point. As for COVID, maybe that was a real threat that, really could have screwed everything up to an extreme
It's
degree.
killed like a quarter million
Race is
people.
a
It's a real threat.
race
New York Times
is
high estimate was like
biology,
6 million, too. It
but
wasn't
Trump
just
did pretty bad on
the
COVID.
slider bar they had for their analysis was
The
worst
fucking
case scenario was like
centrist.
6+ million.
But we can.
The
yes,
true
but the best
centrist.
that we can do at this point is see how other countries
I'm
have done.
gonna
And we
back
can tell
up
just from the responses they've taken
Tim
that
on
ours has been
race.
woefully inadequate.
But you already said no two countries are the same, and you can't compare.
Back
But
up
wait, we can't
Vaush and
compare them
COVID.
exactly, but of course we
How
can
can
take
you
info.
compare a federal system with 50 states to a single state of
I'm
10
gonna
million
fucking
people?
cry.
Well, maybe we could find a single state with 10 million people and then compare what it did to a single one of our states.
Sweden.
Well, Sweden did rather poorly, didn't it?
Sweden's doing fantastic. They just had a massive drop-off in cases, and they're doing great. My friends in Sweden said they've never encountered problems. Testing is easily available, but cases have gone down, and they've never locked down, and everything's improved.
Did they lock down their
Meanwhile,
borders?
the UN has said the economic lockdowns will lead to mass starvation, and that now they've said we advise against them. They must be avoided at all costs. It's fair to say everyone screwed this up royally.
Yeah, and that is to be expected.
by
Just
all
us
means-
more than many other countries. If we
You know,
look at
all
per
our
capita
but-
deaths.
our
The
states
difference-
stayed open.
You need
So
to
we never
compare-
had closed
you need
borders
to
in the
compare
states.
Europe
That's
as
the
a whole
problem.
to the United States.
No, you can't because they
you
closed their borders. We never
Also,
closed our state borders.
Europe isn't beholden to a single executive power. The EU isn't like, it can't tell every country to adopt. Like, it doesn't have war powers over the entire continent of Europe.
So
We
it's
can,
an opinion on whether or not Trump
Everything
should or
doesn't
shouldn't have. What I'm saying is, it's not an issue of we know what could or would have happened. It's just an issue of, I believe things would have been better had Trump used these powers.
Yeah, but that's the case with literally all public policy. We have to be able to assess these things from inferring data examples that we already have and applying to them to the different situations. We can't say,
And so your
like,
issue
say
is
for example,
not criticizing him, saying I don't know, whereas you're taking a position. That's it.
Well, you don't know that, but what about all of the other things I mentioned? Like him repeatedly saying that it was going to be away any time now, him making fun of people for wearing masks,
Yeah,
him
those are
not
bad
publicly appearing. Okay, I'm glad that we agree on that. My only concern here is that the way you talked about it initially, where you said we don't have like a metric for objectively analyzing.
You said that.
I did say that.
And I said that's a good point. I agree with you.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you can't make inferences. I'll give you an example. Say you have two cities, different demographics, populations. One city applies policy, works great, people get happier, wealthier, richer. Those two cities aren't exactly the same. If people in city B, the one without the policy, start saying, hey, mayor, do you want to maybe do that? And the mayor said, well, our city isn't exactly like their city. And then just dead stopped as like an excuse for not engaging. I don't think that's acceptable. I think we need to look into the policies these other countries used, the nature of their country, the way their balance of urban and rural populations played off each other. Did they do lockdowns? Did they do mask mandates? And if we can do that honestly, and this is not something the Trump administration is willing to do because he has ousted all responsibility for this onto China, absolutely all of it. And he praises himself every time the opportunity comes for his handling of coronavirus. This administration, I think, frankly, is at least with regards to COVID, a death cult. And if well, no, people are dying. Well, people are dying, and many of the people who are dying, or I guess not dead themselves, because that'd be voter fraud, are then going to go out there and affirm the practices of a candidate who has lied to them.
I just read it was a 97 to 99.4% recovery rate for the virus.
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't seem deadly at all.
Well, I mean, if you hit millions of people with that, that'll be hundreds of thousands dead.
But the flu does that too.
The flu doesn't kill nearly as many people
Heart
as
attack,
COVID.
people with obesity with the flu.
Yeah.
How many people with 2.6
the flu's death rate
morbidities?
is like a third.
The flu is also not as transmittable, and also it's not as another thing people don't talk about with COVID. This is what scares me personally. Like coming out here, for example, I flew across, fantastic. I love flying. I say sarcastically. COVID-19. I'm young and healthy, like a horse. I'll be fine. But sometimes there are after effects, you know? I've heard a lot of cases, people who've had COVID-19, that's a pre-existing condition, heart and lung problems, sometimes even brain problems. That really, really scares me. Yeah, yeah.
Ventilators mess people up too.
Well,
Oh my God.
secondary effects are serious.
Crushing their lungs.
It's like actually terrifying, and it's because a flu could never. I mean, I guess in very rare cases, a flu could do that.
I think COVID's very
If you mix
serious,
it with other
and I
diseases,
think,
it can really flu could mess
if we were going to make any determination, I think we can look at, if we were going to go country by country, I think we should look at Sweden and say we really screwed this one.
Did they close their borders?
I don't know, and I don't know if they did.
I'm looking at New Zealand. They
were
apparently
full lockdown.
Well, they
They
are
were crazy.
Well, they did it. They did it. They
No,
have.
it came back, and then they did another hard. There was a light resurgence, and they locked down.
Was I? Oh well, I mean, I suppose they're very sensitive
Well,
to fluctuations, but
it's
at the moment, I
two
think they're
cities.
doing.
Hawaii has a lot.
Like not to disparage
massive
New Zealand, they've got I think Auckland and Wellington.
Yeah, there are a lot of Kiwis right now who are pretty mad at what you just said, Tim.
Well, it's like 4 million people. So
Yeah, small country. Of course, it gets easier the
Island-
smaller you get. Yeah.
Island nation.
Definitely.
They could easily suspend travel, do
Plus,
a short lockdown.
COVID can't
I
swim.
swear the food supply, man. Unhealthy people are going to get sicker faster. If you have an obesity epidemic.
Right, that's true. So the United States has other health issues which contribute.
In New Zealand, you have to fish for all your own food. They actually, the police will shoot you if you buy anything from the grocery
White
store.
rice
It's
and
great.
No, you know
fish.
what it is? The cost of living is really high in New Zealand.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's by the way, from what I've seen though, beautiful country. I've never been there. I don't even know why I'm repping them, but
Yeah,
And the seasons are inverted.
yeah, they have.
Let's go in the winter.
They have Christmas in like July.
Look.
Yeah, it's cool.
I
I wanted to ask you, by the
BLM.
way, just out of curiosity, and this isn't a criticism thing. I'm not a public health official. What would you do? If you have war powers, whatever. What direction do you think is best for getting America on track with COVID?
early on, I think in a bunch of videos I did, I talked about the severity and the need for locking down our borders. But I never thought an economic lockdown. The concept didn't even exist. And I think at this point, based on everything we've learned, it probably is a really, really bad idea. So the few things I would say is protect the vulnerable, take strong measures, keep the economy open,
Come on.
suspend travel, border crossings for the time being. And that's probably the best we can do. And then we really want to make sure
Oh
that
my
we
God.
control and hands local officials who are there reaching better areas. There were a few cities in New Mexico that shut down. It was crazy. When I drove out that way, there was a city where the sign actually said, no outside visitors allowed. That's up to them. And I think there's a big difference between the way that America handles things, the way Americans will respond to things, and travel suspension, leaving it to local officials. And I think the one place where
Oh,
Trump
shit.
did well but then did poorly was early on. He was providing quick assistance. He got praised for it. But then, as you mentioned later, he started, playing games with federal assistance, which I guess, there's a conversation about the riots, but perhaps the issue is a difference between a view of America as a single nation or as a union of states and a balance of authorities.
Yeah.
My view is I don't think Trump should have used the war powers. And it's also similar to how many on the left want to get rid of the electoral college. I don't, because I don't think this country would run better through a top-down executive approach. I think we need to have a balance of powers at local, regional,
I don't think
Oh,
the
shit.
electoral college does much to empower the small states. I think the Senate does. So we should follow that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, sure. We can give that argument. It's really hard to say with the COVID stuff. I agree that the localization thing is really, really important. China seemed to have handled COVID pretty well after initial burning period, but China has the ability and the authority to do. Well, they can do stuff we can't do. And I wonder, I mean, to what extent is that effective? Like hypothetically, imagine money's not an issue. You know, if you could do a month lockdown where you suspend all rent, mortgage, everything, like suspend all forms of systemic, debt payment, and provide people a base stipend, and then have like local officials who are tasked to provide like groceries or rations to every house. If you could do that without money, that would do a really, really, really good job. But that in America, in a country this huge with this many different people with this many different ideologies, that would be a
Well, it's authoritarianism versus libertarianism. And so I've had this argument with many libertarians who don't want to accept it, but there is a strong efficiency in serious authoritarian regimes. Notably China, when a pandemic hit, they welded people into their homes and sacrificed the individual for the sake of life.
They glued everyone to their seats in their house. It was a big campaign. They'd run in with the Elmer's bottle,
Well, they really would weld their doors shut.
No, yeah, but and the thing is, but this would be my counter argument. I like to fashion myself a libertarian socialist. I don't like the government. When it comes to this, there are two types of freedom: positive and negative freedom. And I always get it mixed up which one is which, but I'm just going to guess and hope it's right. You have positive freedoms, like the ability to do whatever you want, freedom from law, essentially. And that's what most libertarians talk about.
Are you talking about rights, like negative and positive rights?
Yes, I think I get them mixed every time.
Positive rights.
Oh my god. I haven't played too many
a positive right to life means if Ian threatens
with
a knife,
fighters.
A negative right to life means you're not allowed to kill me.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I think I will butcher it if I attempt to recite
Level
it verbatim, so I'll simply say
49.
this. I think there is a freedom in not living in a country with a pandemic. Because there are implicit threats to my safety that come not from the autonomy or agency of any individual, but simply now from the process of participating in society.
I'm
so
doing
which
something
freedoms
wrong
do I
about
value
the
more? Do I value my
one-on-ones.
freedom to not get locked into my house by the government for a month? Or do I value my freedom
But I'm
to live
pretty
in a
decent
country
in
over the next 2
one-on-ones
years?
other
in which there's
games,
not a pandemic?
so-
And I don't have an answer to that. I genuinely don't.
It's often a rural versus urban issue.
Long
So
ass
people in cities,
fucking
it's
track.
probably better just lock in your house for a short time and get back on with it. People leave it on the door. If that's true, I can do whatever.
Oh yeah, true. There's no you go out to Wyoming or something. These people are never ever, because we have such a diverse country. That's one of the things I love so much about this
That's why
place.
a national mask mandate would not even be enforced. Because in, I would say, more than half the states, I would say probably 95% of the country, outside of the blue counties, they wouldn't even enforce it.
Well, 95% of the country by landmass, maybe 40. Yeah. They're
Oh
probably
my god.
I think the best thing they probably could have done was set up a system of incentivizations for all the cities and governors and what have you, with like relative
Get
levels
paid
of
to wear your
COVID.
mask. Now we're talking.
Well, or like a
Crypto.
like
How many
like
rockets
a
do
state
these
gets an extra so and so
fuckers
much if they
have?
report a certain number, but then you have toxic incentives too. Like what if they underreport cases because they want to beat a federal quota or something terrible like that? Yeah.
Hey, Vaush, I had a question. You said you were a libertarian socialist, but you don't like the government. You said that in quick succession.
Yeah.
But I always think socialism is using the government to do things. So how do you rectify that?
Socialism should be about the people controlling the systems they live within. The state, if it's functioning properly, and I don't think it is right now in America, should be an apparatus of the will of the people. And so far as such a thing exists, right now we're like
authoritarian statehood.
maybe a little. Yeah. Well, that's the authoritarianism, the non-populist element. When corporations get involved, or when long-standing career politicians start solidifying their power in a way that's really, really hard to remove them, then the will of the people matters less and less. I want the government, to whatever extent it does exist, to be beholden entirely to the will of the people, a perfectly democratic society. And then I want corporations to do the same thing too. I think corporations should treat every single employee like a little citizen.
Yeah, I was thinking you should give stock to employees with like a scaling mechanism. Oh man, you don't have the math on.
Well,
Yeah.
so Bernie's proposed, I think, like 20% stock package.
I couldn't believe he did that, by the way. That was basic.
That's so
Great
cool.
socialism.
Very socialism. Yeah, I was getting hot under my collar just imagining that getting money.
That'd be nice because I've worked for startups, and when you have a percent, when you have some part of the company, you have such more incentive to make it great. Really? I just don't care about it if I don't have anything. It's like
We're self-employed, though.
Because I've worked on a bunch of companies where giving up equity to people is really, really difficult because you'll find a lot of people who need to go, I got equity players.
Oh no, but you have to put them on like a 5-year plan where they earn only a percentage of the equity every year, so they're incentivized to stay to make the
It
equity.
doesn't, it like,
Called vesting
I think you
stock.
should just split the revenue from the company fair ways. And
That
then
might be cool,
have
too.
people vote
it's
out.
not
One
so
more,
easy
come
to
on.
determine how you do that.
Sure. Well, there are a lot of different. This is a worker co-op, which is a lot of different ways that you can do it. There's actually a lot of really interesting data and worker cooperatives that's come out from Latin America over the past 20 years that indicate that a certain field that's an extremely efficient form of corporate structure. Because one of the big problems that we have with your average company, maybe not the very high-end tech ones where the big brainy folks work at, but even just in the lower end of things, retail, whatever, restaurants, people don't work too hard. Why?
Yes.
You get crap wages.
Get the last
You're
one.
not really respected that much because your work is pretty interchangeable. It's that creative investment in the work process, I think, that sparks the ingenuity, the investment, the work ethic in a lot of people.
I had a conversation with an accountant in New Jersey, it was like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and they were complaining about the $15 an hour wage hike that was coming or whatever, and how it lost him he lost like 30% of his clients. They shut down immediately. Because what people don't realize is many of these small businesses, and most businesses are small businesses, the people who own them aren't wealthy and making tons of money. Like the guy who owns a hardware shop might make $40K a year, and he might pay his employees, 12 or 13 an hour. Then they come and they say, we're doing 30%.
9 games, 3
$500
wins.
on all the
That's
costs. And he goes,
30%.
then I won't make any money for my family. And so he gets shut down.
Yeah. Well, the goal would be that if things are parted out, equally or fairly, I shouldn't say equally, because sometimes people are deserving, I think, of more compensation. That stuff like that wouldn't happen. A model that I've seen that looks really, really nice is you have a type of like payback investment on the part of anybody who's founded a given company, where they get a proportional wage in addition to like a higher percentage that they pay back until they've made back a certain percentage of whatever they initially invested, and then after that they're just kept in a higher tier. And that way you have like because a lot of people say, what about rewarding ingenuity? Great, ingenuity's phenomenal. Just got to find a way to set it up properly. I wish we with different ways of running governments, companies. That's what America could be. We have all these states. They're all
But
run.
that's his choice. People could do it.
They could, yeah. Though there are systemic barriers to forming worker cooperatives. Banks tend not to loan to them because it's kind of like a spooky form of managing people. But
No, I kind of want to segue off.
I need
from
to
this,
win
but I
the
saw
10th game.
You're
So I'm
in
like
favor of
at
political violence
40%. That would be
during the
nice.
revolution.
if it's done, I mean, given that it's done well, effectively, and for good reasons, sure.
So, what is well and effective?
Sure. I mean, like for example, if the working class and Jewish and queer people of Nazi Germany had risen up sometime immediately after Hitler was
Jewish
appointed
and queer
chancellor, I think most
people
of
of
us would
Nazi
agree with that.
Germany.
Like, I mean,
Risen
things get
up.
messy, sure, but like now in hindsight, we know. And I think that like right now in the United States of America, the idea of like, political violence for revolution is like a comedy. It's not going to happen. Are you kidding me?
But
It's not.
who's to say that the Jewish violent leader wouldn't have been worse than Hitler?
Well,
No,
because that stemmed from the communists being violent, then the Nazis were violent in response.
How
and if the
many of
Jews had
them
been
were
violent in
there?
response,
3?
You'd have three groups of violence.
What if you were
I
like a
agree
gay
with you on
Jew?
that point, and the point I was going to make
Does
is
that count for
the
2
argument
people
about political
rising
violence
up?
isn't just it's always good, it's always bad. It's that there are certain things we accept and certain things we don't.
The American country came from political violence.
Yeah,
revolution.
but
I'm
that's-
totally cool with that.
But
I mean,
that's
I don't like
different.
it, but
The
it
regulars
happened.
were sent here when we asserted our rights. So if the Jewish community in Nazi Germany were like, you can't do this to us, and the Nazis came in and they rose up, I agree.
Yeah,
Political violence in defense of rights, etc.
to me, it's just another tool. Take for example, like again with the police. Imagine you've never heard of police, never heard of prisons, foreign concept to you. And somebody says, hey, what if the state had the ability to lock a person up in a steel cell for an indefinite length of time if they make a mistake? And you would say,
Make a mistake?
Well, I mean, depends on the mistake, right?
I would say violate some preordained structure.
Sure, right,
or
but
rule.
even then the law is just codified morality, right? I mean, you get flexibility with that. Different countries consider different things. In Singapore, if you spit gum on the street, you can get to jail for that. They say, well, pornography can get you in jail. Like, yeah. And I certainly don't agree with those things, but I'm sure if I argued with them, they would say, well, you have a civic duty to not pollute your streets or whatever. And, but with regards to like violent revolution, it's just a tool. Same as any other type of political violence, like policing. Absolutely a form of political violence. Laws are codified by people in power to enforce a certain set of principles, and police are charged to enforce it. It's legitimized political violence, but it is nonetheless that. And with regards to this violent revolution thing, there have been many tyrannical, despotic governments in human history, and the reason at any point in time why a revolution would be justified is the promise that it would make life better. Often, it doesn't, and that's the issue. If there was ever a point where I felt it would in America, then I would support it. At the moment, I absolutely do not.
That, good point. I guess the way I see it is I would never trust someone to know what's best for anyone else.
Yeah.
And so that's, I guess, the libertarian. I guess the reason I ask is because socialism requires cooperation to an extreme degree that capitalism doesn't.
I'd say it depends. I think that, to the extent that democracy requires cooperation, then I would agree.
But like, so I think you mentioned before, socialism, you viewed it as certain goods become, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah,
but it's like,
decommodify industry and make sure workers are in charge of the industries,
so
essentially.
those things still have to be produced. Someone still has to do that work. And that means resources still have to be allocated to those individuals. So it puts a certain group of people in charge of allocating resources to those people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and this is the flaw with democracy. If you go very far left, like very, very, very far left, there are some anarchists who will say that even democracy is a metric of oppression, because democracy is a system by which you put people on top of you. So you must necessarily, as an anarchist, you must rid yourself of these political structures, because all you're doing is choosing who will next stomp on you. Now, I think that's perhaps a little bit hypothetical, but
Vaush,
A little
I'm really
bit.
glad you came on. This has been
Oh, man.
We're gonna do super chats.
What the
I
heck,
just want to
man?
say, like, I hope both left and right got their hot takes of both of us.
Yes.
And you spare us relentlessly. We have a ridiculous amount of super chats.
Oh, man.
It's 11:30.
oh yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Like,
I have
let's read some super chats.
Can
I have
we?
no sense of time. I
Man.
apologize.
I think this is fantastic.
Really
I think
fun.
You probably got me a bunch of things people are going to highlight. I'd like to think that there were a few things I threw at you, and I don't think my intention was not ever to be that. I think it was awesome to have a conversation, and I think it was interesting hearing your perspectives. So I am really grateful you came on, and I'm looking at the comments, and there's like some where like Tim sucks and some like Vaush sucks.
If I don't tweet after this, it's because Tim had me shot outside of this video.
You were mentioning earlier, like on your way here, the driver is like.
Oh yeah, the Uber driver was because there's the studio's in the middle of nowhere. The Uber driver was telling me, and I'm on the other side of the country, so I'm already hyped up. And he's like, the Blair Witch Project was shot here.
Oh my gosh.
These sure are some windy roads. I'm like, yeah.
It's like just like there's no street lights. It's all black. There's mountains, and it's like welcome.
By the way, I'm sorry, this is completely relevant. What microphones are these?
These are SM70s.
These are really nice.
Yeah. These are just like this. Everyone uses them.
I love them.
I'm using a AT40, I think.
I am excited for anybody who wants to make those clips and be like, it's really funny because it always happens where both sides will think that their person won, and I'm more than happy to provide that entertainment. Let's read some super chats because I already see like, you're probably touching yourself.
What?
Says, get back to the actual argument, baby man.
Touching yourself.
Yoro says, this guy's disingenuous. Don't bring him back, Tim.
Oh, snap.
Actually, no, I absolutely would love
Great
to have him back.
conversation.
Yeah, because I don't think I know everything, and I probably
Fun.
Election night party. You can
Yeah,
make it.
Well, he's a busy guy.
I can only fly so much.
Seriously?
I'm terrified of flying.
JV says, ask Vaush if he thinks Mao was better than Trump.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. These are. Is that?
What?
It's apples and oranges, literally. No. Wait. Hold on. Is he better or worse? No. Mao was very, very bad. Mao killed so many people.
No,
I
bad.
don't even know.
He did I think if I remember, he did 3 good policies in an ocean. Like you'd have to dig
Oh
through
my
those.
God,
I disavow.
His
So
wife.
what you're saying is that you prefer Trump over Mao.
Disavow.
Listen, if Mao, you're not getting me clipped. If Mao came back, listen, maybe he's reformed. Okay, maybe.
What I've heard is that it's
Say
his
I like
wife.
Trump. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't believe. Listen, I don't believe in cancel culture. Okay, I think Mao should have to come on this program to give his side of the
Defend
story.
himself,
Yeah.
yes.
Now here's the good comment. Mr. Comfy Pen says, amazing exchange, great discussion, love your work, appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Love you too.
And then Dick Johnson, I will literally pay you $5 to never have this guy back on. Listen, man, I think this kind of stuff is important. So I'm willing to invite anybody into the conversation. Some people were like, why don't you have the far right?
Dude, we didn't even talk about Magic cards and Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah,
which we
what
all
the
play.
heck?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
was
were talking about that earlier.
really psyched up for that part of the conversation.
Look at these nerds.
I actually said early on, I was like, how about we just ditch the
Oh
whole
my God.
conversation, talk about D&D? It's like, just ask
DM a game on the fly.
That'd be
So
fun.
hot.
Yeah.
It's 11:30. Is it crazy?
Oh my gosh,
Let's
you guys.
see.
Fireball.
Now, I don't know if this one is I don't know if this comment is fair, so I don't know if I should actually read it.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. What do you think?
You know what? Go for it. Why not?
They said, ask him why he thinks child,
Prawn?
yeah,
Yeah.
should be legal and is moral.
Oh, okay. It's a misinterpretation of an argument that I made like a year ago or something, and I phrased it horribly. My basic argument is that why is that material bad? Because it hurts people to produce it. There are other commodities that hurt people to produce, like the child slaves that mine up cobalt and stuff like that. So my argument was it's all bad. However, sometimes it really that was essentially the argument that I was making.
I really don't like. There's so many out of context clips of me. That's why I was like, I don't even know if I should read it, but I kind of felt like the probably have a response to it.
I bet if we had video of those child slaves,
We
there'd
can do
be
this.
a lot less of that.
I talk about this stuff all the time. There's a lot of people who say things like, I'm more effective and that I should be allowed to use this computer. I'm like, look, man, I fully acknowledge this was probably made by, the Foxconn laboratories are really bad.
But at least own it,
Right,
Like it'd be like, okay, this is bad, but we can do something about it. There are more slaves today on Earth than there ever have been in all of human history.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Damien says, question mark. Russiagate made people like you hate more. You wouldn't be here at this point right now without the lies getting your head. Wake up. I don't know what he's talking
I
about.
assume that's directed.
I would
Yeah,
assume
yeah,
that would be to you
Because you
guys.
said you mentioned getting brushed up by Russiagate.
I guess I should again. It's just been a
No, it's
while.
really
It's a
cool.
dark time.
Yeah.
I don't like the gate part of it.
It's dumb.
Now everything is gay. Yeah, they.
All right, here we go. Sean Kennelly says, Tim, I'm your biggest fan, but you completely let this guy run your show tonight. He diverted your questions. He had no clue about Russiagate or Obamagate, but you still used kid gloves. Thought you were better than that. Like I said early on, look, as much as we did have a bit of a back and forth,
Okay.
this show isn't a blood sports debate where I come here with a big stack of notes and be like, I'm picking you out. It's a conversation show. And I
IRL,
want to
man.
have people to have a conversation. That's about it.
Chill.
I'm sorry if you come here, and I mean this sincerely, thinking that I prepared a big list and I'm preparing a takedown. I did no preparation.
You just
I was like, I'd really love to have this guy in and have a conversation.
I kept trying to look up what happened with the Philadelphia riot because I've been in a news dead stuff. I kept trying to look up and I kept getting distracted by D&D talk. So so I came in equally.
So much better.
Yeah.
Look. I'll tell you my thoughts on this, and with respect, Sean, what's your opinion? Thank you for your super chat. I let Enrique Talia come in here and speak a whole lot, and I pushed back less than I pushed back on Vaush. Seriously, I actually raised my voice, and we had a back and forth. I didn't do that with Enrique.
It's great, yeah.
So, I'm trying.
Oh my God.
Show where I'm here to just take people down. I want to bring people on, have them say their thing. I'll give them my thoughts. Sometimes it'll be more adversarial, and I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, we can do this. Oh my God. Why am I hitting this fucking ledge all the time?
I'm sure, yeah, it'll be fun.
It's the mutual.
let I-
Oh yeah, the mutual. Yeah.
I'm sure. I've seen it already.
Most of the comments, they're actually
Both deaths
they're always
are
really
so
great
fun.
conversations.
Hey, I like you guys too. Is this the camera?
Yeah,
I like you
that's
guys
it.
too.
Yeah,
There you go. Hello.
The way I tell people, like, dude,
I'll
feel
get the
free,
hang of this.
like, you know?
this.
I mean, I wish there was less hate, but I
You
don't
can
think I'm
handle
perfect, and I think people can criticize you and Resident, whatever. Look, I'll tell you what. You know the craziest thing to me is, I don't know. I'm just some dude turn a camera on, start talking about stuff on the internet. I'm not. I got degrees. You know, I'm just someone who reads stuff and has opinions, and I want to talk to people who have opinions. And sometimes I probably sound like a moron. That's just the way it is. And we have conversations.
Live to cringe.
That's great, yeah, man.
People like, I'm sorry if I don't live up to the expectations of some kind of like, long or something. I don't think I ever will. But a lot of criticism coming your way.
I'm sorry I'm not as tall as Hassan Piker.
Oh, what the heck? Come on, man.
I'd love to have him on as well.
Personal failing.
Bo Darville says, this dude is in a huge bubble. How could he not know the details of Obamagate? Or is he lying?
You're not alone.
I think it's fair. I don't assume it, that's why I asked instead of just saying, you're wrong about Russiagate. No, I asked you.
I have a quick 2 cents about Obamagate. I think that it is very complicated. I think this is why Trump doesn't want to talk about it, and I think this is the part of the issue that people have with it, is that it's just complicated. It's okay, and I think that you should read up on it for sure. I definitely should
They use
as
that
well.
gate word again. They're confusing
know.
everybody about
It's
this
annoying.
gate and that gate and Gamergate and what? It's all
A lot
just
of it-
hotels called
Right,
Watergate.
right,
Let it
right.
go. Use a different word to describe these different situations.
A lot of it really does come to the media that you consume because even with all the complexities, you get different types of complexities depending on what you consume. Because what I've read in Obamagate is largely the denunciation of certain, perhaps unfertilized claims. Though, as is the case for many situations like this, there usually are bits of which
Oh, come on.
and I think that's totally valid, and I'm happy to look more into that.
You know what I do? I use a third-party app called Bingo. Everybody mark off your bingo cards when you mention it. And what I try to do is I typically start with mainstream media, and then I check right-wing media. Because mainstream typically has a left bias or at least a left perspective. So I try to read both. And then, this is really funny because I was criticized for this, for using the Daily Mail very often.
Okay, I survived. That was good.
Is credible. And
Rule number one of any
they
PvP
usually
game:
have the most
survive.
comprehensive story. If I go to the Hill, where I go to the Hill office, the center,
What?
I'll read a story about Amy Coney Barrett. They'll have like one paragraph, and then I'll search for it and find several other articles. Fox News will have 2. Daily Mail will have 15. And they'll be like breaking
Miss
down
this
nuances.
motherfucker.
You know what actually does really good reporting? BuzzFeed.
How
News.
is this
I was
even
actually surprised when they split off
possible?
from regular BuzzFeed. I found they actually have really good in-depth coverage of stuff.
They've done a really good job.
I have shitty aim. That's how it is. But rule number one: don't die. And then it's
Wait,
like,
what? Oh, I didn't hear about that.
It was
Oh,
fake
man.
news. And it
don't
really made me
suck
think. I'm like,
at aiming.
I know what they do. I know what they're doing. And this stuff.
Rule
I
number
give-
one:
I give
don't die.
Wait, did they actually fight to the death, or did they completely make it up, or
A
was it just
dude was at
sensationalized?
Popeyes and cut in line, and so like he walked outside and some guy was yelling at him for cutting in line and got shot.
Okay, so it was
Nothing to do with Jesus.
literally just racist. Yeah.
It was totally
Yep.
racist.
Okay, wow.
Yep.
Got those clicks,
So,
man.
Anyway,
Made me mad.
BuzzFeed does have some good stories they've done. I actually read them recently, but often they have poor framing. I think.
Okay, fair.
To be fair, a lot of right-wing media has poor framing as well. For that it's the same issue. It's like if you're BuzzFeed is a less partisan source.
Yeah, I'm rolling through Breitbart articles pretty much every day these days.
Breitbart is has some good report. It's like people are gonna get mad, but I think it's comparable to BuzzFeed. That's gonna trigger the left. Dude, Breitbart's released some breaking stuff.
All right, we're in the super chat section, so I'll let my facial expression carry the way.
Right and left. Okay.
Rob in 123 says Vaush said right populism can only be fascism. What is his view of left populism?
Okay,
I think
finally a
left
kill.
populism can go in a lot of directions. I think that society's become potentially more complex the further you go to the left, in large part because there are so many different ideas on how to achieve the basic underlying goal. I feel like the farther right you go, it's pretty much just absolute power of the state or absolute power of corporations. I guess it's conceivable to be a right-wing populist and not be a fascist. I'm struggling to find them at times.
Well, it's simple. It's a bunch of people in a small town who use capitalist systems and traditional values and want to be left alone.
Sure, well, but traditional values left alone, like this can mean a lot of things. Isolationism, ethno-nationalism.
No, like, I'm growing this is my farm. Please don't steal my stuff. And then they
Hope
all,
we could do that anywhere.
but that's.
Oh my god.
People waving American flags and gathering flags and saying you love this country. And that's about it.
Sure. Well, populism usually is about like the manifestation of the popular will, the idea that the establishment is something. But usually the way the establishment gets codified in right-leaning narratives means that, like, in addition to the establishment, you have other threats from without. In some states, it's been the Jews. Here we have, like, for example, MS-13, the cartel. We have ISIS. We have undocumented immigrants. And we have, within our own country, we have Antifa. We have, this sort of thing. And I guess fear, I think, is the underlying emotional thing to these tendencies.
So would a far left populist be a warlord?
I think a far left. I think because the issue is when you think of a populist, like you have somebody like Lenin, right? Lenin, you know, he stirs up the peasantry for a long time. He gets his armies, he marches alongside the partisans and the Democrats and such, and eventually he seizes power. And what does it become? An authoritarian state? Is that populism? I don't think so. In fact, I would argue there are elements of Lenin's government that were distinctly right-leaning in spite of all the aesthetics and sort of performative socialism.
Left and right, it's so confusing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that's exactly what I mean. The term left and right. Yeah. I think
Mao.
at the end of the day, I want people to be happy.
The long-haired guy
Everyone
believes that
in this
Mao
country
is
should be
right wing.
healthcare, good food, and I think that most of us lived under the thumb of two things, of corporations and government. and
That's
they're vastly
incredible.
disproportionate and unjust.
How do you think the Federal Reserve? We got into it.
It's a whole subject.
I think the issue with socialism is that the only way to create a system is right now where everyone adheres to the commodification of certain things.
Well, let's take steps then. Maybe. Well, then any policy is force. I mean, it is because any law passed by a government.
The libertarian argument would be yes.
Yeah, of course.
The government telling you must at gunpoint.
But I think, again, that's what's the quote? You know, the poor man and the free man are both equally disallowed from sleeping beneath the bridge. Freedom, in a legal sense, means very little if you're starving. So, if the government, say, for example, uses its authority to provide everybody a base stipend of food and education, you may technically be removing freedoms in a certain way because now people have to do this or whatever. But on the other hand, you've given an entire population of people a different, more essential kind of freedom.
It just feels too
Well, but you agree with
I
that.
won that game. So 4
Well,
by
the founding
10.
fathers did. They thought that
If-
public education
yeah, 4
was about emancipating
wins,
the mind of the average person.
4
That
10
democracy could only function
games.
if we were sufficiently
I
educated.
should clarify that in its current
Just
form.
40%.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it hasn't changed in 150 years, right?
But when you ask me, I'm imagining as it exists today, and I'm like very much against this. It's broken. It's completely broken. It needs to be
Wait,
redone.
which
Then
means
the
I
difference
landed
is that
one
education
rocket.
should be a human right.
I'm 100% for social programs and government programs. The issue I think is that we need to fix them. I feel like we were operating off of civics developed hundreds of years ago that haven't scaled properly.
Especially education, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing's
So-
changed since like schoolhouse
So,
days.
like I said, I'm for a mixed economy. I think we should have regulations, we should have taxation, we should have some government programs. But the problem is our government programs don't fail. So when public schooling breaks, we just keep dumping money into it, and it's just a broken thing. We keep,
Okay.
But we also can't let it fail because you can't wake up one day and say like, "Oh, sorry, Timmy, your school went bankrupt. You'll be working around the house for a year."
Well, why not?
The systems have to be kept up, or if they're going to be broken, then accommodations have to be made by those hurt. And that I think. So, for example, like our failing schools, right?
I need to
I
figure
don't
out
think
how to
anyone
fix
defends the
magic
education
scoring.
system as it currently exists in this country. They're delusional. This education system is terrible. It's broken. We're worse than other countries with half our GDP.
much is left?
Or not GDP, GDP per capita. It's terrible. But at the same time, if
20
we just let
minutes?
every failing school just shut its doors, we would have a spike in and everything would be bad.
Parents use school as daycare,
Yeah.
so they can go to work.
I guess I can
read the
brave
super chat
through
where
it.
They said, "How does he not even know about Russiagate?" So I'll read this one where Redway 2
But
says,
I'm gonna
"Vaush is
chill
so
out and
obviously
play
winning,
some-
It's not even funny." I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone walked away thinking
Fleet
that I was a moron. It's fine.
battles?
I don't think I'm, you know.
Yeah,
Have
try
Tone
to
says,
play
"This is like
some
watching that Joe Rogan interview with Barry Weiss.
fighters
Vaush is
this
extremely
time.
uninformed and lives in a bubble. You see, it goes both ways.
What it reminds me of is I remember I had a hosted or like a moderated debate with anti-climate change guy fairly recently, like full on anti, like it's all a hoax, you know, flat Earth, whatever. And afterwards,
Bullshit.
You know, the super chats
He
were
wasn't-
moderated,
he wasn't
it's
like that.
You know, the 50-50. It's like, Vosh,
That's
you're really good at the
incredible.
next, but Vosh clearly lives in the globe head bubble if he actually believes that temperatures are rising. And it's fun, you know. Not to say this is
It's
equivalent
like-
respect, but I like the
Similar.
back and forth.
You know,
Ken W says Scandinavian socialist countries have
you know,
school
like
choice.
people say
Japan has
to
school
live
choice.
rent-free in
Compulsory
someone's
education
head.
is, only up to junior high. They rank
But
higher than
Vaush's
education.
head
Why should we continue failed U.S. public education?
is full
Sure.
of
In Japan, first of all, even though high school is not compulsory, you'll find that if you want to get ahead in Japan, you
communists
absolutely
living
need to
rent-free
do
in
high
his
school.
head.
That is a
And
culturally
all of those
obligatory,
communists are him,
thing.
because
Additionally, middle school goes up to 9th grade.
nobody
Also, with schools like
he
Sweden,
debated
school choice
was
to me
like
is
a
acceptable
full
in concept
flat
as long as
earth
it's not being used as a way to
global
demonize
warming
people who are
denying guy.
caught between a rock and a hard place when it
He
comes
was
to
just-
where they're taking their
he
kids.
was just
In
a
school
skeptic
choice
of
would be something I would 100%
climate
support,
change.
as long as I felt
So
like it was
really,
going along with a genuine effort to revitalize
Vaush
all
was
these communities.
debating an
That would be in favor.
idea
On its own, though, I don't
he
think so.
had
I
about
think we gotta
who
do
he's
something, man.
debating.
Yeah, we got a public works program. Yeah, 100%. We got to start
So
building the roads.
Vaush
you know?
lives rent-free
We have the money.
in his
What
own
about
head.
graphene?
I
That's
mentioned it
just
earlier.
crazy.
Modern material,
I
pure
think,
carbon. Yeah,
I
we
think
should
we
go
need
deeper
to.
later on.
I think we should start implementing programs where we're like, we're going to do a public education thing. Maybe it's school choice, maybe it's something else, and then we got to wean ourselves off these addictions. I think you're right about public schools, in that if we just shut them down overnight or they went away, it would hurt a lot of people. Parents rely on this. This is why Trump's been so adamant, like we got to get the schools open because people want to go to work and their kids their kids need to go somewhere, be occupied. I hate that. I think it's a huge problem, and I think we've given away our responsibilities as parents. So I think we need to change this.
Someone
Where's
did
the control? We just end it. It causes massive destabilization. Same thing is
Rogan
true with
highlights
our
on
healthcare system.
BitChute.
So my thing is, I've said over and over again, I would love universal healthcare. The difference between us and many European countries is that universal healthcare in Europe was born out of World War II. A necessity, a mandate, and it had to exist. In the U.S., we've tied our
Let's see,
economy
where's
up
that
to it to an extreme
Biden
degree, where I think it's wonderful to want a system where we can guarantee.
Okay.
What did we call it?
Also,
non-acute,
Julian Bloomberg.
treatments.
Yeah.
Universal, is that what you were saying?
Well, yeah, acute treatment you would fund. I like the idea of doing that, but like chronic treatment, I wouldn't want to fund.
Right.
Like if you eat poorly and then you get like
this
chronic
article.
disease,
Is that the article
I find
that
that's usually dietary, and I don't want to
six-sided?
fund
It's
other people's chronic
probably
disease.
is.
Acute problems like they fell down the break their leg, there's an emergency. I like funding that stuff.
Exactly. People shouldn't. You have. It's hard to quantify where we draw that line on what would qualify as a chronic thing caused by you or whatever. But I think ultimately my point is flipping that over to get off the addiction of this. Like, I'll tell you a story, man. I got a kidney stone in 2014, and the bill was like $20,000 for going to the hospital and being given water and painkillers.
May
20 grand.
7th.
And then I told them it's the worst timing ever. I just changed.
Holy
jobs.
shit,
left
that's
twice,
the
there was a week
article.
period where I was unemployed.
This
And
is
they were
what
like,
such is
no
quoting.
problem. It's $4,000. I'm like, that's still a
So
ridiculously
he's
large amount of
quoting
money. Why don't
me.
you just cut off so much of the price?
Joe
And they were
Biden's
like,
own
insurance.
laundered
Literally no sense.
No, they cut the
information.
the
That's
hospitals,
great. That's
they're in
fucking
bed with, or
insane.
some say coerced by the insurance agencies. You know, they literally just they make up these numbers and then they say, hey, insurance company, you don't have to pay this much. This guy has to pay this much. You get to pay a tenth of that.
Yep.
And it's great.
And
And
they dropped the price for
What
me
if I,
when they realized I didn't have
right,
insurance.
and some, but because it's inflated, because sometimes it's like with other debts, like if your student debt gets
try to
collected,
download it.
you can actually argue it down from
See
debt
if
collectors.
then-
If it's $30,000,
if
you
then
can
the
sometimes
link-
say like,
link
oh my god, my car
works.
just crashed and my
Press
arm
the
fell off and I'm dying,
key
please
for
God, and they'll knock it down a little bit, but they're operating on the margins, whatever they bought for it. With the hospital though, they inflate this so high that the actual relationship between the cost of care and what you have to pay is, it's like fantasy.
I think we could start with covering basic acute treatment, broken bones, really simple place, and like flu and immediate sicknesses, so we can make sure kids aren't dying of
Doesn't work.
their parents couldn't afford kind of flu, like that one story. Getting to
I
the
want
point
to
where we
see
can
if
cover
this
chronic
if this
treatments,
is the
severe
article.
treatments could be really, really difficult. But my main point is, I would love to live in a world where it's like you could walk in, there's no bill. The problem is we have two very different circumstances for how some countries emerged in their national health systems versus how we developed ours. So I think it's like, what, 20% of our economy is tied to healthcare, and I think Bernie
Try to
Sanders said
search
2 to
again.
4 million jobs, I think,
Biden
would be lost if we abolished.
Campaign.
I like the idea of acute treatment plus private healthcare for something like
June.
that. Ultimately, getting to a point where we have a
Giuliani.
functioning system would be very, very difficult, but I'm for it. I don't want to rant too much on that stuff.
I'm already angry that you can buy
Campaign
Pepsi with
Giuliani.
food stamps and then go into the doctor because you have the flu
Desperate
because of Pepsi,
smear
and then I'm not
campaign.
going to pay for it.
Well,
I'm not-
I do want to say though, if we do want to drop the
Trump
cost of healthcare in
lawyer,
this country, we also need to
Giuliani's
start
daughter.
regulating food companies
How
way
about
harder. We don't. One of the reasons why we have this obesity epidemic, it's not because people got less responsible or
2019.
whatever. Our moral character didn't decline. The chemicals they put in food are designed
National
to make them
Security.
addictive, and they use whatever chemicals make them
Circulated
addictive.
in
And those
Ukraine.
chemicals tend to be really, really bad for you. And I think that, listen, you're an American. You have a God-given right
Declined.
to eat as many Twinkies as you want on any
Intelligence
given day.
officials.
But I think we also have to recognize, just as a matter of public policy, that
Settings.
this maybe be good to make it easier for the average person to get a hold of quick, cheap, easy food items that weren't made, out of kerosene and toothpicks.
Yeah, don't pollute the
So-
environment with your
Actually,
body.
that's
We have a lot of
symbol.
anti-Vosh comments. But Justin says, I disagree with Vosh a lot, but I'm glad you've had him on, and
Yeah,
I'd
man.
like to see it again. Or something similar. Also, is that a new watch? It is.
It is. Fancy.
Because I've been doing, I'm trying to track fitness.
We
That's
started
the,
wearing watches again.
that's
Yeah.
to measure your
Search
biometrics or something.
settings.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Apparently, I have a really great heart
No.
rate. I'm very fit.
Oh, awesome, dude.
He's fit.
More?
yeah.
Wait, what are your numbers?
So my resting heart rate this morning was
How
like
do
46.
you?
Wow, that actually is really good.
I skate almost every day, and now I'm mountain biking. And yeah.
I've been trying to go on a
Ah,
jog every
opinion.
morning since lockdown.
One
Not
Jogger walk,
lockdown,
yeah.
the
Fucking
coronavirus. Yeah,
Washington
shut down, yeah.
Post
Here you go.
behind
Tyga
it.
says this guy makes me want to be a
Joe
be a proud
Biden
boy.
asks
There you
networks
go.
to stop
Doing-
booking
doing my work.
Giuliani.
Tommy Groshong says, great conversation for showing how this election comes down to low information versus high information voters.
Meh.
I think that could go, honestly, depending on which
Go either way, man.
Look, I do believe that's the case, but I think it's fair to say that I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. I think it's fair to say there's probably a bunch
Jen
of
dashes
more.
out. Blah 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 blah.
None of me whatsoever.
Right,
I'm
no,
not
that's
sure.
what
Yeah.
I'm
It's
yeah.
like even the right is going to be like making memes saying you were so smart.
They're painting you.
Yeah, that'll
Actually,
be great.
there was one comment where someone said they agree with you on schools and they were shocked.
That's
because,
cool, I like
they
it,
don't
yeah.
social
What?
skills.
What you realize when you have a conversation,
That's
we're
neat.
just not that different, man.
No, well,
Suck.
yeah, I think
Humans
like,
are so similar.
I think a lot of our difference in opinions is rooted in what we've read.
Well,
That's like the gist. That's why I said it earlier on.
Fundamentally, I am and always have been of the belief that given the right conditions and realistically speaking, the right media exposure, because we do live in two different worlds these days, because of what's recommended to us
least
and
two,
stuff.
yeah.
At least two, at minimum two. I think functionally most people would want the same basic things, and I think we can find those. I think, and we can work towards them, and it's just a matter of agreeing or disagreeing on the pragmatic implementation.
Yeah, the
I'm just-
founding
I just-
fathers would go
there's-
at it.
A lot of these comments are like, Tim is really dumb. You nailed it, Tim. Vaush is so dumb. Vaush is winning. So, that's I'm bringing it up again for like the 8th time because I'm scrolling
This is the
through trying
gist
to
of
find
the-
comments
Yeah,
to like.
there's a lot of a
create-
trend, yeah.
Paul
Nice
says you can't
bots.
admit Trump for executive authority.
No, I
so
don't
you
wanna
should have
become
used more
famous.
to force a national plan. Choose a side.
I think there are good and bad reasons to use national authority. I'm trying to think of an example. Imperialism, for example. Hate it. I mean, lefty, right? What does American imperialism do? Kill democratically elected Latin American socialists. Not my thing. However, sometimes interventionism can be decent. We had soldiers in Syria, for example, that were.
I think it's about account. No, I know it's about account.
Whatever the case may be, together they were doing a phenomenal job against ISIS. And Rojava was a burgeoning anarchist project that was one of the, and still is to this day, one of the most legitimate examples of like a democratic anarchist society. By pulling out, we ended up endangering them, and we still have because of Turkey. And in that instance, I am in favor of military intervention. It's just a matter of how it's applied.
You know the problem with like these democratic anarchic states is?
Well, they usually get destroyed by larger, more military. Right. Well, I'm of the opinion an anarchist society can only truly exist, perpetually exist, in a global sense, because the existence of outside authoritarian influence is a very strong destabilizing one.
But what if the aliens come?
Then we are well and truly gone, my friend.
Oh, okay.
So
authoritarian.
Listen, anarchist world with highly authoritarian geosynchronous defense cannons.
I'm into it, dude. Like an AI
orbiting
around.
around.
Bows to us.
This is an account and it's got the Antifa. What is it called? The strike through? Is that the 3 arrows?
The strike through? Yeah, 3 arrows. Yeah.
Very
They
nice
said,
comment.
dim tool, your source on factcheck.org contradicts what you said in all caps.
Oh.
I accept it.
Well, what?
I was reading a factcheck.org article and we didn't pull it up, so.
Yeah, I wasn't able to find it. My bad.
I haven't seen any screens. I'm not the.
Here's what we know.
Let's see.
I'm vibing right now. Vibing with Biden.
Bloomberg.
No.
You sure are.
They're mad you're not wearing a mask.
Biden.
He was earlier.
He was.
He's wearing a mask. None of us
Get
are wearing
away
masks.
with it.
Sanitized.
He came in with hand sanitizer. He's wearing a mask.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
We
there
got
we
it.
go. Okay.
All right, we
Someone
got
says
this.
Tim's
Wear masks.
audio
What
feed.
kind? I
Fine.
tried. I did everything in my power.
Low, then it was hot.
I was
then it
literally
comfortable.
under the desk trying to get it. There was a cat sitting on the cable. I couldn't find it.
Vaush is hot right now.
Oh shit.
You're gonna wanna
Oh
see it.
snap! I love it.
There we
Yes,
go,
thank
there.
you.
Let's see. All baloney facsimile says Trump blows Trump, then calls himself a centrist. Based.
Huh.
What is that? I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see. Ender says no federal aid by Trump.
There.
Didn't Trump send a Navy medical ship to NYC, which went unused? If your argument is Trump didn't provide aid, but he stated war powers to
come
get
on.
businesses to convert to create masks and ventilators, yet Trump didn't use war.
25th.
I gotta find the.
More powers.
Yeah,
Let
war
me know
powers to get
about Joe
governors not to
Biden,
mess up,
Ukraine.
but governors didn't mess up, leading to those deaths.
Last
Blasio didn't use the medical ship,
Hunter
didn't use
Ukraine.
Samaritan's Purse. Then we had like 3
Yanukovych
months of riots where
Bar.
governors didn't prevent people from gathering those.
Zlochevsky
The riots seem to have
investigations.
not increased
Plural.
COVID-19 spread. There was a ton of data done on this, and it wasn't because people
shit.
had COVID at the riots. It was actually because the existence. By the way, by riots we mean I'm sorry, I shouldn't adopt this narrative. The vast majority of these gatherings are protests without violence. These protests, while there was transmission amongst people there, people stay inside during protests.
I think, well, to be fair, we definitely need to draw a distinction between riots and protests in this regard.
Well, some
Because
protests
the
are
protests, well, no, the protests that we're referring to are large gatherings of people marching down the street.
the protests would be way more at risk for COVID-19
Exactly,
because people don't march right next to each other during riots.
Riots,
you know,
people
they're-
running around
yeah.
randomly.
Right.
So that's an important distinction we're talking about.
So with regard to the protests, it doesn't seem like it's increased COVID-19 spread because people stay inside when there are protests because they don't want to get caught out in any of the mess. And maybe you can say that's a toxic disincentivization, but whatever the case may be, of course there are governors who bungle this, absolutely. And one of the unfortunate downsides of the way our system works is that we have to accept the fact that decentralization will lead to decentralized failures. That being said, I do think there were stronger federal steps that could have been taken, generally speaking, but we already.
Austin Eris says Vaush discounts the public response to measures that are viewed too as too authoritarian. Lots of people have gone crazy with things are now. Given the anti-authoritarian culture tracing to the founding people would be wildly crazy. I will say, you know about the riots in Europe right now?
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure what that is.
Yeah. Well, I think what they're saying is the first part is you're discounting the public response to the public response. So in Spain, Italy, and Prague, they're rioting. They're locked down for several days. And in London, there's been clashes.
Oh, come on. Can I hit?
I'm
Are you
honestly
kidding
mixed
me?
on the effectiveness of lockdowns, just generally speaking. I think that maybe if they had been done very early, it would have been possible for us to contact those.
A raider.
Like very, very early, you know. But that would have required a response so immediate that it's almost impractical for a government of this size. At this point, I really do think it's just about really promoting mask wearing and social distancing. And then additionally, I think we need to divert funds towards providing businesses and schools materials that they need to operate more safely.
Yeah.
Whether that be plexiglass glass screens or like cleaning materials.
Vitamin D, I hear, is really good for you.
Yeah, but everyone could use some vitamin D.
I got it. Mark Grains says, can confirm. Tim definitely plays Orzhov stats. Liz plays Boros. I think Ian would play obscure Simic combo deck. Vaush plays mono green stomping. Dude.
Simic?
I like green.
That's
No.
green-blue, right? I'm into it.
Oh my god. This is why I don't play fucking Magic the Gathering anymore. It's all for
Tim
fucking
is white.
stupid
And also some
nerds.
red. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tim's kind of
He's
fire.
not playing.
All
Yeah.
of my decks
He's
are
white, blue, red.
Yeah.
all of my decks
He's
are
mixed.
You don't want to give
white,
Tim
red.
black. That's dangerous.
Yeah, no,
I was green.
I hate black too. I don't think any of us
Flip
like
that.
black.
Oh snap! That's
Talking
it.
about
Magic
Magic
the
the
Gathering.
I'm
It's
not
too late.
racist.
Whoa,
It's
whoa,
too
whoa,
late.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Nobody here was talking about Magic the Gathering.
Oh snap! Oh no, Ian.
I
What the heck?
Get out of here.
I completely disavow.
I was never
I don't know
here.
where I am.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Stephanie V says, now 27, back in uni, had to take ethnic class, learned colorism. Was told because I'm pale, I'm less Mexican than someone darker. Even if they didn't speak Spanish and lived in Mexico, I did. It's racist, toxic BS.
Well, I don't think.
Yes, Tim's intelligence and looks are highly attractive.
Oh snap!
That's the best
Oh, I
part.
like
Shout
that.
it out.
We'll
Nailed
take it.
I obviously don't. Again, judging from the characterization, because you never know how accurate people are retelling anything. That's obviously not very
What?
good. The difference
Oh,
that
right, 'cause I
distinctly
joined
is that
late.
A Mexican is an ethnicity, not a race, of course.
Yeah.
When it comes to race is a social construct. Like we were all talking earlier, what makes a race? Like skin color, even
Race
that. Not
is
really.
a social
Facial features, yeah. But even then, like you can find people who.
It's
if,
not.
like,
I
look like
think
black
race is a
people, but if
social
you change the
construct.
tone of their skin, you would instantly assume they were white looking at them. You can find black people.
It's
from
not,
genetically
in my
genetically
opinion.
messing with your
It's
surface. So when we talk about like
stated as
what
a
makes
fact.
a person more white, I mean, am I more white than Tim? There's obviously no
Yes.
objective. Well, if we look at genealogy, I mean, I'm all European, so by that measure, sure. But when it comes to like culturally, how do we treat people? You know, there are black people who get treated like pretty good because they're really, really light skinned, and it's really complicated.
I made a joke in a video once about mixed race supremacy, like being sarcastic, because
dare you.
I was
That's the
reading,
future.
well, I was reading an article that said that people with parents from different parts of the planet.
I mean, it's
typically
gotta be
have,
that article.
it's not hybrid vigor, but it's kind of
More
this concept.
robust immune systems, right?
Ukraine
more diverse genetic
ex-official
results
cast doubt
in,
on
you know,
Biden,
more
Biden
robust
conflict
features or whatever.
claim,
And so I was
and
making
this
jokes
is
about it,
used to
and I was like,
launder.
okay, fine, ethno-nationalism.
This is incredible.
And a bunch of
Okay,
like
so
screenshotted it to make it look like I was
there's
actually
two
against myself.
big claims made
It
in
was
this
the weirdest-
article.
weirdest thing
One
people
is that the
I unironically
timing
believe that, by the way. I mean,
of
eventually, assuming
the
we don't do some
firing
really
was
weird
not
international, ethno-national
conducive.
stuff,
Well,
eventually
was
we're all
not
going to be a light shade of mocha.
conducive
You
to
know?
Every-
helping
I'm
country
not
because he
entirely
wasn't on
sure.
the
I
board of
think
Burisma
maybe
when
China
the
is
firing happened, which is
We'll see how
not
long. I do not want
fucking
very much. We'll see how
true.
long that goes. And then, of course,
And the
eventually,
second
even
claim
if,
is made
if
by
everyone's to, like, look around,
one
eventually the people
Vitaly
who settle in Africa
Kasko.
are gonna get
We
darker, and the people
know
who settle in
because
Scandinavia are gonna get lighter. But whatever the case is, I'm just glad
we've been
we can travel
tracking
on the
these
planet.
You wanna know something
movements.
crazy? There's
He's
like
been
I was reading
in
this article
most,
about a place in China where the people
Attorney
there are
General's
very
office. He
white, full of Asian
quit
features.
like 8
And there's
times.
a legend of a Roman legion that was making its way
Interesting.
that never came back. And
I
they
found
came
him.
And
settled, and they had
Costco-
a big family and created this area where all these people
Costco
have
is saying
white
I look it
Mediterranean.
up.
Yeah, and people don't realize that Russia is in Asia, and like they don't
What?
realize that Russia is north of North
Yeah, they
Korea.
call it European, but it's
No,
all
no.
Asia.
Yeah.
It's almost all Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people in Eastern
Costco
Russia
is
who have Asian
saying-
features.
There's a lot of that
Like
with
Eastern features.
Polynesian
I
features
have
as
an
well.
article
There are
somewhere.
places all from
Costco
like
is
South Africa
saying,
all the way up to Japan and Russia and even parts of
Costco
Africa
is the
apparently,
source
there's genetic
for
clusters of people
saying-
who- the old like seafaring Polynesian
he's
culture
actually
would go
not
to.
the source.
It's actually pretty
He's
crazy how much
saying
diversity
Joe
there was
Biden
even before we were
fired the
really
prosecutor because
international
he was
species.
stopping
I think we need to clarify too when you said race is a race is a social
stopping
construct.
the,
This is something that I think is missed.
the
Like,
anti-corruption
there's
efforts in
semantic
Ukraine.
difference between left and right on this one. We're talking
Where did he
about
take
it's
that
a
from?
phenomenon where like you might see
I mean, he
someone
took it
who
from Joe
is
Biden,
an
of
albino black
course,
person, and people will
because
say that person is black regardless.
a
And
little
there are people
before
who are more than
before
black,
he said
even
that,
though their skin is clearly white, which shows that what features define what we qualify as a race or whatever.
Joe
The other
Biden
argument that the reason I bring this up
traveled
is
to
that
Ukraine.
there is a genetic
He
component to
spoke in the
specific
parliament and he
races as
said
we
that
view
he's
them.
fighting
And this is
corruption.
important because we actually
So
have a law
obviously
that
he
protects
must be
people
fighting
based on medical
corruption
research
if
to
he's
make sure
saying
that
he's
it's
fighting
true.
corruption,
So
right? I
I
mean,
think
he
things on
wouldn't
media
be
is more common than
lying
Yeah,
about
almost
it
exclusively,
What's going
yeah.
down
or
since
fighting
since
corruption
shipped over here.
everywhere,
Apparently, because a lot of it was geographically determined.
except
so like the conditions
it's
necessary because
fucking
malaria is
sun-
Yeah, malaria,
Sun's
weird
company,
thing. So bad
right?
air. They don't really doesn't really have a meaning.
Yeah.
It's bad air.
That
but
couldn't happen.
with regards
So
to
it's
social
like an
construct,
idea
it's all a
laundering.
matter of, like, social
Joe
perception.
Biden
For a while,
says,
Italian
I'm
people, were considered, like,
I'm
swarthy,
fighting
like, kind of the way
corruption.
we would
And he
consider
doesn't
Spanish
even
people,
say
Spanish people
it.
are
He
white.
wants,
Obama is
when he's in
genetically
Ukraine, he
half
doesn't
black
even
and half
say
white,
that
but
he
we all
wants
consider him
the
white.
prosecutor
It's just-
fired.
yeah,
The world is
He-
not so black
not
and white. Is what they
publicly
tell
at
me.
least.
Not
He
yet.
just
People are?
says,
No, we're not.
how
And yet
would
you hate
how would
black as
Costco
everyone
know
else.
Established
about
in this
think
conversation.
all
communication
of the
between the
species to not
president
call each other
and
white and black.
Joe Biden? He
I think-
wouldn't.
well, that's the thing. We didn't until the mid 1600s.
Joe Biden
the
says
entire
publicly, I'm fighting corruption. Privately to the president of Ukraine, he says fire Shokin or you don't get the money. He doesn't tell him why he's firing him,
we're bringing slaves over from Africa.
why he wants him fired.
Let's study the genes.
Probably insinuates that he's not good for
exactly. So they
whatever.
Like, well, of course we're different. Look at our brow shape. So here are the 3 categorizations of man.
But then Casco thinks, oh yeah, good Joe Biden. He blackmailed our president to have
Do it.
the bad
Hindu
AG
ancestors tell Vaush
fired.
to debate Nick Fuentes. He always
Okay.
dodges
Dude,
And then he
so
repeats
the
it. And then
position that
Joe
I'm in right
Biden
here is
uses that
I'm totally fine to have Nick on the
information
show, if he wants to come on, and if he
represented
keeps,
in
posturing on his own.
Bloomberg
All I ask is to send
article
me an email.
as
We can, set up a time.
truth and fact
But
to say,
Come on,
oh
Nick, let's
look,
do it.
the press is saying that I'm good. I haven't done anything wrong. Look, independent observers, meaning dependent observer because he means Casco.
There are a lot of other people who like
Independent observers are saying
so there's a lot of
I'm a
people who
good
don't do
guy,
this,
so
but
I must be a good guy.
grateful that you
But
came
it's
on.
not
Oh, yeah, of
independent
course.
observers
Oh,
saying
I
it.
love talking to people.
Saying
No,
it.
yeah,
They're just repeating
it's
what
actually
they
a
heard
little bit,
from
like,
Joe
kinda
Biden's
annoying, though,
own
because I've
mouth.
said, like, 80 times,
That's
like,
just
Justin,
incredible.
please, please.
And then
Yeah,
you have
but-
stuff like Tucker talked
Yeah,
about with
yeah. So I'm
Bobulinski.
making faces over here because we really got to call it because I
Saying-
got to get up and clip this up in the morning. I'm
He-
calling a
he-
list.
have,
That's
uh,
what I
he said,
do.
Joe Biden said point blank,
snap,
or
yeah.
someone from Biden's family said
Oh my
point blank how
gosh,
they're doing
dude.
this. It's plausible,
I'm glad we
deniable.
had a lot to talk
Super
about.
fun.
And that's exactly what's going
my
on.
gosh.
I don't think you need
You brought
anything
up
more.
the time, and then we were all,
It's not-
we all were in
I'm not
favor.
tired.
I'm not either, man.
You will be in the
The
morning.
only
Figure it.
evidence
I feel
that
like
you're
it's like
missing
you-
is
Well, I think-
just
I think a lot of
seize
the conversations
Joe
that
Biden's
we
shit,
typically have are
and you're
people
gonna
that we
find
haven't
what you
heard
need.
from or
That's
haven't
it.
heard.
Everything else
So
you've
with
got.
you, it's like we're getting into a lot of things and challenging, having a back and forth, which is good. And everybody thinks they're the smartest person in the universe, and we want to have real conversations with people, and that's what we did. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Do you want to mention your channel or whatever for people who hate you to troll you, or for people who like you to subscribe?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, if you enjoyed what I had to say, or if you didn't, but are just really angry and want to let me know, I'm on YouTube at Vaush, which is VAUSH. And yeah, I don't know. I do political commentary. I'm a libertarian socialist. I also play video games a lot. It's a fun time.
Cool, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Likewise.
And we'll have you back, dude, whenever.
Yeah, for sure.
You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler, @TimCast. You can follow my other channels, youtube.com/TimCast, youtube.com/TimCastNews. We are also on every single podcast platform wherever they exist. Of course, you can follow Ian.
Yes, Ian Crossland. That is at Ian Crossland. And you can follow me anywhere. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, you can follow @SourPatchLids.
I am here, still here, 4 hours later. I'm dying over here. I'm tired, but I've had such a great conversation.
Sour Patch
LYDS.
Friends, I wish you good tidings and good clippings of this video. My
Oh,
favorite's
gosh.
probably Ian saying he didn't
Yes.
like black. So
I said I hate
Yeah,
black.
that was,
Oh, black. Oh,
that was
man.
really messed up, man.
Yeah.
Come on, Ian.
necrotic and
What the
everybody,
heck,
we're going to
man?
bed. We're going to bed. We'll see
talking
you
about the
tomorrow.
color,
See
the
you all
magic,
tomorrow.
Magic the Gathering.
All right, it's too late. Bye.
Did they finish? They finished. Okay. I didn't catch the last little bit. Fuck it. What else did I get? No. I wanted to watch this.
Joining us now, Stephen K. Bannon of War Room Pandemic, 10 to noon, John Frederick's Radio Network, Monday to Saturday, also on AVN
This has
Live, the
been a
Dish
couple of
Channel
days ago,
219,
but I didn't
Newsmax,
have time
11 to
watch it.
midnight. Steve, great to have you, man. I was excited to have you on today especially. Thank you.
Always an honor, John, and thank you. Tomorrow, John Frederick, is a pretty important day. You know what tomorrow is?
What?
The 1-year anniversary of the starting of the War Room on the John Frederick Radio Network. 1 year ago tomorrow.
No kidding.
We launched 1 year tomorrow. The producer Dan told me yesterday we're going to do a very special show tomorrow. I think I may have a very special co-host that we're going to ask you to join us, and we're going to really kick it off. War Room Impeachment started 1 year ago tomorrow, and this show has metastasized, become, I think, it's the biggest show in the world.
That's the biggest show in the world. Look, there is no question, and it was visionary what you and I did back, and I remember, and just to give, I don't want to eat up time here, but Steve and I talked on a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock exactly. It was just before one of the football games came on. We talked at like 12:30, and in one day, on Tuesday, right? That was 48 hours.
Yeah.
We had a radio show going live across the nation, set up in at the embassy
Well,
there,
you know,
the Breitbart
John
embassy.
You produced the whole entire thing. Your Richmond team was amazing. We launched it within 24 hours.
24 hours we launched it.
And you know, and Brian Colfage, this nonsense with the Southern District of New York. The reason we could launch nationally is because all the work Brian Colfage had done for me. That basically could provide a platform that I had at Breitbart that we needed, much smaller, but we were able to launch a national show with the John Fredericks Radio Network and what we had done on Facebook. And other things, able to launch it in that tiny show, right? With the content, it's all about content.
Yeah, it was the content is king, and we set up. I drove to Richmond because I was at home that day in Virginia Beach. I drove to Richmond. I scoured up whatever microphones and other loose equipment I had. Then I went to my studio in Washington. I took stuff out of there. I piecemealed the whole thing together, put the network in. We got the internet up in one day, and that was all done on Monday. We did a test on Monday, and then Tuesday at 10. Actually, no, it was at 9 a.m. Tuesday at 9 a.m. We went live. That's pretty good.
No, it just shows you what an entrepreneur is. But listen, this is, you know, and we would never thought that, you know, 2 weeks out, because we're 2 weeks out from game day, that this, you know, your Deplorables channel, which you've become, I think, the best. I tell people, if you want to see all over the world, journalists comments, if you want to see what the Deplorables are thinking, listen to John Fredericks and listen to his callers.
Thank you.
Because that's what Breitbart used. The Breitbart radio used to be. I said, John Fredericks has got it. He's got his hand on the pulse. And just listen to it. And I got to tell you, I've never had a foreign journalist, I've never had a national journalist come back and say, I think you're wrong. Everybody says it's amazing. If you want, because you get all the kind of misdirection plays by the mainstream media. If you want to hear what people are thinking about, and want to hear where they are. And look, here's what I think is important today. Joe Biden peaked 3 weeks too early, and now he's in the witness protection program. Why is he in the witness protection program? Because we dropped these emails on him at the exactly perfect time.
Oh my God!
Now, if we'd had the debate last week, it'd have been more perfect. But be that as it may, these things they've traumatized the Biden campaign. He is now in a witness protection program. Okay, he is traumatized. They can't respond to it. They're letting their media Praetorian Guard out there saying it's you know, Russian ops. Everybody knows that's nonsense. That's fading away. Even
witness protection
they're
program.
going to have to confront more emails. They're going to confront emails from other people. We're going to have Matthew Turman on today, who's a fabulous investigative journalist. Been working with Peter Schweitzer and Jack Posobiec over at One America. They have a trove of 26,000 emails, and a guy that is, I think his name's Devin Cooney, who's a former business partner of Hunter Biden.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Biden is so fucked. So this is also why Sitch is going to be wrong about the wokies.
New documents out here.
The wokies and voting for Democrats to end wokies.
Coming out with stories in the next 24 to 48 hours before the debate on Thursday.
Biden is going down.
These guys are having meetings.
Biden is going down.
Chinese Communist Party intelligence assets, intelligence operatives. This is not about a drug problem or a wayward son. This is about a father who knowingly allowed this to happen and was part of it. Okay, Joe Biden has to answer this question, not Hunter Biden. People don't care about Hunter Biden. People care about Joe Biden. Joe Biden wants to be commander-in-chief. Joe Biden wants to be the chief magistrate of the United States. Joe Biden wants to be president of the United States.
They're going to remove him. He's going to get impeached no matter what. He's going to get impeached.
In front of the whole nation. With Donald Trump beating him about the head and shoulders about
Trump
this. He's going to have to answer every one of these
he's going to get
every one of
impeached.
these allegations.
And he's going to be replaced with woke
unlike
Kamala.
Hillary Clinton, who I always
It's
call
not
going to
matter too much.
Right? He's a soft target. Hillary Clinton, whether you like her or hate her, had been through 20 years of the right all over her. Okay, she was ready. She was game ready. And she couldn't even take the withering fire we put on her. Okay? Joe Biden is soft. He's never been touched in 47 years, right? He's up in Delaware, never really had an opponent. In the Obama years, it was President Obama taking it, not Joe Biden. Joe Biden's life, he's a glad man, right? Right now, for the first time in his life, with 3 weeks to go in a presidential campaign, he's getting the withering fire that the right can put on him with documents, with information that he's not prepared. His campaign staff has been a disaster. They kept put him on TV on Sunday. This reporter or this host for a Fox Sunday, it's a master class. He teaches a master class on how to not let people spin, but ask direct questions and not let them off the hook. The young woman's on there, completely melts down, basically says, yes, the emails are authentic, right? They pulled her from TV. She's going to be
They
on the
have
bench
to, though they
until
have
after
to
the campaign. But
fix how
you're
they're
seeing-
dropping the
you're
emails. They
seeing
have to do it
they
more
peak,
like
and Trump is starting to search. Let me give
more
be very
like
specific. Politico's got a story today about Corey
Julian
and
Assange
Bobby
did
and
it
some
with
other
the
things.
hash and
Okay,
everything.
fine. But that's not what's relevant is
because
the lead about 10 paragraphs down.
technically speaking, if they
ran
just
Ohio
send
for us in 16,
screenshots to a
knows
bunch of
Ohio
places
better than
without
anybody.
a confirmation,
Was the guy that
without
was the first
one
guy to tell me,
party
"Don't
that
need to come back, we
authenticates
got this." When
the
YouTube
material,
tells it, you can
there's
take
going to be
that
a
to the
bunch
bank
of
and
fakes. There are
cash
going to be
it,
accusations of
He's
fakes, and
saying right now you don't need to come
single
back to
bit
Ohio.
of information
Okay, this is so
going to have to
important.
be
What Trump is doing, he's now surging in the
reconfirmed
areas
with like
of the
2
states
other
you need to
sources or
search in.
whatnot.
He's searching in
So
Florida, he's searching in Pennsylvania.
I
And
mean,
where the
if
Biden
they're
campaign is not
good thing is
structurally not
some
set
people
up to
who
actually run a campaign. They're running a
who want to
1996
kind of
model.
testify and
We
go
have a
against
bunch
Biden
of
don't
TV
understand this.
advertising. It was Van Jones last night on CNN laid it out. Van Jones is a smart guy. Whether you like
So
him
they
or not,
won't
he's
be
a smart guy.
so
He
they're
walks
still
through
going to be
the
testifying on
entire
emails that
analysis, and he gets down to
are
the
going to
fact
be
that this
difficult
is
to
about
prove.
low propensity voters.
Right,
This is
but
about touch points.
if there's going to
They're
be
low
testimony
propensity voters
and
for a reason. You got to go get them and get them to the polls, right? You can't persuade
That's a ground game.
screenshots.
That's
it's a ground game. Why is Stepien? Stepien is not running this campaign because of chance. When it was determined that Brad needed to step aside back in June, I was the biggest advocate of saying, because people had told me, some of the donors, I said, no, I got other stuff I got to do that you'll see all come to fruition. I said, but the guy you got to pick Bill Stepien, and you throw in a Jason Miller and a Greg Manson, a Steve Cortez, and a couple other guys. You got a team. That's your team. This is all going to come down in the weeks leading up to this to ground game in areas like certain areas of Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, even Arizona. And so this is what you're seeing now. This is the media got to blame themselves. Their hysteria on covering the pandemic led to being traumatized. Not just traumatized their voters, it traumatized their entire apparatus. They can't put together. You heard Ralph Reed on our show on Monday. Why did I have Ralph Reed on it? Ralph Reed is one of the most sophisticated operatives in all of Republican politics. Right. And he's also a guy, the first time I met him, he said, it's all about ground game. It's all about voter contact. It's a lesson that Obama learned in 08 and 12. The Tea Party in 10, Obama in 8 and 12.
Oh my!
And you had in 18. The reason we got smoked in 18, the left understood you had to take the Tea Party thing and go knock on doors. They're not knocking on doors. They don't have a ground game to go do that. The people are smart. They're telling them that's why the campaign.
Such a whole point about voting for Biden so that you get the wokies
basically irrelevant right now.
Biden's going to stay in power, and then the media is going to turn on the
only thing
wokies.
that's relevant is knocking on doors and getting people to go vote.
Either right
that
after the election or in the first, second year, the Republicans are going to indict and impeach Joe Biden. So
I think they
picking Joe Biden
is
effectively picking a Wookiee.
If we put
Even
Arizona
if
Florida,
the leftists weren't already saying that they're going to try to change Joe's mind, and if Joe, even if Joe wasn't the kind of guy who just he's just an opportunist. He just does stuff.
We need 2-7, right? We need 2-7, and that's we need a path to 2-7
He just
right
does
now.
stuff
And here's the thing: at the very moment that Joe
influence and
Biden
power.
has to be out making
Even if he wasn't
the case
that
to
kind
the
of guy,
American people,
you're not going to be
because
dealing
they're
with him.
not
The press is
watching
not going to be
MSNBC
dealing with
and
Joe
CNN.
Biden.
They're
They're not going to
covering
be turning on
nonstop.
anyone
That's
because
as close to being irrelevant as possible. They're not watching them. Okay? They're watching local news. And if you're not on local news there, right, you're not getting covered. Joe Biden needs these areas, local news, and he's in the witness protection program for the 5 most important days. What is he doing? Studying more policy? Is he getting more details about the Green New Deal?
No, he doesn't want to answer the questions.
It's all irrelevant. Nobody cares about his tax plan. They say that's all junk anyway. He doesn't even want to talk about it. He's 3 sentences into it, he's forgotten what he's talking about. The reason they have him in hiding during the absolute days he should be out there in person is they can't even take a compliant media. CBS, the guy at CBS asks a basic question every time. He just asks him a question. Hey, can you validate the emails? It's simple. He's not trying to get in this guy's face. Joe Biden, I knew you were going to ask that. You're nothing but a smear merchant. Hey, Joe, note to self, it's CBS, okay? It's the biggest cheerleader you have, right? It's the guy that did 60 Minutes with Fauci. Let Fauci beat up the president nonstop.
The follow-up.
When they become a smear merchant, when you treat them like Breitbart, that shows you they're not ready. This is the thing, and this is why Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, this is your responsibility. You failed to do this. Bernie Sanders again failed to bring the heat in a primary, and so did Elizabeth Warren. All of this should have come out. You've been all over this kind of stuff. It was out there. You didn't need the emails to know in the community that he was out there selling access to his father, to the Chinese Communist Party. It was an open secret. People knew it. I got to tell you, Tony Blinken knew it. Kurt Campbell knew it. Jake Sullivan knew it. The guys all sitting there going, oh, they want to be in charge of China policy. They all knew it. This was an open secret. The media just had, the New York Times just had, the CNN should put the K file on this. You put the file on this, or the Washington Post. You put Tom Hamburger on this, all the information had been out a year ago, and Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren would have been the nominee. Okay, so the populist
come on.
You brought this on yourself. Once again, you had a pillow fight. Okay, not a knife fight. And these primaries should be knife fights. That's who the best guy wins. They should be Darwinian, and they're not in the Democratic Party. Once again, we have a guy who's not ready for prime time. He's soft, and the people around him are soft. And now you're going to be put in the cauldron of heat, okay? And he's not going to be able to withstand it. It's the tell he's not being able to withstand it. He's completely gone radio silent, except for, he had his daughter for a milkshake on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, put that in remember that moment. Okay? That's another tell. Don't want to get into too much detail right now, but that's a tell. Why does Joe Biden finally suddenly show up with the granddaughter to go get a milkshake? The one media avail he has is going to get a milkshake with the granddaughter. Please put a pin in that, okay? And by the way, what are the questions that the media are asking?
What the fuck is
what
talking about?
Flavor? They asked him what flavor.
This is going to be
Why
a
does the
seminal moment.
milkshake matter?
Teach that moment at Columbia Journalism School when they clean out that place, okay, and really start teaching journalism in the years to come. But
what flavor did you get?
No offense, Brandon, but you've been saying a lot of shit
that one's going to
about cleaning stuff up.
3 times in the
so
days,
far, it's not clean.
Ahead. This is the point. The point is Trump is surging, that Biden peaked too early, that this is going to come down to a couple of, just like in 16, this is going to come down to some targeted areas, and they can run they have 10 times more money than Trump. The situation of the Trump money will be a discussion for another day, okay?
Another day.
You don't need to worry about how we got here and how this
doesn't matter. You got 2 weeks.
Donald Trump is the greatest fundraiser in human history, and Kimberly Guilfoyle and these people have done. They are unbelievable. How we're out of money how he has to spend a day in California. That's a topic for November 4th, okay, in the hot wash-up.
That's right.
But what is now is that it's not about money. It's about message, and it's about the individual. We got the greatest closing that's ever been. We were in worse shape coming out of Billy Bush. That's right. Okay? After we closed this thing up from the 14 points down, he was in August. Trump closed up. We were in worse shape coming out of Billy Bush. And the whole Republican establishment, but here they're standing, some of them are standing back. Back then they were fleeing. They were fleeing, okay? We're in better shape. I tell you, the vote on glorious ACB is critical. And you saw last night, this is Roberts, I said this time at the beginning, Roberts is a bad guy, okay? Every time it comes down to crunch time, he's going to side with the liberals.
Why does he side with the liberals?
Because he's a liberal, because of Bush, another disaster of the Republican establishment not vetting somebody. All 3 judges here were vetted. And what were they vetted on? Their writings, okay? Right. They were vetted on their writings. They were vetted on their opinions. They were vetted on things that really show who they are. Judges are about their opinions. Their opinions are in writing. Right. Frankfurter, Brandeis, all these guys. You go back, that's what Don McGahn and Leonard Leo, who essentially saved the whole thing on the judiciary, because they were hammers on one thing. A judge lives in his writings, and that's where glorious ACB. We need her on the court, and we need her now. You're going to have one disaster after the other with Roberts.
All right, Steve. Let's get to the New York Post story. I've heard rumors all last night that another major news network is finally going to break the dam that Crowley put around the New York Post story and blow it out of the ocean today. True or false?
Let's say this: there's mainstream media, Matthew, there's so much different information. You have this other 26,000 emails. You have affidavits from people. You have what's on the hard drive. You have a flood of information that's going to overwhelm the Bidens.
When's it come out?
You have mainstream media. Well, you have mainstream media that's working on something. It depends. Listen, don't think there's not pressure on these editors. I don't think there's not pressure from the Democratic Party and from other media and financial apparatus, the hedge funds, etc., saying, hey, Biden's going to win. You publish the stuff. We're taking names. We're going to remember this. The pressure on these companies, the pressure on these, but look, the lie that's in media,
and the wokies,
never gave this.
And
never gave
right. And I forget one thing. The wokies are gonna flip on Joe Biden, and they're gonna want
without the
Joe Biden
to talk about the timing, and they told me quite
indicted
frankly,
because they're gonna get Kamala instead of
So
Joe.
I didn't pursue it anymore.
So,
it's a lie. Fox News never turned this down.
What made you go to the Post?
So
Because Rupert
voting
Murdoch,
for Biden,
they're extremely
there's
smart
literally
management teams. They got great lawyers. They got
very
Rupert
few
Murdoch. They know how
scenarios
to
in which
assess risk.
this
I
doesn't
knew they could
turn
take a look at the thing. They got
into
the technical
exactly.
expertise, and they're a tabloid, and they got steel cojones, right? And I knew that someone like that was going to take the withering fire. They've broken a lot of tough stories over the years, right? This is a paper, although it's a tabloid. It's Alexander Hamilton's paper.
It's 180 years old.
It's one of the oldest papers in the. It's the oldest major paper in the country. It's the top 3 or 4 papers in the country. It's read everywhere online globally, right? It's a perfect audience for this, and they also know how to do it. But listen, the Daily Mail has taken the lead here in taking all the stories and repurposing them and driving things. The traffic on the Daily Mail, which is the largest site in the world, has just that, and the New York Post. People, the mainstream media and the Biden campaign don't think the story's getting out. They're absolutely stone cold wrong. And there's other mainstream media, I think, prepared to break the dam here with major exposés. And I think a lot of this is going to be regarding, guess what, surprise, China. The Chinese situation and the Biden's involvement in China, whether it's the private equity fund, other relationships with Chinese energy corp, other joint ventures, other relationships with people that turned out to be either intelligence officers or intelligence assets that were playing the Biden and the people around them. And I think you got to find out, Tony Blinken in this email from the Schweizer thing the other day is the guy that's setting up the meeting. You guys get Tony. And Tony Blinken now is unconfirmable, right? Unconfirmable, because other information will come out. You have Blinken, you're going to have Craig Campbell, you're going to have Jake Sullivan. All of his advisors should come forward immediately and just fess up to exactly what they knew and when they knew it, because Biden's involvement with the Chinese Communist Party, and he's being bought and paid for by the Chinese Communist Party. Look, essentially, he couldn't get a security clearance right now. I don't know why they haven't pulled a security clearance. I'd be very uncomfortable with what this guy's given, what they've been giving up.
When are we going to hear from the Wall Street Journal?
Just a random name. I can neither confirm nor deny. But let's say hopefully tomorrow.
Are we going to get a bombshell today, Steve?
You're going to get a bombshell.
Oh my
God. You're going
God.
to get a tease of a bombshell this afternoon, and you're going to get a bombshell tomorrow morning via Rudy Giuliani.
Stephen K. Bannon and
totally separate than China.
Rudy Giuliani. We understand he'll be on our radio show tomorrow. So thank you.
Thursday. Trying to work it for
Thursday.
What?
Hey folks, welcome to the Dark Horse Podcast. I have the distinct honor and pleasure of sitting with Douglas Murray right here in the studio. He happens to be live. Douglas is associate editor at The Spectator, author for many publications, author of many books you may know, which we will certainly talk about. upcoming here, and he is traveling in the U.S. Now, I know your cover story is something like you're here for espionage, but I have deduced what you're actually traveling for. Your most recent book is The Madness of Crowds, which many in our audience will know. And because you wrote The Madness of Crowds, you've come to Portland, where we have taken crowd madness to the level of high art.
Oh my God.
You're the epicenter. I thought that before coming here, but now, having been here, I'm confirmed in my initial prejudices, as so often.
Yes.
It's a thrill to be back in the United States, touring around the country, writing about what's going on here at the moment, and obviously there's enough news every 24 hours in America for an average 6 months, and
I wanted to watch a little bit of that, but I'll finish this game and be done streaming for today.
One mutual friend said to me the other day, I think it's disaster tourism.
Oh
it's
my
not,
God.
but I can see how it's a state.
Yes, although, I mean, you do have the perfect cover story being a journalist. You know,
Yes,
disaster tourism is actually you letting the world see through your eyes. So.
Exactly. But, I just came here, as you know, from California. I feel somewhat that I shot my bolt. I said in a piece at the weekend that I thought that California appeared to be a failed state. But then I came to Portland, and I feel like I stole my own thunder.
Well, thank you. Yes, the state of Oregon. It's really the whole West Coast, I think.
Right.
It all suffers from the same disease.
Why the West Coast, by the way? I'm still...
Well, this is a very interesting question, and I've been involved in some private discussions along the same lines, and I would say, at least what I'm hearing, is that nobody has a proper bead on what happened. However, I do think there's something missing from the conversation, which I keep trying to introduce, but I confess I don't have the precise description. There's something about, if you take the tragedy of the commons as a just sort of general game theoretic problem, and you try to map it onto our political landscape, I think what it predicts is that you will have essentially ruthless capitalists in some of the most vibrant and dynamic industries of our moment who will espouse a set of beliefs and values in public that result in effectively the collapse of the system, the killing of the goose that lays the golden eggs. And basically, it is a tragedy of the commons in the sense that in a classic tragedy of the commons, an individual has effectively no power to protect the commons and has a huge amount of power over their own well-being, and so they end up making a decision that when everybody makes it causes the commons to collapse. And in this case, what it's causing is political movement in a dangerous direction based on everybody signaling to each other and frankly convincing themselves that they believe this stuff, when in fact they are profiting from this other side of it, and wow, are they going to be shocked.
Yeah, that seems right to me. I mean, San Francisco being another base for this. I've never been much committed to the inequality discussion. I think it's never taken on some of the complexities it needed to. It was oversimplified in an early stage by certain people in the latest iteration. But my goodness, the extent to which the actual inequality problem exists on this coast is extraordinary. Where you have the richest people in the world cohabiting with the world's destitute. Such proximity, and they seem to have just got used to it. That's what I can't quite get over. Everyone seems to have got used to the idea that you can have some of the world's most expensive real estate facing a parking lot of people who've got a trolley.
Well, so there are a couple interesting phenomena. One is that I'm sure...
Okay. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go see who we're gonna host. No one's bro. Yeah. I mean, it's not like I agree with everything he says, but host channel. At least he's online.
Press the K key for accessibility options.
Logley, and former U.S. Ambassador to France, Jane Hartley. So let's take a look at Biden's top donors. We have Donald Sussman.
Is there gonna be
Paloma
like a
Partners, $9 million.
Oh,
James
shit.
Simmons, Euclidean Capital. You have Jessica Livingston of Y Combinator. Let me see if there's any names I really recognize here. I don't recognize many of the names here. Yeah. Yeah, that's that. So let's see Trump's top donors. Diane Hendricks, $5 million. Warren Stevens, Stevens Inc. Blackstone Group is Stephen Schwartzman. Let me just look at these. Well, hold on. Let's just look through here.
He doesn't even see the fucking host. What a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I don't know really any of these, to be honest. I know Blackstone Group I'm familiar with, but the rest, I'm not very too familiar with them. All right. So, yeah, that's, I mean, look at this. This is the top 20 in the 2020 cycle. The lowest amount for Biden in his top 20 is $500,000.